The world turned into a game, and he respawned with patch notes, betrayed, killed, and sent back to day 1 of the apocalypse. While everyone's learning controls, he's already abusing the system. Hidden mechanics, god-tier weapons, straight-up plugins. This isn't a hero run, it's a revenge speedrun. When the game has gods, he installs cheats and hunts them. Let's go. Now the protagonist, Zhang Yi, and his loyal friends were fighting a huge black dragon, ready to tear them to pieces. He was outraged that mere mortals dared to challenge him and attack them, hoping to injure them with his huge, sharp claws. But the heroes were very agile in their movements and quickly dodged the blows. When MC jumped back, avoiding his attack, he immediately pounced on the dragon and dealt it several powerful blows, finishing it off in an instant. The dragon's body dissolved into pixels. Zhang Yi crouched at the spot where it died and picked up a fragment of the dragon blood scroll, the last of 9. The system offered him to combine all the fragments, and he agreed. Immediately after, they turned into one large sphere, and the legendary 5-star dragon blood scroll appeared in his hands. He was very happy. He finally got it, but it turns out his loyal friends were not loyal at all. Mu Chen, his best friend and comrade, stabbed him in the back and said that he would take care of the scroll and Ruo Ruo in his stead. The last thing Zhang Yi saw before he died was his smirk. The system reported that Zhang Yi was attacked by Mu Chen's critical strike skill and lost 32 million HP. Since he had no chance of resurrection left, he died. Apocalypse, a virtual reality game, was created by 1,000 of the best designers around the world, cost 3 million yuan, and took 5 years to create. It is a modern action game that tells the story of the mid-21st century, when alien monsters invaded Earth through wormholes and attacked humans. The battle between the two sides caused severe damage to Earth's environment. All human beings living on it were infected and began to mutate, and you won't be able to avoid the disaster unless you log in. All players who don't log in will be killed by the apocalypse system and become NPCs in the game world. However, after the open beta launched, players faced one problem. They couldn't log out of the game and were forced to stay in it forever. This really scared everyone. MC also logged in and stayed in the game for 8 years. And just like that, his best friend and lover betrayed him. Of course, he can't accept it. Fortunately, he regressed. When he opened his eyes, he immediately jumped out of bed, asking them why they betrayed him, and then fell silent, realizing that he was no longer on the battlefield. The calendar showed August 28, 2025. In 2 hours, the gates of the apocalypse world were supposed to open. He was shocked, because at that time, apocalypse hadn't even been introduced yet. He went to the window, opened the curtains, and saw the city streets. That's how he realized he'd returned to a time before the game was announced. He immediately remembered his friend and vowed to make him pay for his betrayal with his life. He immediately sprang into action. The most important thing now was to find the divine talent cards scattered around even before the game began. He decided to search for information online and figured that in Apocalypse, the system would randomly grant all players a talent when they logged in, and rare divine talents could only be activated by finding a card in real life. Sky Fortune, the developer of Apocalypse, released 10 divine talent cards which were randomly scattered throughout the world. If the cards' locations remained the same, then the one closest to him would be on the roof of the Jinmao building, the tallest commercial building in Linhai City. He immediately ran there and climbed onto the roof of the building without any difficulty, and no one even stopped him. Fortunately, he was right. The card was indeed there, right in plain sight. But it turns out he wasn't alone. Lu Chengze, a typical rich idiot, said the entire quest belonged to him, including this card. Zhang Yi replied that he was actually the first one here, and thought this guy was the owner of the last divine talent card from his past life. He was the heir to the largest real estate company in Linhai City. Lu Chengze didn't stand on ceremony with him, and immediately pointed his subordinates at him with guns, shouting that he would show him the consequences of taking what was his. Deftly dodging the bullets, MC ran to the edge of the roof and hid, then glanced at the time and, jumping out of hiding, rushed straight for the divine card. The guy pointed a gun at him and told him not to even think about taking it, but Zhang Yi, of course, ignored him and grabbed the card. But as soon as he looked down, he saw this idiot who had already managed to shoot him. As the bullet was right in front of his face, the clock struck 12 and time stood still. A huge silhouette appeared over the city, waving its arms and solemnly announcing the start of the game. A system window appeared in front of him, asking him to enter the game Apocalypse. He immediately clicked yes, after which he vanished into thin air, and the download of player data began all over the world. Some were playing in the computer club, others were going to work, and they all vanished into thin air as well. This unknown being told them to go to the world designed especially for them. After which all the players appeared in the starting location, in front of a huge eye. MC, with a serious face, said that he had finally returned, after which a divine talent card appeared in front of him. He approached it with anticipation, extended his hand to it, and with a smile, thought that he had finally received it. After that, a girl appeared in front of him, welcoming him to the game and showing him the status window. He is 22 years old and jobless, and his player number is 8857. She welcomed him to Apocalypse, saying that she is his unique gaming spirit. She came to congratulate him on receiving a rare divine talent card for my own use. He took the card, and the system informed him that this skill copies other players' talents, with a cooldown of 1 hour. After that, 3 emblems appeared in front of him, and the spirit told him that there are 3 camps to choose from in the game: the elf camp, the beast camp, and the human camp. He can choose the camp he wants to join. He touched his chin thoughtfully. In his previous life, he chose the human camp. Players in the human camp can increase their prestige rating by 20%. Moreover, in Apocalypse, prestige is the most important thing. The angel asked him to wait, as she had something for him, after which a scroll of dragon blood appeared in her hands, which greatly surprised him. He thought it was funny that the item Mu-Chen wanted ended up being his. The spirit informed him that since the system had detected the dragon blood scroll, a hidden dragon camp had been discovered. He grinned and approached the gate of this camp. As soon as he selected it and touched it, he was transported to a train car, where other players were already. He looked around and noticed that the beginning was the same. The others were all new to everything. They had no idea of the danger they were facing, and were just happy to have ended up in some unknown game. According to the game's plot, their train had derailed, and right now they were waiting for the game to begin. Zhang Yi decided to check his status. Of course, he had the initial stats. Since he belongs to the dragon race, he has a unique gold-tier passive skill, Hell Dragon Flame. Every time he performed a normal attack or used a skill, there was a 0.1 chance to summon a hellish dragon, and all enemies within the radius would take 150% of his attack power as damage. He thought this was pretty good. Despite the skill's proc chance being very low, its effect was almost as good as a divine talent card. Now he had to familiarize himself with the card. It was time to copy someone's skill. The location finally loaded. Their train was in some wasteland. While a man was convincing the others to join his team, MC approached him and touched his shoulder, choosing him as his target. The man immediately waved his hand away, threatening to fight him. He apologized to him with an awkward smile, saying that he had confused him with someone else. The system informed him that he had successfully copied the epic talent Treasure Hunter. This ability gives him the ability to find nearby treasure chests within a 500-meter radius. He thought it was pretty good. The skill level is epic. After that, a man's voice came over the loudspeakers, welcoming them to Apocalypse. He called them his warriors and told them to enjoy the game to their heart's content. After that, the man headed for the exit, but Zhang Yi blocked his path and told him not to act rashly. It was very dangerous outside. The man slapped him on the arm and called him a coward, saying that it was just a game, so there was nothing to be afraid of, then broke the window and told them that they could just hide there and watch him. As soon as he jumped out of the train car, he immediately ran into a giant spider and was killed by it. His game ended because he had no way to be resurrected. The system warned all players of his death, causing everyone to become frightened. The MC said that this wasn't just a game anymore. If they died here, they would die in reality. It was a battle for life. After that, the system gave everyone a survival quest: find a safe zone. They needed to follow the map to find the 86th safe zone in the 8th district, the City of Hope. Their safety was guaranteed there. They were given 4 hours to complete the quest, and as a reward, they would be given the opportunity to be reborn. If they failed, they would die. The woman was terrified and asked what they should do. They were surrounded by monsters. The man said that it looked like they could only gather their strength and attack them head-on. Meanwhile, Zhang Yi was searching the carriage. He took a safety hammer from the top bunk and thought that in his past life, someone in the 7th carriage had used it as a weapon. It turned out to be a disguised blue-grade weapon, and the other players were very jealous of this man. As soon as he picked it up, it turned into a blue-grade ice blade. This weapon is made of cold and meteorite iron. Moreover, there is also a treasure chest hidden in this carriage, and this is where his new ability came in handy. He quickly scanned the carriages for chests and found one under one of the seats, and inside was a blue-grade dragon's breath potion. Since he now had both the potion and the weapon, he jumped out of the carriage, breaking through the ceiling, and immediately began fighting the monsters. The other players were very impressed by what he saw, and one of them told the others to look at this guy's weapon. It's blue-grade. He's simply incredible. Surrounded by so many spiders, even if you have a legendary weapon in your hands, you have to try very hard. MC killed another spider, but they still didn't end, so he started running, and one of the players shouted that this fool really wanted to die. Having moved away from the spider to a safe distance, he turned sharply, and waiting for the monster to come closer, uncorked a potion of dragon's breath, then threw the vial directly at the spider, which immediately caused it to catch fire. After that, he was inundated with level-up notifications, and the system informed him that he had received 50 copper coins and a potion of life. He looked at the spiders' bodies beneath his feet and thought that he didn't know this would be so useful. It would be great if he could get a few more potions of dragon's breath. Meanwhile, the other players were glued to the window, watching him, and someone exclaimed in surprise, "He killed everyone with one attack? This is definitely cheating. Why don't they go and form a team with him? This guy has a lot of potential." Meanwhile, Zhang Yi had made his way to the safe zone, and night had soon fallen. He checked the map and thought he should simply follow the road to the City of Hope. Suddenly, he heard footsteps. He stopped immediately, and a man rushed at him, asking him to save his daughter, who who had been carried off into the forest by monsters. He immediately remembered that in his past life, many players had gotten into trouble in this forest, but there must be a lot of good stuff hidden here. But the man turned out to be more than just a simpleton, and it was clear from his grin. MC, of course, didn't suspect a thing and went off to look for his daughter. He asked him where exactly she had disappeared to, since the forest was very large, but when he turned around, the man had already disappeared. He decided to ignore it and just move on, but he had no idea what awaited him next or who had been watching him all this time. After some time, he finally found the girl in the bushes, crying and clutching her lollipop. He said it was too dangerous here and offered to take her to safety, but then a strange woman and the same man appeared. Seeing her, Zhang became wary, and she thanked the man for bringing her another prey. After that, the system informed him of a new quest, rescuing a girl. He needs to help the girl lost in the dark forest return to the City of Hope. He has 1 hour to complete the task. As a reward, he will receive the Talia ring. MC frowned and thought that in a past life, many players had stumbled upon this hidden quest while exploring the dark forest. Many were happy to take on the quest because of the reward and the experience gained, so he too could not pass up such an opportunity. He accepted the quest, after which the woman immediately turned into a spider and told him to stand still so she could eat him. The sight of this made the girl cry even harder. Zhang Yi told her not to run away. He would deal with her now and take her to the city. He drew his blade and immediately rushed to attack, but as soon as he struck, he realized that she had steel skin. She laughed and exclaimed that his physical attacks were nothing against her. She attacked him. Fortunately, he managed to block her blow and jumped back, after which the spirit said that this was a lovely spider, a rank 20 boss. His skills were not enough to defeat him now. He should be the best. Abandon the task and leave. He answered her that he was not going to leave alone, and she said with a smile that in any case, this was the only way to survive. She believed that he would do the right thing. After that, she disappeared, and he furiously attacked the spider, shouting that everything would not end so easily. He remembered that in the real world, there was a video about a hidden chest nearby. Perhaps it contained a skill book that would help him win. He activated his treasure hunter skill and quickly found the chest. But just as he was about to head for it, a spider suddenly appeared in front of him and attacked. He spun around, dodging her attack, and she dodged, afraid he would strike back. But as he ran past her, she realized he hadn't been targeting her, and he had already opened the chest. The spider turned to him, furiously summoning her monsters, and the system congratulated him on acquiring a blue quality item. He received the Chain Lightning skill book. He was delighted that he was right, after which the system showed him the skill description. It releases a chain of lightning bolts that can bounce from enemy to enemy, dealing 200 damage. Each attack that kills an enemy increases the chain's damage by 10%. The spider used her magic and swung, commanding the spiders to destroy him. Meanwhile, he studied the skill book and immediately touched the ground with chain lightning. Seeing this, the monster was terrified, and MC turned to her, shot lightning at her, and told her to experience the power of a true attack. After this, she immediately fell dead, and the system congratulated him on his victory, having received the epic weapon Poison Dagger. The blade, imbued with spider venom, poisons the enemy, dealing 20 damage per second. He was very happy with this acquisition, after which he took the girl by the hand and led her to the city. When they arrived, they noticed that there were already many players around. Among them, of course, was Lu Chengze. He immediately recognized him, and his subordinate exclaimed indignantly, "Didn't he appropriate his divine talent card?" The guy clenched his fist in rage and ordered him to keep an eye on him, while the girls smiled at Zhang Yi and thanked him for his help. She was home now. It was time for the reward. He received the Talia ring, which increases luck by 55 points. He thought it was luck equipment. In Apocalypse, luck is a very rare attribute. The higher the player's luck, the more generous the reward for quests. Suddenly, someone's voice and a measured knock were heard. A man gathered players around him and began beckoning clients to him, telling them to pay for the upgrade. He wouldn't take money for failure. He had already managed to upgrade someone's weapon several times, and MC approached another player and asked, "Are they using cheats? How can the chance of a successful upgrade be so high?" He answered with a smile that he simply didn't understand anything. His talent was forging and upgrading. Meanwhile, the guy finished upgrading, and all the other players applauded him for forging such a powerful weapon. Zhang Yi grinned, deciding to copy his skill and succeeding. Now the chance of upgrading equipment is increased by 50%. He approached the anvil and placed a poisonous dagger on it, then began hammering the weapon and was able to upgrade it all the way to level 15. Even the other guy was envious of this. MC looked at his weapon with pride and thought that with this talent, he wouldn't have to worry about upgrading equipment in the future, and it could also turn into a good business opportunity. The other players were very surprised by his skills, and someone exclaimed that this guy had an epic level 15 weapon. It's hard enough to find, let alone an epic rarity. Where did this guy come from? At that moment, Zhang Yi felt tired. It turned out his stamina bar was almost empty. The spirit advised him to go to the nearest tavern to rest, and he decided to follow her advice. A tavern is a special place where players can rest after battle. He took a room for himself and heard two players talking behind him. The The man asked if he had seen the World Channel. Someone had managed to complete a secret quest in the dark forest. His friend smiled and remarked that this guy was very lucky. He even managed to obtain an epic weapon. MC smiled and thought that luck is also a part of strength, but he had done his best to plan for these two stats. After that, he went up to his room and, lying on his bed, thought. Moving forward, he needed to reach level 20 as quickly as possible and change his profession so he could learn more powerful skills. After a player reaches level 20, they can change their profession to one of 7 classes: Knight, Berserker, Assassin, Mage, Archer, Priest, and Beast Tamer. He remembered Mu Chen, and the mere thought of him immediately made him angry, and said that when they met, he would pay for his betrayal. In the morning, he went into the forest. He was being followed, and he had noticed them long ago. He was fed up with it all and told them to get out, after which Chengze emerged from behind the bushes and said that he was very lucky last time, but now he wouldn't be able to escape again. After that, his friends emerged, the system activated forced PK mode, and Chengze decided to start a fight. Zhang Yi smirked and told him to try it. He was just about to show him his new skill, Lightning Chain. But just as he was about to shoot lightning at him, it disappeared, and he looked at his palm in confusion, asking what happened. Was he silenced? The silence skill prevents the player from using skills. Chengze smiled contentedly and said that he wouldn't be able to use his skills for 2 whole minutes, so he should accept his fate. Immediately after, a man punched him right in the face, but he withstood the blow without a problem, not even a bruise. Because of this, the attacker immediately jumped back and nervously asked, "What's going on?" He was taking almost no damage. His friend pointed out that his equipment was too powerful. Their level was insufficient. Chengze stepped forward and angrily called them a bunch of trash, ordering them to get out of his way and watch. MC immediately noticed that his weapon was blue rarity, and it was upgraded to level 15. Streams of energy swirled around his opponent. He aimed at him and said that he would see if he could withstand this as calmly. After that, a meteor shower of arrows fell on MC, each hit dealing 15 to 50 damage. He withstood it all without a problem, and thought that the total number of arrows exceeded 100, so he would be able to meet all the conditions. He ordered the Hell Dragon to come out, and when its silhouette appeared behind him, these guys became very nervous, and even started to run. MC waved his hand, unleashing the Hell Dragon's flames on them, and they scattered, but the flames caught them, and they died. Zhang Yi picked up Chengze's weapon, and thought that he was initially a little worried about how to reach level 20, but he brought him experience and equipment. It was a level 15 silver moon bow. The supposed skill is meteor shower of arrows. The arrow splits into hundreds of pieces and falls from the sky like meteorites. After that, the system congratulated him on reaching level 20. To change his profession, he needed to go to the main city, find an officer, and pass a test. After a while, his enemies respawned at the fountain, and by that point he had returned to the city. He approached Chengze and thanked him for the weapon. It would come in handy. The guy angrily said he'd pay for it, but MC ignored him and went in search of the officer, wishing him luck. He finally found him. It was a huge NPC. He told him about his desire to change his profession, and the NPC opened a portal to the dungeon for him. Once on the other side, he saw representatives of various professions and thought that the most unpopular of them was Beast Tamer. He thoughtfully approached the man and thought that although they could make their beasts do all the dirty work, raising them was quite a difficult task. He doesn't want to choose a Beast Tamer because when raising beasts, all resources gained are divided between the tamer and the beasts. Resources are very rare in Apocalypse, so later, due to their shortage, tamers simply won't be able to develop, making them the weakest profession. But the most suitable professions for the dragon race are Knight and Beast Tamer. Knight sounds like a good choice, but with its strong start, it becomes weaker in the late stages of the game. In his past life, many players died because of this, but Beast Tamer is unique. Thanks to his divine talent, he can receive 10 times more resources than others, and using the dragon race, he will be able to gather strong companions and create the perfect team. Noticing how he stared at him for a long time, Beast Tamer said that he had been waiting here for a very long time. Before Zhang Yi made his choice, the angel advised him to think carefully. The right profession would make his life much easier, but he didn't listen to her and chose Beast Tamer. Afterward, the man touched his forehead and granted him a new class, and a ring appeared on his finger. Afterward, he returned to the City of Hope, and an NPC congratulated him on his successful profession change. At that moment, 2 players passed by, discussing something with displeasure. The man exclaimed that he had said from the very beginning that the City of Dead Spirits was very dangerous. Because of an elite monster, they all died, and he lost so much equipment. His friend asked, who could have known that an ordinary monster could be so powerful? He should stop blaming him for everything. Why didn't he say anything when they entered? MC smiled and thought that this was his first dungeon. With experience from his past life and a properly assembled team, killing the boss shouldn't be difficult. Just in time, a nearby team started looking for players who had reached level 20 and changed their profession, and Zhang Yi fit their requirements perfectly. A mage named Han Yaru approached them and asked to join the team, and the leader, Wang Hao, extended his hand with a smile, saying they had a spot. MC excitedly ran up to him and asked him to join the team too, but upon seeing his profession, he hesitated. Most likely, he was just a mage with no skills, but since they needed one more person, he reluctantly agreed to take him on. After that, they all went to the city of dead spirits, and Wang Hao turned to Zhang Yi, asking if he hadn't seen the news on the World Channel. Beast Tamer has the lowest damage among all. He replied that he chose this profession because he likes raising animals, and the girl chuckled. Immediately after, arrows flew at them. They barely managed to dodge them, and the team leader warned them to be careful. Enemies were approaching. They drew their weapons and were immediately attacked by a squad of skeleton warriors. The team leader deflected one of the warriors' attacks and turned to the players, saying that he was leaving the ranged monsters to them. The girl immediately threw off her robe, revealing her beauty to everyone, and began swinging her staff, raining fireballs down on the skeletons. One of them approached her from behind and was about to slit her throat, but MC intervened. Crows circled around him, and he waved his hand and directed them at the skeletons. This was his skill: summon a flock of crows. The deadly crows distract the enemy and deal 50 magic damage. After this, Zhang Yi himself entered the battle, killing the skeleton, and the girl fearfully thanked him. Then he grabbed her hand and ran with her to the team, saying that these monsters were undead, so they would soon come to life and they needed to get out of here. Wang Hao ordered everyone to move forward, and they reached a huge castle. MC said that the boss was inside. The tactic was simple. The knight would take on the boss and hold him back, and they would deal damage from behind. They only needed to dodge the boss's area of effect magic attacks in the second stage. Wang Hao asked how he knew everything so well. Had he been here before? He answered that it was not so. He was simply speaking from experience in online games. After that, he headed to the boss's room and took out his poison dagger. The man, as soon as he saw this, immediately smirked and thought, how can an ordinary newbie have an epic weapon, and also such knowledge of the dungeon? He was definitely lying. He's confident he has a lot of good stuff. It looks like they'll make a big profit this time. After that, they entered the castle. Zhang Yi told them to hurry, as if the team split up, it would be very dangerous. He had no idea that the three were up to something bad. Suddenly, the doors closed, and the team leader's voice came from behind them, shouting that they could stay there and that they would be back soon. Yaru exclaimed indignantly, "What are they doing?" They were on the same team. MC smirked, noting that they were on a bad team. They wanted the boss to get rid of them. Then they would take the experience and rewards for themselves. The sound of chains was heard, and he exclaimed that it was too late. He was here. Then a huge chunk of ice flew out of the smoke. He grabbed the girl's hand and pulled her toward himself, helping her dodge the blow, and she thanked him for his help. After that, a level 30 undead archmage appeared in front of them. He spread his arms out to the sides, casting magic, and Zhang Yi nervously said that without a tank, they wouldn't be able to withstand his attack. Yaru touched the ground, and warriors began to emerge from beneath her, which greatly surprised him. She explained to him that she had summoned them with the soul summoning talent, but they wouldn't last long. They needed to figure out how to get out of here. These warriors immediately stood up to defend them, but they could only hold out for 5 minutes. When their shield cracked, MC rushed to attack, shouting that he only needed a little time, then used the chain lightning skill and said that he knew the weakness of this boss, so she could leave the rest to him. She promised to cover him, then shot fireballs at the archmage, and then her warriors appeared right in front of him. Meanwhile, Zhang Yi noticed a precious stone behind the archmage's neck and realized that it was his source of energy, and also his weakness. He extended his hand forward, summoning a flock of crows, and while he was distracted by them, he pounced on him and swung his dagger, striking. The crystal shattered. The archmage immediately screamed loudly in pain and died, and the system congratulated him on defeating the boss, his level increasing to 25. As a reward, he received a staff of flowing light of epic rarity. This weapon has the skill Icy Wind Scream, which unleashes a blizzard that freezes enemies within 100 meters for 5 seconds and deals 500 magic damage. The recharge time is 1 hour. He was very happy with such a reward, and when he handed it to the girl, she was surprised. He said that this weapon is for a mage. It is completely useless to him. Besides, if she hadn't used her talent, they would have already died. Meanwhile, one of the players turned to Wang Hao and said that the movement inside had stopped. The boss should have dealt with them by now. He smiled, slung the sword over his shoulder, and told them to go in and collect the trophy. But when they broke down the doors and found themselves inside, they were surprised to find that they had survived and even defeated the boss. MC smirked and asked if they were upset that they didn't see dead people in their place. The team member became very nervous and turned to the leader, saying that they had managed to kill the boss. It seems they underestimated them. Wang Hao slammed his heavy sword into the ground with a loud thud and exclaimed, "What are they afraid of? They must be on their last legs by now." After that, they all rushed forward. The team leader leaped at Zhang Yi, who spread his arms out to protect the girl and shouted, "Why are they betraying their comrades?" This man reminded him of his traitorous friend, after which he confidently grabbed Yaro's hand and copied her skill. Just as the man was about to strike, he summoned the soul of an undead archmage and set him on the guys, shouting that they were very lucky. The archmage immediately turned them into chunks of ice, and the team leader exclaimed, "How could he have revived the boss?" The ice started to crack, causing them all to die, and since they had no chance of being revived, they died in reality as well. As soon as the threat was gone, MC lost all his strength and fell to the ground, and the system informed him that his stamina had reached its minimum, and that he needed to quickly go to the rest area. Yaru was so worried about him that she even burst into tears, and his eyes began to slowly close, and he wondered what was happening. He was so tired and wanted to sleep. After that, he fell into a memory. When he was little, he played a game with his father, but since he always won, he got bored and asked when he was going to buy him something new. His father told him that if he beat him, he would buy him a new game, and he happily asked, "Is that true? Then he will definitely get first place." After that, his father left, and he told him in his thoughts that he was now stuck in the game, and it looked like he wouldn't be able to play with him anymore. Soon he woke up in his room in the tavern. He got up and grabbed his head, thinking that everything hurt so much. How long had he slept? While he was pouring himself some water, he noticed a letter on the table, and it turned out that the girl had written it. She thanked him for saving her. When he saw this letter, she would most likely have already left to look for her older brother. The storage ring contained all the things that those people had. Perhaps they would be useful to him someday, and she hoped that they would meet in the future. He took the ring with a smile and said her name, then looked into his inventory and, seeing their items, was surprised to notice that this group had already killed a lot of players. There was so much stuff there. Now he didn't have to worry about equipment at all. He just had to find himself a beast. He opened the map and thought that, if his memory serves him correctly, there was a hidden dungeon in the northern part called Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. This is the only dungeon that can contain beasts up to level 40. Of course, this place is not that easy. You need to choose your teammates wisely. If he runs into guys like those, he'll be in big trouble. After that, he went out into the city streets and thought that finding reliable teammates was much more difficult. He saw several beautiful girls inviting other players to join a guild, and an idea came to him. How come he hadn't thought of this before? After that, he went to the guild building and thought that in his past life, when he logged in, he immediately teamed up with Mu Chen and forgot that a guild is the best way to recruit players. As soon as he entered, the manager greeted him, and he told her that he wanted to create a guild. She asked him to choose a name, and he remembered his father's words. The game's creator is a deity, and the players are people who challenge the god, and the only way to win is to hunt gods. He chose God Hunt as the name for his guild, and the manager told him he could now invite other players to join him. He checked his guild's status and wondered if he really had to hand out flyers on the street. Recruiting people through flyers was too random. He needed to go to a place where there would be many experts. According to the schedule, the first competition should begin after the survival mission, and this is where experts gather from all over. After that, he opened a window with a special mission, a competition. To celebrate the player's arrival, the City of Hope will hold the first competition with one-on-one duels, open to all players who have changed their profession. The winner will receive an amazing reward, 100 gold and 1 rare skill. He accepted the mission and immediately teleported to the competition venue. The host welcomed them all to the first duel competition and to the paradise for true fighters, the Celestial Arena. Zhang Yi looked around at the other players. They had already reached level 30, while he was still at 25, but this couldn't continue. He needed to level up faster. At that moment, the first duel began, an assassin versus a mage. The other players began cheering for them, and someone said they were curious about the mage's equipment. He didn't even move, even though the assassin was right in front of him. A mage named Wuki swung his staff, trapping the assassin in Shadow Prison, and the player exclaimed in surprise, "Where did this guy get an epic skill?" Shadow Prison is a level 41 mage exclusive skill. It paralyzes the enemy and deals shadow damage. The duration of the paralysis and the damage depend on the skill's damage. The assassin got nervous and, to avoid losing, decided to pay him with money and asked how much money he needed to give up. 1,000,000? When they left the competition, he would immediately transfer the required amount. The magician chuckled and thought that if only he had 1,000,000 at that time, his company would have continued to exist and not gone bankrupt. His wife and daughter would not have died. And when he was about to end it all, Apocalypse appeared, and the universe gave him another chance. He told the assassin that he would not lose and would never give up. There was no room for failure and defeat in his new life. He used magic on the assassin, after which the system congratulated him on defeating the player and successfully advancing to the next round. The magician cast a threatening glance at the others and said that they would all fall before him. And MC, slightly nervous, thought that this guy was good. Meanwhile, the system completed the random selection for his first round. He needed to go to the appropriate site at the appointed time. The system chose a guy named Duan Feng as his opponent. Zhang Yi thought that in his past life, he had often seen this name in the World Channel. He could solo many difficult dungeons. He should recruit him. The system told him to go to platform 20, after which he immediately teleported there, and Duan Feng said that he was finally here. He had been waiting for him for a long time, so they would start right away. Seeing that he was a level 35 knight, he became very nervous and thought that the game had just begun, and he was already such a high level. Was he a leveling up maniac? Duan Feng stood up and said that his level was low, so he would let him attack first. Otherwise, it would look like he was enjoying a huge advantage. Now he would see if he could hold his own. Let him attack. MC summoned his ravens and advised him not to look down on others. The winner and loser had not yet been decided. Duanfang pulled out his weapon and said he respected his self-confidence, so he wanted to test his skills. His exclusive knight skill, Sword Guardian, summons multiple sword souls. Each can withstand 500 damage and has a reflective property. The number of swords increases with leveling. Zhang Yi was immediately hit by the skill's reflected damage and thought that he had said he would let him strike first, so it must have been a trap. Duanfeng asked if he was afraid to fight. He remained silent and thought that if he wanted to damage him, he would first need to break through 4 sword souls. Each sword could withstand 500 damage. This meant he would need to take 2,000 reflected damage, and he only had 2,000 HP. Duanfeng's swords were enveloped in energy, and he rushed to attack, saying that in a duel, hesitation only gives your opponent an opportunity to kill you. Is he really that stupid? He reflected his blow and thought that if this continues, he will lose. He needs to think of a way to get rid of the swords. He remembered the storage ring. It contained undead armor with the undead guardian skill. He won't die if he takes fatal damage and will recover 10% of his HP. He immediately put on the armor, hoping that the skill will work, and then rushed to attack with chain lightning. Duanfeng asked, is he so eager to die? With his swords, he will die from his skill before he can even hit him. He swung and said with a smile that this is the end. But when he struck, his skill worked and his HP increased, but his swords began to break. Because of Zhang Yi's strike, they completely broke. And Duanfeng thought with surprise, did he not die from the reflected damage of the sword souls? MC attacked him, and the system informed him that he had received a critical hit from a poisonous dagger with 2,500 HP. Zhang Yi screamed that he was finished, and when Duanfeng fell to the floor, the system congratulated Zhang Yi on his victory and successful advancement to the next round. He extended his hand to the guy and said that he was very strong. If not for his equipment, he would have lost without even doing anything. Would he like to join his guild? He has a difficult hidden dungeon in mind. If they work together, they will pass it without any problems. Duanfeng accepted his help and noted that he was definitely not that simple, since he received undead armor. He lost because he underestimated him. As for his guild, let him give him time to think everything over. Meanwhile, the host congratulated everyone who managed to pass the first round of the competition. It was time for the next matchmaking through the World Channel. Meanwhile, Wu Qi encountered a new opponent. It turned out to be Yaru. One of the players asked the others, have you seen that girl? They better not underestimate her. She easily defeated her opponent last round. The guy next to him excitedly said that this fight would be interesting then, that a battle of the strongest mages would now begin. Wu Qi, meanwhile, told her not to even think that he would spare her. There was no such thing as compassion in the arena. She told him to stop talking and let him show what he was capable of. Players gradually began to gather around the arena, and the MC, hearing another player calling for the others to see the strongest mage, thought that if he could recruit such a player, that would be good. Duanfeng told him that he would go level up a bit. If he wanted to ask anything, he could write in the guild chat. Zhang Yi merely shrugged in response, after which Duanfeng joined his guild and said he hoped he'd see the notification that he'd become champion later. Otherwise, it would feel like he'd lost for nothing. He left, and MC sighed heavily, thinking that he'd only just joined his guild, and he was already feeling so much pressure. He'll definitely be a good teammate. First, he should look at the strongest mages. He could use another expert. When he pushed through the crowd closer to the arena, he was surprised to see Yaru and that guy. Meanwhile, she looked at her opponent with a serious expression and emitted flames. Suddenly, she attacked him with an icy wind, causing his feet to freeze to the floor, and he exclaimed with a smile that she had a pretty good staff, but it would soon be his. She offered to talk to him if he could survive, then unleashed a meteor shower on him. The spectators were delighted. She was so strong. Could Wu Qi really lose that easily? Why wasn't he doing anything? Zhang Yi thought that even though it looked like Yaru was winning, he had a bad feeling about this. Wu Qi suddenly smirked, and then there was an explosion. The blast wave spread throughout the arena and even extended beyond it, and when the smoke cleared, everyone saw that they had both disappeared somewhere. MC became nervous and wondered what had happened to Yaru. How did Wu Qi know a skill he had never seen in his past life? Wu Qi appeared in the arena with the defeated girl, and taking her staff, said that if she hadn't met him, she would have easily reached the finals with such fighting ability. The other players began to be outraged by his shamelessness. He not only beat the girl, but also took her weapon. Zhang Yi climbed into the arena and helped Yaru up, and she apologized to him, because it was he who gave her the staff, and she was unable to protect it. He told her to leave it to him. He would reach the finals and return her staff. After that, he won a series of victories, and after countless rounds, finally, 2 participants remained who would fight for the champion title. The first player was the wandering mage, Wu Qi, and the second was the one and only beast tamer, Zhang Yi. People gathered around the arena, and someone among them said that this beast tamer was just a savage. He would never have thought that he would reach the finals. Isn't this the guy who killed the spider in the dark forest? He knew he was cool back then. Meanwhile, Wuchi said that he looked like he was ready to eat him alive. He answered him with displeasure that what he hated most was those who took things from other people, immediately after which his opponent stabbed his staff into the floor, splitting it, and said with a laugh that if he wanted to take it so much, then let him attack. One of the players asked, "What's going on? Did they disappear again?" He used the same trick. Let them at least show them how to fight. They don't want to look into the air. Meanwhile, they both found themselves in a space of nothingness. And now MC understood why Yahello had disappeared back then too. Wuchi created a separate space. This is his legendary skill. Here he can increase his damage by 30%, and the enemy's damage is reduced. This lasts for 5 minutes. Wuchi said with a smirk that no one can defeat him in this space. Besides, it absorbs the chance of revival, and he will still remain here. If he admits defeat, he will spare him. Zhang Yi immediately rushed to attack and thought that this idiot does not relax for a second, so he won't be able to copy his talent, and summoning crows is painless here. Wuchi swung his staff, firing several shadow arrows at him, which took off 700 of his HP, and he thought that if this continues he will die. But if after death he can live in the same space, then an idea came to him. He pointed the blade at himself with a smirk, and Wuchi wondered in surprise, what is he doing? After that, MC stabbed himself with the blade. The system said that he received fatal damage and died. He was detected to have 1 chance of revival, so he is revived. Immediately after that, Zhang Yi used the soul summoning skill, creating a double of himself, and the guy furiously asked, did he dare to play games with him? He summoned crows and in response exclaimed that even if he lost another chance of revival, he would not get off so easily. Birds attacked the mage from all sides, and he began to wave them off, telling him to leave. He hated crows the most. MC smiled and warned him that he was starting, then rushed into the attack with his double, saying they'd see if he felt any difference this time. They both attacked, and Wuchi noted that he was too fast, completely different from before. Zhang Yi and his double unleashed chain lightning on him, causing him to cry out in pain and begin to fall, but he quickly rose, thinking that he wouldn't lose. Not again. He took 800 damage from the double chain lightning, but it didn't break him, and, using his magic, he shouted that he would never lose. A dagger appeared behind Zhang Yi's back. Wuchi pointed it at him and wished him death, but fortunately, his double quickly reacted and took the full blow. If not for him, MC would have died. He didn't even notice the dagger. Immediately after that, he rushed into the attack with a gloomy expression and slamming his head into the ice, exclaimed, "He's saying he won't lose?" He dealt him another powerful blow. The space cracked and the system congratulated him on defeating Wu Qi and acquiring the champion title. After that, they returned to the arena and he took the staff, and the players said in surprise that this couldn't be. Is it already over? They didn't even see anything. Wu Qi was now badly beaten, and that served him right. He was the first to take the staff from the girl. The host entered the arena and, declaring Zhang Yi the winner, addressed all the other players and told them to congratulate the competition champion. Someone shouted with delight that a beast tamer could become champion. It was simply amazing. Yaru, meanwhile, looked at him with a smile and thought that he really did it. Now it was time for the reward. The host pointed to the chest and said that when he opened it, he would receive a random piece of historical rarity equipment. MC thought with a smile that this was simply wonderful. The level 20 poisonous dagger was already time for a replacement, so he could use a new weapon. As soon as he opened the chest, the system congratulated him on receiving the Sword of Ice and Fire. He glanced at his new weapon with a smile and thought that he hadn't wasted the chance of rebirth. He became champion, returned the staff, and even got this. It was worth it. He put away his weapon and finally told his opponent not to think that he can do whatever he wants just because they are in the game. Therefore, he advises him to become a more decent person. Having picked up the staff, he approached Yoro, and she congratulated him on the champion title, and other players began asking to be his friend. He ignored them and returned the staff to the girl, asking, she also wrote in the letter that she wants to find her brother, right? After that, he invited her to the guild, and she agreed. But after becoming champion, there were a lot of people wanting to join him. He grabbed Yaru by the hand and ran away from his fans who were asking him to add them as friends. They teleported to the City of Hope, and he caught his breath, saying that for the first time so many people were running after him. If people didn't know anything, they would think he owed them all money. He checked the guild status and thought that the places are not infinite. You can't add random people. At the moment, he only lacks a healer, but even with Duan Fen and Yarrow, they can complete the Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. The system informed him that there are only 10 spots available in the first level guild. Each level increases the limit by 5. Suddenly, Zhang Yi noticed a suspicious guy. He immediately stood up to protect the girl and exclaimed, "Who is he and what does he want?" Yaru peeked out from behind him in surprise and said, "That's Qinglong. What is he doing here, and where is her older brother?" He replied that he just saw her at the entrance to the city and decided to follow them. Her brother was busy with something important, so he left him to guard her. MC asked her if she knew him, She confirmed this and said that he was a friend of her older brother. After this, Zhang Yi immediately relaxed and said that they were going to the dungeon, and he immediately volunteered to go with them. Duanfeng was already waiting for them at the entrance to the dungeon. He told Zhang Yi that he had leveled up quite well. They hadn't seen each other for long, and he had already become a champion and found 2 strong allies. He smiled and remarked that he seemed to be in a good mood. Was he leveling up again? Since everyone was here, they needed to go in. They didn't even suspect it, but someone was watching them. One of the guys said that they were entering the dungeon and that they should inform the boss and call people. The tomb was a large palace. There were statues in the corridor, and Yaru noticed that they were so beautiful. They looked just like the real thing. She took a closer look at one of them, but suddenly the statue began to crumble right before her eyes. It turned out that a knight was hiding under the stone. They immediately huddled together, and MC told them to be careful. These were the main monsters of the dungeon. He called out to Duanfeng and said that he would be the tank and that they would cover him. After that, they began to break forward, sticking closer to each other. And when one of the knights swung to strike, Duanfeng exclaimed that these idiots weren't enough to kill him. He drew his sword and instantly parried the enemy's blow, then wished him death and rushed forward, striking several knights at once. And then a Dragon Blood Knight, a level 35 enemy, appeared at the top of the stairs. He sized up the players with his gaze, then tugged his horse's reins and galloped down. Duanfeng was a little nervous, but he pulled himself together in time and used his sword defense skill, protecting himself and the others, and then drew his weapon. He used the skill's Sword Whirlwind, dealing an area attack, and when it was over, he sheathed it. The Dragon Blood Knight, now without his horse and comrades, raised his sword and addressed Lord Shigura, asking him to wake up. Meanwhile, in the Tower of Eternity, a man sat and carefully observed all of Zhang Yi's actions. His assistant approached him and remarked that he was clearly interested in this man. He confirmed this and said that he saw a reflection of an old acquaintance in him. Perhaps his eyes were deceiving him, since that man was no longer there. He stared thoughtfully at the screen, remembering how he pushed that man into the fiery pit, after which he decided to increase the difficulty of the dungeon. Meanwhile, a new opponent appeared before them, the greedy dragon Shigura. He absorbed the power of his deceased subordinates and became a second-rank dragon emperor. Seeing him, MC was very surprised and thought that since he was of such a high rank, this meant that the egg that dropped after his death would be even better. The dragon began to spew flames, causing their HP to plummet, and one of the team members exclaimed that the enemy was too strong. If this continued, they would all die. Zhang Yi told them to split up and run as far away as possible. They needed to do everything possible to avoid its attack. When the dragon was very close, he told Duanfeng to use sword defense, and at that moment the knight's blade was covered in flames, and then the entire dungeon began to shake. The dragon roared, crushing everything around, and Duanfeng, using his skill, exclaimed that it was useless. Its damage was too high. He was able to block this attack, but on the next breath, the shield would break. MC said to leave it to him, and as soon as the dragon's breath ended, he ran towards the enemy with Qinglong and told him to hit him in the eyes. That was his only weakness. Qinglong took aim and fired a level 4 sleep arrow at the dragon, stunning its target for 4 seconds. The arrow hit it square in the jaw, causing it to immediately begin to fall. Zhang Yi rushed to his side, saying that hitting the dragon's weak point would temporarily weaken it, so they needed to attack together. The guys said it was their turn, while Yaru cast an ice spell on the dragon. MC changed the attribute of his new weapon to ice and delivered a powerful blow to the dragon's head, killing it. Afterward, they received their rewards, and he, glancing at the items, delightedly said that, as expected, higher-rank bosses give more rewards. Duanfeng, excited, offered to show them the rewards, and Zhang Yi said they could keep all the equipment for themselves. He only needed the egg. At that moment, several players entered the dungeon. They were going to kill Zhang Yi and fired several arrows at him, but Qinglong protected him, taking the full brunt of the blow. He received fatal damage, causing his body to disintegrate. MC worriedly asked why he sacrificed himself for him. He answered that it was all because he once saved Yaru, so he was just repaying the debt. He shouldn't worry about him. He had a chance to be reborn. He would wait for them in the city, and he hoped that he could protect Yaru. Watching him disappear, Zhang Yi gritted his teeth, then turned to those players and exclaimed, "Who are they?" They attacked from behind, like the last rats. They only laughed in response. Of course, it was that same Lu Chengze, who wouldn't leave him alone. He stepped forward and said that he told him that the day would come when he would pay. And it so happened that today was that day. MC was slightly surprised when he saw him, and when his friends pulled out their weapons, he asked them not to interfere, as he had a personal score to settle with him. He cut his palm and dripped blood onto the dragon egg, after which it immediately cracked and the image of a winged beast appeared before him. He thought in surprise, so this is what a dragon egg, the rarest beast in the entire apocalypse, is like? He extended his hand to the dragon and said that he wanted to make a contract with it, after which the image of the beast touched his hand, thus giving consent. As soon as the contract was concluded, the eggshell completely broke and a small dragon appeared. Everyone froze at what they saw, and Duanfeng asked, "Do all beast tamers really have to be this cute?" Chengze was slightly shocked, But suddenly he laughed very loudly and told the others just to look at him. He could easily crush him even with one hand. The dragon didn't like his words at all, which made him nervous and ask, "What's wrong?" Was he upset? "Just please don't bite." But the dragon couldn't stand all this mockery and breathed fire at them, causing all the players to die instantly. The last one standing was shocked and wondered how one beast could deal so much damage. After that, he used a teleportation scroll and disappeared, and the little dragon flew to its master. Zhang Yi said that it was a shame their leader had escaped, but they had to go back already. Yahello was very angry about their attack and asked, "Who do they think they are? Who are they anyway?" MC thoughtfully said that judging by the symbols on their equipment, they must be people from another camp or race, but he had no idea what they were doing here. Yahello was very surprised and wondered what this symbol could mean. Afterwards, they returned to the city, where Qinglong was already waiting for them. Upon seeing the little dragon, he delightedly said that they were even able to bring back such a cutie. The dragon wasn't happy with the attention and became angry, and Zhang Yi warned him to be careful. He had a rather aggressive nature. The system informed everyone that, due to the players of Zone 886 killing the greedy dragon emperor, Shigure, in the secret dungeon, the world boss, the Golden Skeleton King, would appear in the City of Hope earlier. This greatly surprised MC. He hadn't known that killing the secret dungeon boss accelerated the world boss's arrival. This hadn't happened in his past life. Immediately after, the clouds over the city thickened, and green light began to penetrate them. The dragon hid under his clothes in fear, and Yaru worriedly noted that this skeleton king had quite a dramatic appearance. How strong was he? Zhang Yi replied that he was very strong and reflected on how, in his past life, he had single-handedly destroyed half of the City of Hope, thereby killing almost 60% of the players. The new city, Apocalypse, would only open after killing the Golden Skeleton King, and there he could find Mu Chen. Some time passed, somewhere unknown. A subordinate came to the man and brought him 2 dragon eggs. He inquired why one was missing, and the subordinate replied that in Zone 886, they had met a beast tamer who had killed Shigure before them and made a contract with the Black Dragon. He smiled and remarked that this was interesting. Dismissing his subordinate, he entered his secret room to admire the pile of dragon eggs. Meanwhile, the world boss, the Golden Skeleton King, arrived in the City of Hope. The system notified all players of this and told them to defend the city, while the skeleton sadly turned to his fallen friend Shigure and apologized for being late. But today he will kill them all to avenge him. Meteors fell from the sky onto the city, and explosions covered the streets. Skeletons emerged from the fire, and the players watching this began to curse. This is a level 50 world boss, which is too much of a difficulty increase. Someone asked, but if they kill him, shouldn't he drop good equipment? What idiot even brought him to the city? The system gave everyone a quest to defend the City of Hope. The 3 players who deal the most damage to the Skeleton King will receive excellent rewards, a large amount of experience and gold, as well as legendary equipment. If they fail, all players in Zone 886 will die. MC glanced at the monster and thought that, just like in his previous life, in addition to killing him, they needed to inflict as much damage as possible on him to get good loot. This time, he would have to act faster. He turned to his comrades and told them to stop panicking. The Golden Skeleton King moves very slowly. All they need to do is maintain a 100-meter distance and use ranged attacks. They must listen to his instructions, and they will definitely kill him. He rushed toward the skeleton and told Duan Feng to attract the mobs, and the rest would go with him to the boss. They split up, and when the Skeleton King saw the enemies approaching him, he ordered his warriors to deal with them. Zhang Yi gave his friends the command to attack, and within seconds they clashed with the skeletons. Other players joined them, but the skeletons proved too strong. The healers quickly worked on the players' wounds, and the MC, cutting down another monster, told everyone to return to the city. It was too dangerous here. The female healer, Xiaoi, glanced at him, and when the Skeleton King summoned another group of warriors, Zhang Yi told his friends to be careful with them. He asked Duan Feng to break their formation, and he immediately drew his swords and rushed forward. The skeletons ran after him. He turned sharply and swung his weapon, using the sword whirlwind skill. Meanwhile, some guy approached his guild leader and, glancing at Zhang Yi, said that if this continued, all the bounty would go to the people from the God Hunting Guild. The man ordered him to contact the other guild leaders and not let them take the bounty for themselves. He glanced at Zhang Yi and, casting a spell, thought, how dare he show off? MC, meanwhile, was just about to attack the boss, but a fireball flew into his back, and he turned to the man, indignantly asking what the hell he was doing. He smiled and said that of course, they were here to collect the bounty for the world boss. They wouldn't let them take it all for themselves. Zhang Yi thought they were just another bunch of greedy idiots. Do they really think they can handle the Skeleton King alone? Not only do they refuse to help, but they're also causing trouble. He said he doesn't have time to mess with them. If they want the reward so much, then let them take it by force. The boss is right in front of them, isn't he? The Skeleton King got angry and called them all pathetic humans seeking their own death. He will send them to hell. He raised his weapon above his head and then swung it at them. Half the players died and the other half survived under shields. MC rushed forward, worried about his friends, and when he saw the healer who had erected that shield, he was surprised that she hadn't left. She said that she saw that his team had enough healers, so she thought she could help. He thanked her for her help, and at that moment, Qinglong warned Yarrow of the danger. She couldn't move because her leg was stuck in the rubble. When she looked up, she realized the boss was looking right at her. Zhang Yi worriedly warned her of the danger, and the Skeleton King pounced on her, saying there was no point in resisting. Death was the only way out. She was terrified to see his sword right in front of her, but fortunately, her brother, Ba Huang, arrived in time to help. He blocked the monster's blow and told his sister to run away from here, and the king noted that there was another one here, seeking his own death. Does he really think he can defeat him? He is the king of death, and he hasn't even begun to use his full power. He laughed, and Ba Huang, with a smirk, told him to show him how strong the so-called king of death can be, after which he jumped high and dealt him several powerful blows. His health bar hadn't even dropped to half, but he expected the world boss to be strong. The skeleton laughed and asked, "Is that all? He doesn't even feel ticklish." Ba Huang smiled and told him not to be so overconfident. It was just a warm-up. He entered a berserk state. This exclusive berserk combat form reduces his HP by 146 every second. For every 1% of HP lost, the skill increases its damage by 10%. After that, Ba Huang drew 2 heavy swords and swung them, dealing powerful damage to the enemy. This caused the Skeleton King to fall, and the guy smirked and asked, "Doesn't it tickle him so much now?" The boss was furious. He immediately got up and swung his sword, exclaiming that he would pay for this. Ba Huang attacked back, and when the skeleton struck, he recoiled. Meanwhile, MC glanced at his health bar and worriedly thought that he was relying on the skill to get stronger, but his HP was almost 0. Any mistake meant death. A loud command to die rang out, and Ba Huang's vitals approached 0. The monster screamed. How could it survive? Ba Huang laughed and ordered him to continue, his fire only tickling him. The system window reported, Immortal Body, this is a divine talent card. Once activated, it makes the user invulnerable for 60 seconds. The cooldown is 24 hours. The monster began to attack Ba Huang, and MC thought, powerful. This guy can face the Skeleton King single-handedly. Ba Huang clenched his weapon and said, now it's his turn. He released a bright mana at it and rushed to attack. After the last attack, Ba Huang began to deactivate his berserk state. After a while, Ba Huang stood before a bright stream of mana, and the system window reported, Item, Level 40 Undead Ring. This ring increases all stats by 10 points. The attached skill is Death's Power. Each player killed increases the ring's attribute by 50%. He thought, such evil equipment. If this falls into the wrong hands, it could cause trouble. Zhang Yi thanked him for helping them. Ba Huang said there was no need. He only helped them for Han Yaro's sake. She threw her arms around his neck and screamed, Brother, where has he been? She and Qinglong have been looking for him for so long. Is he okay? MC asked again. Brother? So this is the big brother she was looking for? Ba Huang patted her on the head and told her not to worry. He's fine. Can she see? He handed her the ring and said she could take it. The system window congratulated the players of Zone 886 on successfully defending the City of Hope from the invasion of the Golden Skeleton King world boss. A new city, Demonic Tower, had been opened. Ba Huang walked towards the portal and told them to go get their rewards. It's time to leave this place. Everyone started receiving rewards. Golden Soul Armor, Golden Belt, Golden Undead Bow, Golden Cloak, and Golden Boots. Zhang Yi received level 40 Golden Boots, which increase all stats by 5. The attached skill, Golden Speed, increases movement speed by 100% and lasts for 20 seconds. The cooldown is 3 minutes. He thought this is a very good reward, and with the opening of the new city, he became one step closer to Mu Chen. Outside Demon Tower City, everyone started talking. This is to be expected from a new city. Compared to the City of Hope, it's heaven and earth. This place is very different from the City of Hope. He feels that it won't be easy. The girl said happily, these towers are so tall. It looks creepy. MC stood behind the others and thought, the Demon Tower has 100 floors, and only those who pass it will be able to move on to the Ion Tower. In his past life, during 8 years of being in the apocalypse, he was only able to pass 50 floors. The monsters in the Demon Tower are very dangerous, but the reward is worth it, and the higher the floor, the better the reward. He wonders what exactly is in the Ion Tower. At this time, an observer stood on the top floor of the Ion Tower and said, the real game begins now. A shout rang out from next to MC. Hurry, the demonic tower will close in a few hours. The guys ran forward and shouted. They wouldn't be so late if they didn't have to wait for him to revive. Zhang Yi said, what a coincidence. The tower opens every 7 days, and since that's the case, why don't they clear a few floors? Duanfeng said, he agrees. Han Yaro said, okay. MC put his hand on Bawang's shoulder and suggested that they go and watch it together. He thought, here's a chance to copy. The system window reported, the divine talent, Immortal Body, has been successfully copied. The demonic tower is a solo dungeon. They will have to split up while clearing this, so they will meet here later. Duanfeng said, he will go first. See you later. MC said, as soon as he found a place to fight and level up, he immediately left. Well, it's time for them to go too. They entered the demonic tower on the first floor. The system window congratulated them on clearing the first floor of the demonic tower. The players cleared the third floor of the demonic tower and then the fifth. The system window congratulated them and reported that MC had received level 40 wild boar boots and level 40 wild boar gloves. He thought with this speed of clearing a couple more floors wouldn't be difficult. In the demonic tower on the 7th floor, Zhang Yi thought, compared to before, they are just weaklings. Suddenly, a voice came from the darkness. What kind of insignificant person person dared to disturb him during lunch. A level 55 warrior of the demonic race, Xing, emerged from the darkness. A spirit appeared next to MC and said, "Warrior Xing, this is the commander who led the demons during the invasion of the city. He is very strong. After the invasion failed, he was imprisoned in the demonic tower. He only has 3 minutes left. She wishes him luck." MC thought, "Xing, this is the boss of the 15th floor. What is he doing here? He needs to be more careful." Xing ran forward and shouted, "For missing his lunch, he will take the food's place." Zhang Yi replied, "His meat is pretty tough. Let him watch out and don't lose all his teeth." Xiaoi used Black Dragon's breath, and the monster screamed. "Does he think such a flame will harm him?" MC thought, "No damage at all. It's too early for him to face him." Mana clashed and blood gushed from MC's mouth. The system window reported, "The demonic tower will close in 10 seconds. All players inside the tower should prepare to lose their progress." Zhang Yi thought, "Why did this idiot become so strong?" Fortunately, he is already leaving here. He cried out, he will give him one last chance. Let him show what he's made of. Xing swung his weapon and shouted, "He dares to provoke him? Let him die." The moment Zhang Yi decided to attack him, time ran out. He shouted, "Don't be upset. He's tough. He'll be back in a week," and crush him to dust. He teleported to the city street and said, "It was very close. The monsters inside the tower are still dangerous, and if the tower hadn't been closed, he would have died." Hanyaro asked, "Have they seen her brother?" Zhang Yi said thoughtfully, "He should have already left." Qinglong approached her and said, "Miss, you don't need to worry about the young master. He's strong and can take care of himself. Perhaps he had some business to attend to." MC said, "Aha, maybe he needed to leave urgently and didn't have time to warn her." And as Qinglong said, "There's no need to worry about him." Hanyaro said, "I hope they're right." At that moment, the system window announced, "Special mission, Guild War, City of Origins." In order to improve cooperation between guilds, the first guild battle will be held in Origin City. Any large guild can participate. The winners will receive a generous reward. The reward is 1 teleportation device. Hanyaru asked in surprise, "A teleportation device?" This is the first time she has heard of it. Teleportation is one of the best items in the apocalypse. Although it can't help in battle, if you put it in a good place, you can do nothing and collect taxes for using it and become rich. Zhang Yi thought, this will also help him find Mu Chen faster. He said, "They should all rest for now." He looked at the timer and said, "And in 4 hours they will leave for the guild war together. Do they have any plans?" After that battle, they got to know each other better, so how about joining their guild? Xiaoyao cried out, "Okay." Qinglong said, "Of course. He still needs to protect Miss." Zhang Yi said, they agreed. They will see each other later. Player Qinglong joined their guild. Player Xiaoyao joined their guild. MC smiled and thought, now all the positions are taken. They will definitely win this guild war. At this moment, Ba Huang was on the 8th floor of the Demon Tower and thought the countdown had already ended, but he was still here. Something clearly went wrong. He frowned and looked ahead and asked, "Who is here? Let him come out." The man came out of the forest and said, "Man, it would be better if he didn't come here. Anyone who comes here will never be able to leave." Ba Huang asked, "Who is he? An NPC from this floor, or a player?" The man rushed forward and screamed. Both answers were wrong, but this knowledge is no use to him now. Ba Huang clenched his fist and activated his immortal body, and the player drew his sword very close to his neck. Ba Huang channeled mana through his body, causing the player to wonder if this was a divine talent. Ba Huang asked why he stopped. The player said, "Let him consider himself a test. And besides, fighting him would be boring. Let him swear not to tell anyone about what happened today," he said, and he would let him go. And as a bonus, he would tell him the secret of the apocalypse. Ba Huang asked again, "A secret?" The player placed his hand on Ba Huang's shoulder and said, "The apocalypse will soon befall us, a catastrophe in which no one can survive, but it can be avoided if..." Ba Huang interrupted him and asked, "If anything?" The player replied, "That's all he can tell him. He would have to find out the rest himself." He said goodbye and headed back toward the forest. Ba Huang screamed, "How can he get out of here?" The player replied, "In 7 days the tower will open again, and then he can leave." He slowly disappeared. At this moment, MC said he stopped after seeing his divine talent. Could it be that the disaster has something to do with this? Was he really telling the truth? It seems everyone was able to rest well. He suggested they try their best. Duanfen cried out joyfully, "Let's go." The system reported, "Welcome to the City of Origins. Players who die here will not lose their chance to revive or equip. As payment, 20% of the crystals obtained in the City of Origins will be taken from them. This event will last 4 hours. The best guild will be judged by the number of crystals collected. The crystals have a fixed position, and they will often be guarded by bosses. Now, they need to go faster and collect as many crystals as possible." After a while, Zhang Yi suggested discussing their strategy. They are in the minority, so they need to split up and capture as many points as possible. And if one of the points is attacked, they can defend it together. "Let's go." They're splitting up. Everyone quickly scattered and rushed into battle, and Zhang Yi cut off the monster's head. The system window congratulated them. They'd captured a 3rd-tier water crystal mine. MC stood in the crystal mine, looking at the monster's body. Guild rankings. First place goes to Despicable Heroes, with 20 members and about 11,000 crystals. Second place goes to God Hunt, with 5 members and 5,000 crystals. Third place goes to Gate of Promises, with 10 members and about 5,000 crystals. MC thought, now each of them occupies a 3rd-tier mine. If they want to go higher, they'll have to take other people's mines. After a while, the 3rd-tier Gate of Promises guild stood on the roof of the building. Xiao Fei Ming, leader of Gate of Promises, said that their guild only has 5 people, and each mine is weakly defended. They have twice as many people. They can easily take their mines if they attack at the same time. Let them attack. Where they come, there is no place for outsiders. The players summoned Roots and grabbed Han Yaro. She asked, "Who are they?" Let her go. When her friends arrive, it will be the end for them. Fei Ming laughed and said, "What an aggressive character." He suggested that they see who would die first. He ordered her to be killed. At that moment, the other players were fighting the monsters, and Han Yaro sent out a danger signal. MC thought, horror. Han Yaro is under attack. At that moment, a robot appeared behind him preparing to attack. It released mana towards him, but only received a stream of fire in response. Zhang Yi put on the golden boots and said, "Xiaoi, he is leaving this place under his protection. He needs to help Han Yaro." The system notification reported that player Zhang Yi used the golden boots skill, Golden Speed. Golden Speed increases movement speed by 100%. This lasts for 20 seconds. The cooldown is 3 minutes. MC thought, no need to worry, he'll be here soon. At this moment, Fei Ming put the tip of his blade to Han Yaro's throat and said, "What a pity that he has to injure such a beauty." She said something about her friends, right? So why doesn't he see anyone? He laughed loudly, and then turned around and seeing MC, ordered him to hold him. He scattered everyone in different directions and then asked, "So many people, and they are bullying one girl? What kind of a group are they?" Fei Ming screamed. He dared to attack his people. And now he's scolding him? Who does he think he is? He created huge wooden fangs from underground and screamed. Since he's climbing here, he should be prepared to die. Then he quickly cut it down, and Fei Ming asked, "What's going on?" MC screamed. Unfortunately for him, they are destined to die by his sword. He quickly dealt with the enemy, after which the system window reported. Player Zhang Yi killed player Zhao Fei Ming. He received 500 crystals. MC freed Han Yaro and asked, "Is she okay? It didn't hurt her?" Han Yaro said slightly embarrassedly, "She's fine. Thank you." He came on time. At this moment, the sounds of applause and laughter were heard. The leader of the Despicable Heroes Guild, Shi Tu-yan, said, "What a wonderful scenario. The hero saves the princess. They haven't seen each other for a long time, Miss Han Yaro. He never would have thought that he would meet her again. Kid, let him get away from her. She's his." Han Yaro screamed, "Let him ignore him. He's just a shameless idiot who constantly harassed her in the real world." MC grabbed her hand and turned around, but Tu-yan held out his sword in front of him and asked, "Why don't they have a duel? If he loses, he will give them 10 third-level mines. But if he loses, then Han Yaro will be his." Zhang Yi threw his sword aside and ordered him to get lost. He has no interest in coddling a narcissist like him. Tu-yan screamed, "What is he doing? Tenfold speed. Pathetic brat." He gave him a chance and he decided to reject it. He has no right to refuse him. The system window reported, "Tenfold speed, it is a legendary talent. It increases attack speed by 1000% for 1 minute. Cooldown, 2 hours. MC grabbed Han Yaro and ordered him to watch out. He saved her from the attack and cried out, "A 7-star slash." He swung his sword and shouted, "After he deals with him, the same will await his guild." Tu-yan screamed, "He will not leave here alive." He pointed his swords to the side and MC thought, he doesn't have time to fight back. More swords? He won't be able to dodge. Tu-yan pierced his body and said, "He is no match for the legendary talent." Han Yaro cried out in fear. Zhang Yi, MC was covered in mana and said, he doesn't want to upset him, but he has something better. It's divine talent. Tu-yan's sword flew up and he screamed loudly, "No, impossible. No one can avoid his sword strike." MC grabbed the tip of his sword and said, he is so proud of his legendary talent, but they will see who he is without it. Tu-yan began to attack him. Why doesn't he die? An illusion. It's just an illusion. He turned around and ordered them to help him. What are they waiting for? Let them not stand there like a pillar. His partners appeared in sight and Tu-yan ordered them to finish off this smartass already. MC chuckled and asked, "Is this what he calls a duel?" He planned an ambush from the very beginning. Tu-yan ordered him to shut up. He will die today anyway. The mage raised his staff and created a flow of mana. Zhang Yi thought, this is perfect. He was just starting to worry that they wouldn't have enough crystals. Let them come here. They attacked MC, and he screamed. And that's it? Come on, let them continue. The girls screamed. What's going on? He's blocking all the attacks with his body. It's like his body is just absorbing the damage. Another girl screamed. A monster. He's definitely some kind of monster. A dragon with glowing eyes appeared behind Zhang Yi, and he asked, "Are they finished?" Well then, it's his turn. A large stream of hellish dragon flames headed towards the opponents, quickly incapacitating them. Tu-yan ordered him not to think that he would simply give him the mines since he killed him. Don't even dream of it. Victory can only be theirs. He doesn't care. MC clenched his fist and punched him in the face. The system window reported, player Zhang Yi killed player Shi Tu-yan. 1,000 crystals obtained. Zhang Yi ordered him not to worry. He already knew that he wouldn't keep his promise. Xiaoi screamed loudly, "Leader, Han Yaro, what happened here? Is she okay?" Han Yaro replied, "Everything is fine. They were just attacked by the Gate of Promises and the Despicable Heroes." But Zhang Yi protected him. After a while, they were sitting near a large crystal, and the system window reported the guild rankings. In first place is the Despicable Heroes Guild, which has 20 members and 25,000 crystals. In second place is the God Hunt Guild, which has 5 members and 15,000 crystals. In third place is the Gate of Promises Guild, which has 10 members and 70 crystals. MC said there are half an hour left until the end. If they want to take first place from the Despicable Heroes, the only way is to steal their mines using long-range attacks and distract them. and for this, they will need the help of an expert. Hanyaro said there will be no problem. Qinglong is a professional archer. Doesn't he want to try? If it's him, then they definitely have it. Before she could finish speaking, he took out his bow and asked for forgiveness. But he doesn't think he'll succeed. He remembered how there were shouts a while ago. If Qinglong hits the center of the target, he will win the championship. Even though he had an advantage at the beginning, the other participants caught up with him. It all depends on the last arrow. He drew the arrow and thought, everything is fine. Last time he was just nervous. Everything will be fine. Will he be able to live up to expectations? It all depends on this arrow. Qinglong hit far off the target, and the host said, what a pity. Qinglong lost the final again. Loud shouts rang out. What's going on? Why did he miss the last arrow again? What kind of champion is he? He's breaking under the pressure. What a wimp. Qinglong sat down near the wall and continued listening to the shouts. How can he be such a loser? Does he even know how to shoot a bow properly? He's useless. Let him go and never come back. He folded his hands on his lap and thought, maybe they were right. Maybe archery really isn't right for him. Currently, MC put his hand on his shoulder and cried out, no way, he's the best archer he's ever seen. Let him not forget, he was the one who saved them in the Dragon Crown tomb. He managed to hit the dragon's eye right despite being under so much pressure. It will be very easy for him to deal with those heroes. Qinglong was encouraged by these words and said slightly embarrassedly, okay, he'll try his best. The girls shouted happily. The team is assembled. After a while, Qinglong stood on the roof of the building and aimed at the members of the other guild. He released an arrow and shouted, come on. Tuyan clicked his tongue in displeasure and said, he never thought some brat would take Hanyaru from him. The guy said, when they take first place, that girl will understand how tough he is, boss. The other guy said, yeah, it's all over soon, and they definitely won't be able to catch up. At that moment, an arrow pierced Tuyan's chest, and he screamed, what again? What idiot decided to play sniper? As soon as he gets to him, he'll be gone. His eyes widened, and Qinglong yelled, -1. The rest of them, the remaining guild members rushed into battle, and MC said, it's time for them to hunt. They'll adjust the rankings. The system window reported that the guild Despicable Heroes was in first place with 20 members and 30,000 crystals. The guild God Hunt was in second place with 5 members and 26,000 crystals. And the guild Promisegate was in third place with 10 members and 10,000 crystals. At this moment, MC attacked a monster and received 200 crystals, and Qinglong continued to attack with a member of another guild. There were 50 seconds left in the guild war, and the guild Despicable Heroes remained in first place. Qinglong fired his arrow with 35 seconds remaining. With 20 seconds remaining, the gap between the guilds was rapidly closing. The guild war ended, and the host's voice rang out, offering to congratulate the guild God Hunt on becoming the champions of the City of Origins. The system window reported that the gap between first and second place was only 500 crystals. MC said, Qinglong, he knew he could do it. He really is the best archer. Hanyaro said, yes, brother Qinglong, he did well. The guy said irritably, they lost this time. Boss, they need to leave. Tuyan ordered them to shut up. Because of them, he has fallen too far in Hanyaro's eyes. The host said, here's the reward for the champions. Please let them accept it. Zhang Yi put his hand forward and said, here it is. They opened the suitcase and received their reward. He said, with teleportation, it will be much easier for them to get to many places. Tuyan approached him and told him to just wait. The race of other people from the God Guild has been watching him for a long time. He can forget about a quiet life. They are leaving. MC watched them go, and Hanyaro approached and asked what he meant by the race of other people from the God Guild. Zhang Yi replied, he doesn't know. Maybe it has something to do with those guys who attacked them in the Dragon Crown tomb. After a while, they were walking down the street, and a girl was watching them. She came out from around the corner, pushed Hanyaro, and apologized, asking for forgiveness. She used Cunning Steel, an exclusive assassin skill. She smiled, and Qinglong ordered her to watch where she was going. MC asked, is something wrong? Hanyaro replied, it's a thief. Her brother's ring is missing. The girl ran away, and MC ordered to follow her. He ran after her, and the girl looked at him and vanished. Qinglong asked, did he manage to catch up with the thief? Zhang Yi replied, no, most likely she teleported to Moonlight City. Qinglong asked again, Moonlight City? Isn't that a city of another race? MC replied, yes, that God Guild might be somehow connected to Moonlight City. It wouldn't hurt for them to check it out themselves. He placed his hand on his chin thoughtfully and thought, to improve the talent of the dragon race, you need the prestige of 3 camps. If they get to the new city, he can gain the prestige of another camp, and perhaps he'll learn something about Mu Chen. He said he'll go to that city, and they should stay here in case brother Hanyaro returns. She replied, okay, let him be careful. Qinglong said, he understands. Let him go and don't worry about anything. He'll protect Miss. Zhang Yi used teleportation and thought, he'll set the teleportation coordinates here so he can immediately return here if anything goes wrong. He ordered to be teleported to Moonlight City. The butler replied, as he says. After a while, the system window reported that he was teleported to Moonlight City. 100 gold coins in minutes. MC thought, the teleport tax is too expensive. 100 gold coins disappeared, as if they never existed. It's already quite late. Is someone calling for help? It seems the city is not safe. He turned around and heard loud screams. let someone help her. The girl was sitting on the ground and ordering him not to approach her. The man was clutching a sword in his hand and saying, "She runs quite fast." "Well, why is she sitting down? Let her run further." Diwu covered her head with her hand and screamed loudly, but suddenly Zhang Yi appeared in front of her and blocked the bandit's sword. He screamed, "Who is he? A youngster. Does he even know who he's messing with?" MC replied, "All he knows is that you can't bully girls." He cut the enemy's sword and ordered him to get lost. The guy screamed, "He's strong. They need to retreat." The bandit started running away, and Zhang Yi turned around and asked her to tell the truth. Why were they chasing her? Diwu replied that she had stolen the boss's items from them, but they still wouldn't let up, and they had been chasing her for several towns already. MC asked again, "But why would they do that? Who were they?" Diwu replied, "They were from the Gods Guild. Everyone in Moonlight City was afraid of them." MC thought as he thought. So those people from the Dragon Crown tomb were also from the Gods Guild. He started to walk away and waved his hand, telling her to quickly get out of here. It wasn't safe for a little girl to stay here. He turned around and asked why she was following him. Diwu replied that she didn't know what to do if the people came back. She was scared. Zhang Yi waved his hand, and the girl ran after him and said that she wouldn't bother him. She knew Moonlight City very well, and he was clearly here for the first time, so she would definitely be useful. After some time in the hotel of the City of Moonlight, MC asked for one room and then remembered Diwu and said, "No, two." He went into the room and waved to Diwu and then fell on the bed and thought, after all, there is nothing better than lying down on a soft bed. After some time, when he fell asleep, Diwu entered the room and smirked. She took out a blade and with a smirk on her face thought, soon these 10,000 gold coins will be hers. She swung her blade and struck near MC because he quickly turned on his side. She thought he was just lucky. She will see how he dodges this time. Zhang Yi clenched his fist and screamed in his sleep, "May he die, Mu Chen. How dare he betray him?" He punched the girl and she grabbed her face and thought how much it hurt. At that moment, MC woke up and asked, "Is it her? What is she doing in his room?" Diwu pretended to be innocent and said he dreamed those people came back for her and now she can't sleep. Zhang Yi touched her hand and said, "It's okay, she can sleep here. He'll keep an eye on her." He looked at her and thought, little by little he'll find out all her plans. He'll see what else she's hiding. After a while, in Moonlight City, MC asked, "So the Gods Guild is in the Moonlight Church, right?" Diwu said yes. She secretly followed them, but they disappeared after they arrived at the church. A guy appeared behind them and looked at her and thought, this girl doesn't look bad. He extended his hand to her, when suddenly Zhang Yi turned around and grabbed his hand. He screamed, "Mu Chen?" The guy cried out in fear. "What? Who is he? And how does he know his name?" Zhang Yi covered himself in mana and slapped him in the face, loudly saying that it was none of his business. "Who is he?" Mu Chen flew towards the market stall, and the locals crowded around. The man said in surprise, "Usually it's Mu Chen who beats up the others, but today the roles were reversed." The player laughed and said, "Serves him right. Good luck to the boy." Mu Chen asked irritably, "How dare he, an idiot, hit him?" Diwu said he was dangerous. Better not to provoke him. MC chuckled and asked, "Does she think he cares?" He frowned and thought, in his past life he betrayed his comrade, and in this life he mocks the weak. Nothing changes. The system window reported that Mu Chen used the hide skill. He asked, "Does he even know this is territory? He won't leave here alive." MC thought, Assassin's Concealment? This ability makes the player invisible and hides their scent, and also allows them to deal critical damage from their blind spot. He needs to be careful. The tip of the sword flew past him and cut his face, and Zhang Yi thought, last time he relied on the same skill. History repeats itself. He will never forget what happened that day. And this time, it's his turn to die. MC swung his sword and screamed loudly. He won't give him a chance. Mu Chen thought, how does he know where he's going to strike from? He should be invisible. MC said, every move he made had long been engraved in his memory. He kicked Mu Chen and asked, didn't he think he was going to kill him? Well then let them see if he has enough strength. Mu Chen screamed, what the hell is he? He thought, what kind of bad luck? He ran into some crazy person. Zhang Yi ordered him to go to hell. At that moment, a man in a black cloak appeared from underground and grabbed Mu Chen. And MC thought, a man in a black cloak? Horror, he can't let him take him. He screamed, he won't escape. After a while, he peeked out from around the corner and said, their trail ends here, that's it. Diwu interrupted him and said, the Moonlight Church. The god guild he was looking for is here. It's very dangerous inside. They might be deliberately luring him. Is he sure he wants to go there? Zhang Yi replied, yes, he has his reasons. Diwu handed him a sleeping pill and said, barging in without a plan isn't the best idea, so she has something for him. MC asked in surprise, where did she get it? Diwu replied, she travels alone. Of course she will have the means to quietly get rid of the opponents. Be careful, they're already here. Zhang Yi grabbed the guards, who screamed loudly. What are they doing? MC ordered them to lie down and sleep, and after a while, he and Diwu changed their clothes and headed towards the church. After some time, Mu Chen woke up in a secret room of the Moonlight Church and asked, what is this place? Carlos smiled and said, to be beaten by some weirdo who appeared out of nowhere. A funny fate, isn't it? Mu Chen asked, who the hell is he? What does he want from him? Carlo replied, he didn't bring him here to ask questions. From now on, he will remain silent and do everything he says. Otherwise, he will have to get rid of him. At that moment, MC and Diwu approached the guards and said, they have come to relieve them. They can go and rest. The guy replied. Finally, he was so tired that that he was ready to fall asleep standing up. The other guy ordered that no one be allowed through, and that no one should sleep on duty. Otherwise, everyone will get it. The guards left, and then returned and shouted loudly, "Stop! This is not the time to change shifts." At that moment, Diwu sprayed a sleeping pill and waved her hand, and the guards screamed, "They are not." The guys fell to the floor, and she pointed her hand forward and said, "The person he is looking for is right here." MC adjusted his mask and said, "Well, then they are coming in." He went forward, and then turned around and saw that Diwu took off her armor and said, "Her mission is accomplished." The doors slammed, and the knights rose from the floor and gave her the pouch. The guy said, "They did a good job. Here's the promised reward." She tossed it and thought, yes, she forgot to tell him that in the City of Moonlight, deceiving others is a common thing. Zhang Yi thought, it seems he guessed right. She is from the Guild of Gods or works for them. Her goal was not to steal the ring at all, but to make him come here. Now he will be interested to see who is behind her actions and this cunning plan. He took off his helmet and looked ahead, where torches were lit. He saw silhouettes in the distance. The man folded his arms across his chest and said, "He alone is enough to deal with this kid. The boss called them here for nothing. Let them just watch." The guy replied, "The boss must have a reason to call them all, but since he's so confident in his powers, then go ahead." The man chuckled and said, "Then he'll show them. Let them just wait and see how he crushes him." He turned around, gripped the handle of the axe and threw it towards MC, ordering him to catch it. The axe flew past him, and Zhang Yi thought, he's strong. He put his hand forward and summoned a flock of crows. Crows appeared from the funnel and headed towards the opponents. He thought, after improving his skill, the number of crows had doubled. The man grabbed the axe again and screamed. Does he think he can defeat him with this pathetic skill? He's dreaming. He pushed off the floor, and MC pulled out a sword using attribute transformation and created smooth ice. The man saw this and screamed, horror. He slipped and fell on his back and then got up, extremely dizzy from the impact. MC stuck his tongue out at him and screamed, "Idiot, let him attack." The man screamed, "He won't fall for his stupid tricks." The guy said, now he understands why the boss called them. He thinks it's about time he helped him. The other guy replied, yes, he doesn't understand how he can act so insolently, being so weak. He rushed forward and shouted, "Forward." He tied up MC's body, who widened his eyes in surprise and thought, this is it. The guy threw a wall of bone spikes forward and commanded it to grow. Zhang Yi looked at it and thought, nightmare, he can't move. He'll crash right into the spikes. He screamed loudly, Xiaoi. The dragon appeared next to him and released its mana, and the guy screamed in fear. A first-rank crown dragon? How could an ordinary tamer get such a strong beast? Xiaoi released a stream of fire, and the guy said, oh my god, he underestimated him. Zhang Yi hit him and ordered him to try. It's not that he underestimated him, it's that he's too strong for him. They haven't seen each other for a long time, Xiaoi. He didn't think he'd already reached rank 1 by the time they met. Xiaoi smiled sweetly, and the guy asked, what should they do? The information about this guy didn't say anything about a rank 1 black dragon. The man frowned and asked, do they have a choice but to just give it their all? He ran forward and ordered them to die. MC screamed, he'll probably refuse. Immortal body. The man's eyes widened in surprise, and MC and the dragon began to attack. The tip of the axe flashed over MC's head, but he quickly dodged. Xiaohai's bright stream of fire spread throughout the room, hitting the opponents. After a while, Carlo approached the guys lying on the floor and said, they'll finish here. The 3 of them, they can go. The man raised his head and said, boss, let him give them some more time. They're definitely gonna die. Carlo replied, he said they'll finish. Let them go away. If they keep fighting, they'll definitely die. The man stood up and said, they'll meet again. They'll decide the winner next time. MC asked again, are they afraid to die? Okay, he's looking forward to their next meeting. Carlo said, Zhang Yi, they met again? This isn't his first time in the apocalypse, right? MC thought in surprise, what? How does he know about this? He asked, what is he talking about? He doesn't understand what he's talking about. Carlo screamed, enough of this show. Everything became clear when he entered the secret dungeon and took the dragon egg practically at the start of the game. Zhang Yi replied, he doesn't have time to talk to him. Where is Mu Chen? Let him drag it here. Carlo clicked his tongue loudly and asked, why is he so impatient? He came to make a business proposal. How about working for him? If he agrees, no one will know about his reincarnation, and he will also give him the best apocalypse equipment and endless riches. But if he refuses, then unfortunately he will not leave here alive. Zhang Yi thought, he hates such types the most. He spoke. If this equipment and riches he speaks of were obtained through the tears and grief of innocent people, he screamed, then he refuses. Huge dragons headed towards him, and MC thought, horror, he just used the immortal body, and he saw the dragon. He has no more aces up his sleeve. He doesn't know how strong he is, and if he is about to fight blindly, he may lose his life. He took out a stone and clenched it in his hand. He thought, fortunately, he set the teleport coordinates in the City of Dawn. He shouted loudly, teleportation. Carlo looked at how MC disappeared and thought, teleport stone, this is expensive. This time he will let him go, but not next time. He turned around and said, and now he knows why the person he doesn't know wants him dead. He is the reincarnator whom he crossed in his past life. Mu Chen's face changed. He was in extreme shock, and Carlo asked, well, does he think he'll just let him go? Mu Chen screamed in fear, no. he will definitely come back to kill him. Carlo crouched down to him and said, "That's right, that's why he needs to act first. Let him kill him before he kills him." He clenched his fist and said, "Not to worry, he will help him." He thought, everyone in the apocalypse must obey him. His orders are absolute. He gave him a chance, Zhang, and he decided to refuse him, so only death awaits him. MC clutched the teleportation stone in his hand and thought, that was close. If he'd teleported even a second later, all that would have remained of him would have been ashes. Those dragons would be hard for him to handle. Who is he? Why did he assume this wasn't his first time in the apocalypse? Could it be that he's just like him? The system window reported that his stamina had dropped to the minimum. Please let him go to the nearest rest point as soon as possible. Zhang Yi thought he had really expended a lot of energy on this trip to Moonlight City. He needed to go to the tavern and get a good rest. If he didn't return, Yaru and the others would start to worry about him. After a while, loud shouts rang out in the tavern. How much? How much? This was the first time they had seen someone spend so many coins just to restore stamina. The employee said he had chosen the quick recovery service. That's 20 gold coins. People kept shouting. Who is he? It's easier for ordinary people to just wait and not spend so many coins. What? Recovery for 20 coins? That's enough to buy a whole set of equipment. MC stretched out his hand and thought, now he only had 13,000 coins left. He could do with upgrading his equipment. After a while, Hanyaro and Xiaoyao were sitting at the table. Hanyaro asked, why hasn't Zhang Yi returned yet? Where is he? Xiaoyao replied, she's worried. Could he have gotten into any trouble? At that moment, MC appeared behind them and asked, what are they talking about? His abilities are enough to take on an entire guild and get away with it. The girls cried out joyfully, he's back, leader. Zhang Yi said, Hanyaro, unfortunately, he couldn't find her ring, but she doesn't need to worry. He'll do his best to get it back. Hanyaro replied, everything is fine. It happened because she was too inattentive. She is glad that he returned safe and sound. Xiaoyao said, right, leader. Has he by any chance seen Qinglong? MC replied, he asked him to gather some information. Since this thief is operating in the City of Dawn, there must be some clues as to where to find it. Suddenly, Qinglong ran into the tavern and Zhang Yi said, they were only talking about him. So did he find out anything? Qinglong replied, yes. And this isn't exactly good news. They need to go to the auction. The ring that was stolen from Miss will be auctioned tonight. MC replied thoughtfully. If the ring was put up for auction, the thief must be there too. He imagined people and thought, perfect. This way, he could not only get the ring back but also find better equipment. With those he was going against, she definitely wouldn't be a problem. He grabbed his wrist and said, okay, then they're off to the auction. After a while at the auction, the host said, dear players, the monthly auction will start soon. Here they can find various beasts, all kinds of the rarest equipment, and many rare items. Hanyaro asked, Zhang Yi, isn't he going to go with them? MC replied, no, he needed to stop by somewhere first. He'd be back as soon as he took care of his business. He turned around and thought, if his memory served him correctly, there should be a hidden shop with a ton of good items here. Even in his past life, only a few people knew about it. He walked up to the sign for everything store and said, aha, he wasn't mistaken. The girl behind the counter greeted him and asked what items he was looking for. Zhang Yi thought maybe he could deal with the thief without any trouble, but there would be enough people at the auction to create a ruckus. He needed to be careful and stock up on some items in advance. He said to give him 800 nights without a discount, as well as a set of pancakes with fruit. He thought, how shameful. The girl replied, okay, handsome. She had already opened the hidden menu for him. What does he want? The system window said, congratulating him. He opened the hidden menu of this shop, minus 1,000 gold coins. Zhang Yi thought in his past life, only 5% of all Apocalypse players opened the hidden menu. Although it is expensive, the effects of the potions here are several times superior to ordinary ones. He looked at the potion and said, he takes all these potions. The girl said, handsome, and he has a good eye. These potions are the pride of their store. He is the first person to know about this. Zhang Yi thought, a whole 4,000 gold coins. Let poverty meet him. Now he can only hope that the auction goes smoothly. At the auction, he looked around and thought, so quiet, shouldn't this be the auction hall? Had he really come to the wrong place? The host said, the starting price for this sheepskin scroll is only 100 coins. If no one places a bid, they will pass this item on. People started shouting, let them quickly skip this trash. Let them show something more interesting. Yeah, showing this item is just a waste of time. The MC smiled and asked, he hopes the undead ring hasn't been shown yet? Anyaru replied, no, so far they've only shown a sheepskin scroll of unknown origin. The MC thought, a sheepskin scroll? The host said, what a pity, since no one is interested in this item. They'll let it pass. Zhang Yi thought, wait, isn't this a dragon race secret mission scroll? In his past life, most major guilds were willing to kill for it. He raised his hand and asked to wait. He'll bet 100 coins. Someone laughed and shouted, who the hell would want this scroll? It seems all rich people are stupid. 100 gold coins for toilet paper. This is even worse than toilet paper. He wouldn't take it even if they gave it away for free. The host said, 100 coins 1, 100 coins 2, 100 coins 3. Sold. Zhang Yi thought, maybe for idiots like them, this really is nothing more than toilet paper. But for a dragon race player, this is a priceless thing. He can bet they will be very jealous when he completes the secret mission and gets exclusive dragon race equipment. The system window reported, a level 40 legendary rarity undead ring. The girl said, now, it's time for this amazing item. Legendary rarity, an undead ring. The starting price is 10,000 gold coins. Someone shouted, 10,000 gold coins? Who would have that much money to buy this? Hanyaru said to MC, look, this guy looks strange. Zhang Yi looked at the bald guy and said, he is dressed like a human, but he is from the main city of the beast race, the city of extreme ice. The guy said, this is a legendary ring with infinite improvement. Moreover, since it is so rare, why would anyone sell it to anyone? MC thought, but why would the beast race come to the human city? And who is with Shi Tuyan? Hanyaru said in surprise, amazing, he even knows such things. MC replied, no, he just read the detailed information of each race before choosing a camp. Shui Wuhan stood up and said, he's going to take that ring. He doesn't care how much they offer, he'll double the price, so they don't even have to try. The people screamed, where did such a rich man come from? Is this ring really that good? Looks like no one can get it. The guy ran forward and shouted, what an idiot. How dare the beast race even come to the human city? Shui Wuhan clenched his fist and hit him in the face, and then asked, well, does he have the right to be here now? The guy said they need to go. There's no point in provoking him. The guy clucked loudly and said, all he can do is wave his fists. MC walked up to him and put his hand on his shoulder and said, he was very unlucky to meet him because this ring will be his. Tuyan frowned and said, young Master Shui, this is Zhang Yi. He told him about him. He is the one with divine talent. Because of this, he thinks too highly of himself. Let him put him in his place. Shui Wuhan clenched his fist and said, even with divine talent, since he went against them, only death awaits him. MC turned to Duan Feng and Qing Long and ordered them to make as much noise as possible. They need to buy as much time as possible. The boys replied, no problem, leader. It will be done in the best possible way. If there is one thing they are good at, it is definitely pestering the enemy. They went into the crowd and started shouting loudly. Duan Feng ordered everyone to listen. This is the territory of the human race. Can they really allow these beasts to be so impudent in front of them? Qinglong said, yes, if the rest of Dawn City finds out, they will simply be laughed at. People started to agree with them. They're asking for a fight. They need to respond. They've played too much, the little beasts. Let them be prepared to experience a sea of pain. Qinglong screamed. He didn't like them from the start. They're in the game, and they're still trying to stand out by wearing beautiful suits for the auction? Stop wasting time. Let him beat them. Shui Wuhan's guards rushed into the fray and shouted, this is the first time they've seen people seeking their own death. Well, let them show what they're made of. He's not afraid of any of them. Zhang Yi drank a high-rank invisibility potion, after which the player becomes invisible, and this cannot be detected by any skills. The duration of this is 3 minutes. He also used a high-rank smokescreen potion. After use, a smokescreen is created at the specified location and it cannot be dispelled. The duration of this is 3 minutes. A high-rank fire potion. This creates a fire at the specified location. The duration is still 3 minutes. MC thought, here we go. He threw these potions towards the crowd and a loud cry was heard. They have bombs. Be careful. Horror, they used bombs. We need to hit them. Someone ordered to kill these idiots. Zhang Yi approached the girl who was holding a ring on a tray and thought, no one can take this ring except him. He reached out to it and thought, perfect. At that moment, Shui Wuhan and Tu Yan approached the guy, and MC clenched his fist and thought, he looked down on everyone, and now he will be beaten by someone he can't even see. He hit Shui Wuhan on the head and he fell, and Tu Yan cried out in fear. Young master, is he okay? He will help him. Shui Wuhan screamed. What idiot dared to hit him? Let him show himself. MC kicked Tu Yan in the back and thought, he really doesn't want to see his ugly face. Tu Yan screamed, who hit him? What's going on? Shui Wuhan cried out, who dared attack them? He swears he'll kill him as soon as he finds him. The system window reported, there are 10 seconds left on the invisibility potion. Zhang Yi thought the potion's effect would end soon. He needed to get away before he was spotted. This time, he'd let them go. The system window reported, Zhang Yi had used the skill Golden Speed. It increases movement speed by 100%. It lasts for 20 seconds with a 3-minute cooldown. Shui Wuhan screamed, they can see he's here. Don't let them step on him, you idiots. Tu Yan cried out with tears in his eyes. He's human. They've picked the wrong guy. The invisibility potion's effect ended. An MC wrote in the guild chat that the mission was over. They should get out of there quickly. I'll see them in the alley next to the auction. Duanfeng replied, okay, and Xiao Yao sent a cute sticker. After a while, Hanyaru said, he disappeared so suddenly, she was afraid something happened to him. Is everything okay? Zhang Yi replied, yeah, and he also took the ring. But according to the auction rules, a special seal is placed on items to prevent such incidents. Items taken from the auction without paying the seller will return to their inventory after a while. Hanyaru screamed, so everything they did was useless? MC replied, not quite. You can use the seal to find the thief. In 2 minutes, they'll go get the ring straight from the person who put it up for sale. He shouted, notification teleportation. The system window reported, notification teleportation has been set up. Hanyaru said happily, she didn't think he'd thought it through that far. Xiao Yao screamed, yes, the leader is so amazing. She knew she was right to follow them. MC said to get ready. Just a little while longer, and time will be up. Hanyaru, He will definitely return this ring. He raised his hand and mentally decided to look at the thief's expression. An incident occurred during the auction, and as a result, the undead ring was returned to the seller. At that moment, Diwoo said how strange it was. Why did it come back? Did those idiots really want to steal it? MC moved towards her and shouted. He knew it was her. Not only did she steal Hanyaro's ring, but she also led him right into the God Guild's trap. Is she completely tired of living? Diwoo said, and he is quite capable. She didn't think he could escape from the God Guild. She stuck her tongue out at him and started to run, and Zhang Yi rushed after her and ordered her to stop. Let her return the undead ring to him, or he will beat her. Diwoo replied, he was dreaming. Let him catch up with her first. He caught up with her and grabbed her cloak, which remained in his hands. He said, this time she won't get away so easily. At that moment, a huge axe was aimed at him, and Shui Wuhan screamed. He finally found it, and he runs pretty fast. Idiot. MC thought, what a nightmare. He completely forgot that the beast race has a tracking skill. They can smell the enemy's aura from kilometers away. Shui Wuhan laughed out loud and said, luck is on his side. He's been chasing this little brat for a long time. So it turns out they're also partners. This is just perfect. He will kill them both. They jumped off, and MC asked how many people she managed to harm to be on the account of at least the entire guild and the beast race. Diwoo replied, it's just a small misunderstanding. She hugged him and screamed, brother, he won't abandon her, will he? MC screamed, what? Who did she call brother? You idiot? He thought she tricked him and attacked him in his sleep. Is this how you treat older brothers? Shui Wuhan rushed after them and screamed, enough. If they've grown so attached to each other, he should give them a joint funeral. Diwoo disappeared, and Zhang Yi thought, first she calls him a good brother, and then the next, she runs away from danger ahead of everyone else. Shui Wuhan attacked with the skill, Beast Charge, and screamed. Where did he get the courage to provoke him at the auction? MC hit his back on the ground and thought, horrible, that hurts so much. This guy deals a lot of damage. The Beast Tamer's initial defense is too low. He lost a ton of health from one attack. Shui Wuhan looked at Zhang Yi and said, boy, he advises him to immediately hand over this girl to him, kneel and beg for mercy. Then maybe he will think about letting him go. He ordered him not to shirk. He saw them hugging here. MC dodged the attack and asked which of his eyes he saw it with. He may be talking nonsense, but he should know his limits. Otherwise, he will sue him for slander. Shaewon screamed. He clearly saw what the two of them were doing just now. He remembered seeing them and said, he could smell the familiar scent of that runaway girl on him. He thought, well done. Let them hug here more. He will catch both him and that fool. He screamed. If he hadn't arrived now, who knows how far the two of them would have gone. Zhang Yi said he really couldn't be persuaded. He changed his attribute and rushed towards the enemy. He screamed, he's really stubborn as an ox. Huh? Player Shui Wuhan is taking fire damage. 300 health points in a minute. He said, a small trick. Let him consider these few hundred damage points as his gift. He took off his jacket and asked to be allowed to show him the difference between them. He covered everything around him in fire. And Zhang Yi thought, what the hell, is this the same skill? Why is his damage constantly increasing? Shui Wuhan laughed out loud and said, he forgot to mention that the lower his health points, the higher his damage. MC took out an advanced health potion and started to drink it, when suddenly Shui Wuhan knocked it out of his hands. MC asked, is he really running out of stamina? Can he continue? Now he'll heal up, and they can continue. He's more generous, so let these thousands of damage points be his gift. Shui Wuhan screamed, how is this possible? He almost emptied his health bar. Diwoo stood behind him, thinking, relying on potions is useless. If Shui Wuhan uses that trick, it'll all be over. Shui Wuhan shouted in irritation, advanced potions won't help him. The battle is just beginning. Bloodthirsty Fury. This is a legendary talent. When activated, damage increases by 100% and attacks restore health. The duration is 1 minute and the cooldown is 1 hour. His health began to recover, and MC cried out, horror! Isn't it restoring too much health? He jumped back and thought, he didn't expect it to be Bloodthirsty Fury. This legendary talent turns a strong damage dealer into a killing machine. Shui Wuhan walked towards him and said, boy, today he'll show him what happens to those who stand in the way of the bloody gate. Zhang Yi turned around and said, in that case, the plan to continue using health potions and exhaust his brother is completely useless. He asked, does he really think his bloodthirsty fury is invincible? Shui Wuhan swung his axe and asked, so what, does he still want to keep drinking potions? No matter how much health he recovers, he will still win. MC drank the potion again and screamed, they will see now. He rushed towards Shui Wuhan, who asked, does he still not understand that he will lose? Let him die. It seems he enjoys beatings. He struck Zhang Yi's body and screamed, or did he drink the wrong potion and go crazy? MC replied, he enjoys sucking blood from his opponents. Well, let him suck some more. Shui Wuhan's veins covered him and screamed, what? What did he just drink? Zhang Yi replied, an improved poison potion. It inflicts a -100 health points debuff on the target per second, lasts for a minute and cannot be dispelled. He handed him the potion and asked, does he want to try it? He still has some left. Shui Wuhan looked at his body and thought, he tricked him. He let himself get hit on purpose to trigger his bloodthirsty fury, and he got poisoned. He asked, so what now? Is he satisfied? His HP is still lower than his, and he'll die first. MC asked again, is he sure? That's not necessary at all. He activated Immortal Body, which surprised Shui Wuhan. He thought, the debuff duration of a high-level poison potion is 1 minute. As long as he uses the damage immunity from Immortal Body, he can ignore it. He called out to Shui Wuhan and said, it seems his health potions are too low quality. he has one high-grade potion here. Shui Wuhan stretched out and Zhang Yi pulled the potion back and asked, he wants it? Then let him pay for it. Shui Wuhan thought, he only had one chance to resurrect left, which he farmed with great difficulty. Even if he had money, he couldn't buy a chance to resurrect. They only dropped from survival missions, and who knows when the next one will start. He stretched out his hand and shouted, he will buy it. How much is it? MC ducked and said, originally it was 150 gold coins, but they weren't friends, so he'll raise the price a little. 50,000 gold coins. Shui Wuhan shouted, 50,000? That's a real scam. 50,000 gold coins is enough to feed a guild of 500 people. How about 48,000? He only has 48,000 on him, Zhang Yi replied. Okay, 48,000. Shui Wuhan thought, what? He bargained so easily? He should have tried to lower the price even more. He burst into tears, and the system window reported that he bought an enhanced health potion from player Zhang Yi for 48,000 gold coins. MC thought, it's so easy to make money off beastmen. Shui Wuhan picked up the potion and was about to sip when suddenly Diwu attacked him. He screamed, it's his 48,000 coins. Terrible fool, he'll kill her. He froze and thought, his body paralyzed by poison. He can't move. Diwu accelerated and was about to attack. She said she'd been waiting for this opportunity for a long time. She stabbed him in the chest with her sword, and Shui Wuhan ordered the two of them to start praying. The system window reported, player Diwu killed player Shui Wuhan. The system detected that player Shui Wuhan has a chance of resurrection. Player Shui Wuhan goes to the extreme ice city to be resurrected. MC said he really has nothing to do with her. Diwu put her hands on his shoulders and asked, does he think he will believe him now? Her sweet brother. He thought, it's all over. He won't be able to wash himself clean even if he jumps into the yellow river of the dead. But this is really a misunderstanding. The system window reported that the poisoning status was lifted from player Zhang Yi. He extended his hand and asked why she came back. He thought she had already run away far away. Doesn't she really want to part with her brother? Diwu answered, no, she stayed because she was scared because they came to the city of Dawn to kill her. Tuyan looked at them and asked displeasedly, horrible. Why is this guy Zhang Yi so lucky? He has another beauty with him. The guy extended his hand and shouted, boss, the boss is dead? Tuyan thought, what? And he said that he was the strongest beastman? Useless. He thought he had found a strong backer, but Zhang Yi killed him. Before everyone noticed, he must slip away first. A voice suddenly rang out. Did anyone let him go? Blades flew at his back and a scream rang out. He still owed him. MC used golden speed and knocked Tuyan to the ground, ordering him to answer. Why did the beastman come to Dawn City? Tuyan cried and said he only knows about finding this girl and returning the card. He doesn't know anything else. MC thought, returning the card? What card can make the beastman attack the main human city? Could it be? Diwu took out a golden card and asked, does he mean this? She got this card after the assassination in Extreme Ice City. But this card is useless except for its beautiful cover. It's golden and looks very similar to the Divine Talent cards. Zhang Yi thought, where is this similar? Tuyan thought, isn't this it? MC thought, whether it's normal, epic, or divine, each player can only have one talent. Maybe that's why she can't activate this divine level talent card, and it seems she doesn't know it. Wait. She said she killed someone. Could the rumors about the divine talent card in his past life be true? He remembered someone swung and screamed. His card is now his. Divine level talent cards can be transferred between players, and the way to obtain them is by killing the previous owner. Tuyan asked, maybe they'll let him go now? He told them everything he knew. MC swung his sword and thought, if he hadn't seen this card just now, maybe he would have let him go. But now he has to die and take this secret to the grave. The system window reported that player Shi Tuyan was killed by player Zhang Yi. It was discovered that the player has no chance of resurrection left. The player is dead. Diwu asked, is he so close to her now? He's not afraid that she'll do something to him? MC replied, he's not afraid because he knows she's a smart person. The people of the Bloodgate now consider them accomplices, and as long as he's alive, he can attract their attention and share the danger with her. He thought, each divine talent card corresponds to a special divine level skill. He doesn't know what exact card she has in her hand. He asked, how about making a deal? If she hands him the undead ring and this card, he's willing to forget everything that happened between them. She extended her hand with the items and asked, does he really want this so much? Has he been chasing her for so long just because the ring is so important or because it belongs to that sister? MC replied, since he promised to return it, he will do it. Diwu replied, okay, fine, let him take his ring. But the card is hers. Zhang Yi spoke as a trading partner. He wants to remind her that it's best not to tell anyone about this card. Diwu turned slightly and said, then she also wants to remind him he better get out of here quickly. The Bloodgate people won't retreat and will definitely come to Dawn City for revenge. Zhang Yi replied, thank you for the warning, but don't worry, that stupid big guy won't be able to defeat her. At this moment, Duanfeng said, it's awful. These beastmen know how to fight, and their skins are pretty tough. Xinglong said, not only are they resilient, but they're also cunning. They actually attack them while the boss is away. Hanyaro said, she doesn't know what happened to the boss. Suddenly, one of the guards stood up behind her and shouted, you fool, he'll cut off her head. MC shouted, Yarrow, be careful. He killed the guard and shouted, he sent their boss back to Extreme Ice City, so it's about time they escort him there too. Xiao broke into a run and screamed, "He's finally back, boss." Hanyaru asked, "Are you okay? Any injuries?" Jianyi replied, "No, but these beastmen are really stubborn." Yaru let her see. He returned her ring. She cried out joyfully. She knew he would do it. Jianyi spoke up. "They must level up as soon as possible. The main forces of the apocalypse have already reached level 50. They can't fall behind." Duanfeng suggested starting right away. Qinglong said he thought their grind maniac was ready. Duanfeng showed off his muscles and ordered them to see how powerful he was. Tomorrow he would use them and take down all the monsters. MC thought, in many cases, divine luck means a simultaneous encounter with great risk. Once the secret of the divine talent card is revealed, he and Hanyaru will become prey for all the apocalypse players and will fall into the most dangerous situation. Before that happens, they must properly increase their strength. After a while, the system window announced, congratulating the master on reaching level 50. He can now advance his profession to rank 2. Character attributes, level 50, Beast Tamer. MC thought, although it took them a long time to overcome the Bloodgate, they have finally reached the required level. On Dawn Street, Xiao asked, "Headmaster, what should they do next?" "They have reached the maximum level." MC replied, "Of course they will break through the maximum level." He thought, they need to complete the rank 2 profession quest as soon as possible and improve their skills. Their current strength is still insufficient. He and Yaru need more improvements. In front of the testing hall, a huge sledgehammer hit a guy. A scream rang out. Another one has flown out. "The second test is too difficult. You need 20,000 points to pass the assessment. That's too much. No one has been able to get that result yet. They just wasted 100 gold coins. It's okay to just spend your money, but now they'll beat him for his money." The girl asked, "Well, are there anyone else willing to take the test?" MC said he'll try. In the apocalypse, victory depends not only on strength but also on skill. Let him show her how to play. The girl pointed towards the counter and asked, "Does he see that little thing over there?" The system window reported, second rank task, career change test. Task requirements, single player, reaching level 50. Cost, 100 gold coins. Mission description, you need to fight a second rank officer. Points will be awarded for dodging skills and effective strikes. To pass the test, the total score must exceed 20,000 points. The time limit is 10 minutes, and the mission rewards are unlocking the maximum level of 70, new skills, and the opportunity to improve specialization. The girl said, "This is a robot for calculating trial points. He will only pass if the score on this one exceeds 20,000 points." MC applied gold speed and offered to begin. The girl said, "Little handsome, a frontal attack is not the best choice." She tried to attack and screamed, "He's quite fast." Jianyi replied, "He's not so stupid as to fight a fighter hand-to-hand if he's not confident of victory." MC told her to taste electricity and screamed, "Chain lightning attack." It pierced the girl's body, and she screamed loudly. The system window reported that successfully dodging the attack and effectively landing the skill earned him 2,000 points. Jianyi thought, great, he needs to quickly raise this to 20,000 points. People looked at this questioningly and said, they can't believe their eyes. He already got 2,000 points at the start. The kid has some skills. He thought he was just bragging. The girl screamed. It seems she underestimated him. Then let him try this trick. She swung the void hammer, and the people screamed. The war hammer in her hands transformed. Where did the pommel go? She hit Jianyi, and 2,000 points were taken away from him. Xiao said, "This second-rank officer looks very strong. Sister Yaru, do she think the leader can pass the test?" Hanyaru replied, "She believes he can." She thought, even though they always found themselves in extremely dangerous situations, he could do what others couldn't. He waved his hand and screamed. It seems she is very proud of this hit. Well, that won't happen again, he thought. But terrifying Voidhammer, in his past life he challenged her 200 times but never passed. Well, at least he had accumulated a wealth of combat experience. He activated Shared Vision, which allows beast tamers to share vision with summoned beasts. He clenched his fist and thought, he sees. He dodged the attack and gained 1,000 points. The girl thought in surprise. How did he predict her strike? From behind on the left, Jianyi dodged again and gained 1,000 points, and then shouted, "Now it's his turn to attack." Right behind. As long as he has shared vision with the summoned crows, it won't be difficult for him to dodge all of her attacks and gain 20,000 points. For successfully dodging the attack and effectively landing the MC skill, he received 2,000 points. The girl looked around and thought she understood. It has something to do with the crows. The girl used Void Storm Hammer, but Jianyi dodged and cried out. He thought she figured it out. She can't rely on dodging to gain points anymore. He needs to finish quickly. Hellfire Dragon Flame, Lightning Purgatory. He swung and began to attack the girl, gaining 1,000 points each. After a while, the system window reported that the achievement, Great Beast Tamer, had been obtained. He needs to pass the second rank trial in the Apocalypse and obtain the corresponding title. The system congratulates player Jianyi on passing the second rank trial and promoting the Beast Tamer class to level 2. People shouted loudly. They didn't expect this guy to actually pass the trial. 22,000 points, that's too strong. The second rank class, they want it too. Xiao cried out happily. Yes, it's their cool guild leader. After a while in the Moon Castle, Mu Chen shouted. Now he feels stronger. Carlo adjusted his hair and said, they got the strongest equipment among the players. This time they won't lose to Jianyi. It's time to go and finish him off. Mu Chen asked, will he go alone? Carlo replied, no. He will give him his most capable people. They already have experience fighting Zhang Yi, so it will be easier for them to work together. Everyone, come here. He has upgraded their equipment. They have achieved all possible improvements at the moment, so let them not fail him anymore. Mu Chen will be the commander in this operation. The guys answered, yes, they will complete the task. As he orders, Carlo handed over a scroll and told Mu Chen to take this. It can help in a difficult situation. But let him remember that this can only be used once. Mu Chen replied, yes, they are moving out to the city of Dawn. Carlo stroked his dragons and said, Zhang Yi, he will greatly regret becoming his enemy. After some time in the city of Dawn, Hanyaru asked, how about this barbecue place? Did you like it? MC replied, it was the best barbecue he's ever tried. Tomorrow, he will take them to train for the second rank test. Xiaoyao cried out joyfully. They'll soon be able to pass the test like their leader. Qinglong placed his hand on MC's shoulder and said, leader, he heard that after passing the test, he can use powerful second-tier skills in his specialization. Let him show it to them sometime. Zhang Yi replied, okay, he'll show it the next time they go into the dungeon. He thought so many skills had been added that he hadn't figured them out yet. The system window reported, Demonic Substitution Level 1. This is a Rank 2 Beast Tamer exclusive skill. It removes all crowd control effects and leaves a demon doll at the casting location. Once attacked, all surrounding enemies will panic for 3 seconds. The cooldown is 30 minutes. MC thought, removing crowd control and general fear, this is an amazing skill. Mu Chen's group suddenly appeared in front of them, saying, he finally found it. Zhang Yi thought, aren't the people around here from the Divine Guild? Why are they with Mu Chen? He asked again. Mu Chen, did he get too bored in the apocalypse and come to him to die? He clenched his fist and replied, idiot, last time he let him get away, but it won't happen again. The 4 of them, let them just block the others. Zhang Yi is his. The guy stepped forward and asked, he's taking on the swordsman. Do they mind? Duanfeng said, what a loud tone. He invited him to fight. He quickly attacked the enemy and he cried out, what a fast sword. Duanfeng asked, is he already running away? The other guy said, now it's his turn. He rushed towards Xiaoyao, but Qianlong ordered her not to be afraid. They will save her, she screamed. What? Help. Let them save her. Qinglong shouted, miss, be careful. There might be an ambush up ahead. MC tried to move but couldn't. He thought, what's going on? He can't move. The system window reported Level 4 Shadow Slavery. It's a single target control skill that creates a black shadow under the enemy's feet, rendering them unable to move for 10 seconds. Mu Chen screamed, no one can help him. He's under the black shadow's control now. Come on, let him show you how he can resist it now. He gripped his sword but pierced through demonic substitution and asked, what? MC moved behind him and asked, does he think he can backstab him again? He gathered mana in his hands and released it at Mu Chen's back. It took all the damage from chain lightning and was unharmed. Mu Chen jumped back and said, his armor is the best equipment available at this level. It won't be able to hurt him. Now, let him taste the skill. He directed Star Purgatory towards him. A dragon's claw flew in front of the protagonist's face, and he shouted, Xiaohei! He was grateful to it. Otherwise, he would have been in a very difficult situation. Xiaohei, he must attack with Stormwing. An eye for an eye. Death for death. At that moment, he rushed forward, and Mu Chen covered himself with his hands, trying to defend himself. The protagonist shouted, how does the storm taste? The Beast Tamer's main monster will evolve along with its master. He has completed the second trial, and he is still a rank 1 assassin. He can't bridge this gap between them with just equipment. Mu Chen shouted, a damn giant level 2 dragon. The dragon grabbed him with its claw, and the protagonist shouted, Mu Chen, he will always surpass him. At that moment, Mu Chen gritted his teeth and thought, damn it, why didn't that guy Carlo tell me that Zhang Yi completed the second trial? He remembered how he had handed him the scroll and told him to remember that it could only be used once. He thought, right, there's a scroll. Then he took the scroll out of his inventory and said, Zhang Yi, he shouldn't be too happy. The dragon shouted, well then, come on, he must show his strength. The next second, a dragon appeared in front of Mu Chen, throwing away the protagonist's dragon. The protagonist called out to the creature in fear, while the enemy dragon bit his dragon and threw it up, after which the dragon fell onto the rocks. Mu Chen thought, Carlo hadn't lied. With help like this, even a giant second-level dragon is no obstacle to him. At that moment, the protagonist knelt before the dragon and extended his hands towards it, and Mu Chen shouted, Zhang Yi, today is the day of his death. Meanwhile, the guy asked, do they want to save her? It all depends on their ability. Xinglong shouted, they must quickly give Xiaoyao back. Then Yaru created a magic symbol in front of her and cast hail. The boy shouted, skeleton, he's leaving this to him. He mustn't fail. In response, he used a bone block, blocking the ice attack. Xinglong said, he wants to intimidate miss. His arrows will put him in his place. The next second, he took aim and used victorious light. This attack cut through the stones covering the opponents, and then the boy concentrated electrical energy, but Xiaoyao flew forward, and he shouted, damn it, she's running away. The others shouted, Xiaoyao's sister. He pointed his hand forward and used spring darkness. Yaru then created a stone barrier and said, Xiaoyao, she doesn't have to be afraid. It's fine. Then she turned around and asked, Duanfeng, is he okay? He fought the enemy and shouted for them not to worry. He would finish the fight quickly. At that moment, his opponent shouted that he would finish the fight, not him. He directed an attack forward, a full bandage. At this moment, bandages were wrapped around Duanfeng's body from all sides, but he easily broke free and shouted at him not to get excited. He promised to finish quickly. Then he directed his attack forward, striking his opponent. After that, he turned around and told him not to look at him like that. He didn't think the other 2 swords on his belt were just for decoration, did he? Then the guy landed on the ground and said that they got rid of 1, 3 remained. He put his hand on Skeleton's shoulder and told them not to rejoice too much. Their plan had already been completed. He thought that the bandage had been sacrificed. Their strength cannot be underestimated. The next second, the dragon released powerful energy, and a voice nearby shouted, "How is this possible?" Yahello sharply turned around, looking at the explosion, and shouted, "Something happened to Zhang Yi. They were deceived. Their real target is Zhang Yi." The people nearby shouted, "Who is so cruel and disgusting? This is a safe zone." The Dragon Emperor flew forward and shouted, "He must keep running. He'll see how long he can hold out." He was right behind him. At this moment, the protagonist, riding on the dragon, said, "Damn it, we need to stay away from crowded places." He thought, the 4th level Dragon Emperor's attack is too ferocious. They have no chance of getting any closer. But they won't be able to find his weakness if they just hide. Then he said, "Xiaoi, they need to attack." He believes he can do it. Then he shouted, "Damn it." After that, he rose up on the dragon and shouted, "All old and new grievances, he will put an end to them today." At this moment, the Dragon Emperor released a powerful stream of fire, and Mu Chen pointed his hand forward and shouted, "He's moving forward with such confidence, but is he underestimating him or overestimating himself? The 4th level Dragon Emperor's fiery breath will reduce them all to ashes." He smiled as he looked at the fire and added, "Even if he has an immortal body, the monster underneath him will be burned alive." The system reported, player Zhang Yi takes damage from the Dragon Emperor's level 4/4 fire breath, minus 500 HP. Player Zhang Yi takes damage when activating the Soul Link skill, minus 500 HP. Soul Link is a level 11, rank 2 Beast Tamer exclusive skill. Once activated, the damage taken by the monster is transferred to the Beast Tamer. Duration 60 seconds. Cooldown 3 hours. MC, holding onto the dragon's horns, thought, Soul Link can help its damage transfer for a short time. So as long as his immortal body is activated, Xiaoi is also immortal. Then he shouted, "Xiaoi, he should attack his right wing." He thought that wings are the most vulnerable part of dragons. Once they are damaged, the dragon loses its ability to fly, and the power of its attacks weakens. The next second, the attack hit the Dragon Emperor's wing, and the system reported that the 4th level Dragon Emperor had been attacked by Xiaohai's claws, minus 1500 HP. At this moment, Mu Chen looked in surprise at the cracked armor on his arm. Meanwhile, the protagonist wondered why he felt like something was wrong with this Dragon Emperor. His attack only dealt 500 damage, but he himself received 1500 damage from Xiaohai's claws alone. This Dragon Emperor's defense damage isn't as high as it should be. Could it be that only illusions have such a large difference between the damage dealt and the damage received? Could this not be a real dragon, but a contracted illusion? A contracted summon is a contract signed with a high-level monster to specially summon an illusion to fight on its behalf. The more powerful the monster summoned, the higher the price to be paid for the summoning, ranging from physical damage to mental damage. At this moment, Mu Chen looked at his injured arm and asked, "What's wrong with it?" MC landed nearby and thought, then, the appearance of people from the Divine Guild and this summoning scroll makes sense. This idiot is just Carlo using it as bait. He then said, "It seems he doesn't know that the price for using this scroll will have huge side effects." He frowned and said, "No, that's impossible." He wouldn't lie to him. He had only just become stronger. It couldn't end like this. The protagonist extended his hand to him and said that his body was rapidly aging. This is the price for using the contract summoning. Doesn't he understand yet? He was using him. He was just a pawn in his hands. Mu Chen pointed his hand at him and shouted, "No, even if he dies, he'll drag him into the grave with him." At that moment, the Dragon Emperor opened his mouth wide, and Mu Chen took a stance and shouted, "I don't care." He's giving all his strength to the Dragon Emperor. The protagonist shouted, "He's gone crazy." He's about to merge with the illusion of the Dragon Emperor. Mu Chen, concentrating energy in his body, shouted that he would destroy him and this entire city. They would all prostrate themselves before his power. At that moment, he used lava purgatory. The rest of the people fled from the fire, shouting that they needed to run. That madman is killing people. At that moment, the MC covered himself with his hand and shouted, "Damn it. Even in the face of death, people like him don't change." How blind was he before, when he didn't know what a scumbag he was? However, who would have thought that in this life he would turn out to be an even bigger idiot? Meanwhile, Mu Chen, riding the dragon's head, shouted, "Zhang Yi, so what if he was reborn? He can't kill him. On the contrary, he will be killed by him again." At that moment, the dragon's claw reached out to the protagonist and grabbed him. He thought he'd completely lost his mind. Then the dragon slammed its claws onto the ground, and the protagonist jumped up and noticed the scroll. He thought he needed to destroy the summoning scroll. Then the connection between the illusion and his real body would be severed. After that, he conjured a weapon in his hand and shouted, "Xiaohei, he must cover him." He swung the weapon and shouted that he would destroy it. Then he smashed the scroll, and Mu Chen, beginning to disappear, shouted, "No, he can't lose." But at that moment, the protagonist's dragon fell to the ground, and the protagonist ran to it, calling out an alarm. Meanwhile, Xiaoya looked around and shouted, Why are there so many casualties? Those people from the Divine Guild are crazy bastards. Duanfeng added, damn it, I shouldn't have let them go. Sooner or later, they'll pay for this. Yuro ran to the protagonist and shouted, John Yi, are you okay? They couldn't come to his aid. Then she noticed the wounded dragon, and he put his hand to the creature's head and said, to save him. He practically sacrificed his life. He will definitely find a way to save him. And as for the person behind the scenes who planned all this, he would make him pay for everything at any cost. Sometime later, the outskirts of Dawn City, Chushui Forest, Yaro looked at the protagonist, who was running further, and thought, why did he come here so early? What does he want to do? At this moment, MC thought, in the world of apocalypse, there is an extremely valuable revival potion. No matter how many wounds you receive, if you drink this, you can fully recover. Then he said that Xiaoi is now in critical condition. Relying on an ordinary life potion is completely useless. If he wants to save him, he must get this potion. Weakness. The monster is mortally wounded and is on the verge of death. In this state, the monster cannot be summoned by the master to participate in battle. He thought that to get this potion, he needed to find a special healer, Leia, and complete a chain of quests to prepare it. Then he stopped next to the girl and said, finally, they see each other again, Leia. Not long before, he ran up to her and said that he had found all the materials she wanted. She must help him make a revival potion. Then she gave him the special potion to drink. In the present, she turned around and asked, was he looking for her? He said, Leia, hurry up. She must give him the quest to prepare a revival potion. And she was surprised. How did he know that she was studying the revival potion? He suggested they talk later. She should give him the diary. He must save Xiaohei before it's too late. She conjured the diary in her hand and asked, is this what he meant? His little friend must be seriously injured, but he shouldn't worry. It's the diary. Before she could finish speaking, the protagonist took it and said, this contains the keys to 3 valuable materials needed for the potion. He will bring it, and she will prepare the potion for him. The plot is still the same. She wondered how he knew what she wanted to say. In response, he stepped forward and thanked her. The system reported that a mission had been received, creating a revival potion. According to the clues in Leia's diary, the additional quest required him to find all the precious materials needed to create the revival potion. The location is known, the essence of life in the Demon Tower. The Flower of Dreams is in Extreme Ice City. The final reward for the mission is a revival potion, 1 piece. He thought about it. The first step in the mission is obtaining the essence of life. Looks like he has to return to the Demon Tower. Just in time. Then Leia said thoughtfully, these 3 materials aren't easy to find. It will take him anywhere from 10 days to half a month to do it alone. He replied that he'd bring it in a few minutes, and that she should wait for him. At that moment, Yaru, watching him from behind a tree, thought, so it's for saving Xiaohei. But how did Zhang Yi know there was such a quest? Every time he rushed forward, she also wanted to do something for him. He shouldn't worry. He should give her the remaining materials. After some time, the system announced the opening of the city's Demon Tower. The gathered players were saying that finally, after a week, he could fight those monsters again. Damn it. He heard that last time someone reached the 12th floor. He absolutely had to beat that record. Hey, where did such a wild boy come from? And he runs so fast too. At that moment, the protagonist, rushing forward, thought, wait for him. Xiaohei, I'll definitely make a potion and bring it to him as soon as possible. He started knocking on the door of the city's Demon Tower, saying, hurry up and let him in. He was in a hurry. At that moment, the creature emerged from the room and shouted, who's calling him and isn't afraid of death? What weakling dared disturb his peace? The next second, MC stepped on his foot, causing him to fall, waving his hand and saying, he has no time to waste. He had to hurry and show him the location of the portal to the next floor. The monster grabbed his weapon, rose to his feet, and shouted, is it him again, you brat? The protagonist dodged his attack and thought, he hasn't used this 2nd-tier skill yet. He'll just check. The monster shouted, is he still using Substitute, contemptuous coward? They, demon warriors, always go all out. He used Demon Substitute, and MC pointed his hand forward and shouted, Soul Search. Soul Search is a Tier 2 Beast Tamer exclusive skill that summons an all-knowing demon to probe the enemy's weaknesses. He looked at the fragment of memory and the system reported that the contents were beyond the permitted range. Forced Soul Search severed. He wondered, why do they have memories from the real world? Were they really human too? At that moment, the monster fainted, and the protagonist, walking forward, thought, normally there's only 1 blue portal on each floor, but here there are 2. They clearly lead to different places. This image just appeared in the demon's mind. He should go and check the red portal. The system reported, the transfer begins. Player Zhang Yi bursts into the 30th floor of the Demon Tower. At that moment, a man watching from the large screen pointed forward and said, finally, he's here. He pressed the button and the system reported, data transfer. He said that then he would personally go and play with him. The system reported, data transfer complete. After some time, the Demon Tower 30th floor. The system reported that he had entered the 30th floor of the Demon Tower. MC shielded himself from the sand with his hand, thinking, suddenly, the red portal leads directly to the 30th floor. That saved him a ton of time. Then he looked at the towering building and thought, okay, now he just needs to get the life essence from that spire. The next second, the building was engulfed in a dark aura, and a rift in space appeared before him. He wondered what kind of pressure was that. Then a beam of powerful energy erupted from the rift, and the level 60 fallen angel Seraphim appeared before him. Seraphim conjured a magical symbol in front of her and said, since he's not afraid of death and dared to challenge the 30th floor, he will be suppressed with absolute power. She unleashed several magical attacks at once, and the protagonist, suddenly dodging, said, damn it, do you really have to throw such powerful skills at me right away? At this moment, a small stone hit Bahuang's face. He opened his eyes and sat up in surprise. He thought, didn't he just come from the 8th floor? When did he manage to get here? Then he looked to the side and thought, Zhang Yi, what's going on here? He said, he came here straight after the 2nd tier trial. He thought, why is the local boss the fallen angel Seraphim? Damn, he doesn't have enough strength. What should he do? Where are so many bones coming from? The system reported, unknown human skeletal bones left here since the time when Seraphim carried out a massacre in Dawn City. MC thought, nothing good can definitely be expected from this fallen angel. Then he sank to the ground and said, but he seems to have found a way. He extended his hand to the skull and said, go ahead, he will grant them a chance to avenge themselves. At this moment, the system reported, a divine level talent, a spirit summoner. The protagonist said, they must rise up, his warriors. At that moment, skeletons began to rise from under the sand, and MC shouted for them to surround her. At that moment, Seraphim looked at the undead and shouted in surprise, so he used these undead to stop her, and the real goal is the essence of life. At that moment, the protagonist began to dash to the top of the building. She told him to give up. She will not let him get it. She raised her hand up, and beginning to concentrate energy shouted, it must come down from the heavens, her lightning. An area of effect spell, the realm of thunder. An area of effect spell that causes a storm that lasts 10 minutes and deals 500 magic damage to all nearby enemies in a radius every 3 seconds. She sent a powerful attack forward and, having destroyed the undead, said, now, it's his turn. She walked forward and began to concentrate energy in her hand again. MC turned around in surprise. She directed a powerful beam of energy and shouted, game over! Then she swung her weapon, and the protagonist turned around in surprise. A powerful beam of light energy pierced Seraphim's chest. Seraphim turned and screamed. How could someone kill her? Bahuang stood behind her, stabbing her with his weapon. She wondered, why are there other players on this floor? At that moment, the system reported, attention, carrier damage, consciousness will be disabled. At that moment, the observer thought, damn, the NPC data stream control technology is still unstable. They were lucky today, he said, but they'll meet again soon. After a while, the protagonist, holding the potion in his hand, was surprised. Bahuang, why is he here? Isn't this a single-player dungeon? But he was glad he was here and alive thanks to his sword. By the way, he had never seen him use such a cool attack before. Bahuang shouted in surprise. What? Did he kill the boss? Sometime later, the Tower of Eternity. The observer said, Elf Apocalypse. She must replay all the scenes of the battle. She replied, yes, master. He watched the action from the large screen and told her to enlarge the lower right corner of the screen. She followed his order, and he, noticing the man, said, so that's who really interfered in his affairs. Sometime later, at the entrance to the Demon Tower, the system reported, the countdown to the Demon Tower closing is 3 hours 5 minutes 57 seconds. Qinglong walked forward and said thoughtfully, the boss isn't going to sit inside until dark, right? He can't be missing the Demon Tower so much since last time. Then the system reported, the countdown to the Demon Tower closing is 3 hours 2 minutes 45 seconds. Qinglong looked at the portal that had formed in surprise and shouted, Chief. At that moment, Bahuang placed his hand on the protagonist's shoulder, thanking him for his care of Yaru these days. He extended his hand and replied that everything was fine. Yaru would also be glad he had returned. At that moment, Qinglong joyfully said, young master, he's here too. Miss had disappeared since this morning. They had sent her a message but hadn't received a reply. Bahuang said, Yaru has always been cautious. There must be some reason for this. The protagonist said, yes, please. You should remember clearly. Had Yaru behaved strangely before she disappeared? Qinglong said thoughtfully. Strange behavior? He saw Miss in the square last night. She was standing in front of a statue alone, as if praying for something. He saw that she had closed her eyes and didn't bother her. MC said, the same thing happened to Yaru last night in the square by the statue. It must be a prayer quest. Prayer is a leisure and entertainment quest in Apocalypse. To complete it, you need to pray for 3 hours in the main city square at 9 p.m. There's a chance to receive an Oneiro's reward, a dreamstone. However, the stone itself is useless, except for decoration. However, if you water it with the dream spring from Menglin's villa, you can obtain a dream flower. Dream flower, he knows where the villa is. Yaru should be there, Bahuang said. Then they should go right now. After some time, Extreme Ice City, Menglin's villa. The protagonist walked forward and said, Qinglong, he should try sending him a message, but he summoned a system window and said, unable to send a message. He shouted in surprise, what's going on here? The protagonist replied, in fact, the villa belongs to the deity of dreams, and he has created significant information here to counter the enemies of Apocalypse. Various strange monsters will randomly appear in the villa. Players cannot exchange messages while within the villa's defensive formation. Therefore, Yaru is not responding to their messages. She must be somewhere here. They must not disperse after entering, otherwise it will be difficult for them to meet, due to the inability to communicate and exchange news. Meanwhile, Yahello shouted, "It's a dream spirit. Everyone must prepare for battle." The spirits rushed forward and used fierce fight. At this moment, Dunshi created a spirit behind him that grabbed the attacking spirits and said that he used his skill to restrain them. "Sister, it's her turn next." Yahello raised her staff and shouted, "Ice and snow, it must listen to her orders." The system reported, "Ice Storm is a mage-exclusive skill. Releases a storm of ice and snow to attack the enemy, dealing 500 magic damage per second for 10 seconds. Cooldown is 1 hour." Both attacks began to hit the spirits, and she and Dunshi said, "Wow, a level 50 mage is so cool." They were lucky to have a teammate. Then the spirits fell lifelessly to the ground, and a flower began to grow from them. Yahello shouted for them to look, and a flower had grown from the body of this dream spirit. Liu Su crouched next to the flower and asked, "Is this it?" Then Yahello extended her hand forward and shouted for her not to touch it. The others looked forward in surprise, and Liu Su jumped back in fear, asking, "What happened?" Dunshi walked forward and said, "After the death of the dream spirit, there is a chance that an elite blood flower monster will appear." He didn't expect them to meet it. At that moment, the monster walked forward. She said, "Poor people, why don't they go home?" But it seems they don't have a home. Since they don't have one, they must stay here with her forever. At that moment, magical vines wrapped around the players' bodies. Liu Su shouted in surprise, "Why did this monster look the same as Sister Mage?" Yahello told her not to be afraid. It was the elite blood monster's additional skill, Dream Transformation. Dream Transformation. When encountering an enemy, the creature will transform into the highest level player, simultaneously copying the corresponding player's equipment and skills. Liu Su shouted, "Sister Mage, she must help her." And she said that these flowers constantly live in the semi-darkness. What if? With these thoughts, she took out a crystal and threw it next to the flowers, which immediately withered. She shouted, "Exactly, they must be afraid of the light. They must use light skills against it." Then Liu Su shouted for the monster to look at her. She raised her hands and used Sunlight. Sunlight, a priest-exclusive skill, summons a beam of sunlight in the target area, restoring 500 HP to teammates in the area. Duration 10 seconds, cooldown 10 minutes. Then she sighed, freed from the shackles, and Dunshi lifted her up. The next second, arrows flew straight at them, and Yahello grabbed Liu Su and flew forward. She shouted, "Watch out." Those arrows hit the monster directly, and the players shouted, "They must get out of the way. Brothers, this is an elite bloodflower monster. Whoever grabs it, it belongs to him." At that moment, Yahello gritted her teeth and thought, "Damn, a flash just caught their attention. Looks like they want the reward for the bloodflower spirit." Liu Su pointed her finger forward and shouted, "This bloodflower spirit was summoned by them. They must not touch it." Yahello whispered, not to be impulsive. She suggested they wait and observe the situation. At least let them expend their energy fighting the dream spirit. Then the Bloodgate Guild members walked forward. One of them shouted, "Get away, onlookers. Bloodgate is here. They need to get out of the way. Get out of here. This bloodflower spirit belongs to Bloodgate." The other players started running away, and Dunshi leaned over to Yahello and said, "These are people from Bloodgate, the biggest guild in Extreme Ice City. They like to bully ordinary players." She adjusted her hood and thought, "Isn't this the group from the auction? If they recognize her, they'll get into trouble." Then she said, "They should go too. They won't become targets." At this moment, Shui Wuhan folded his arms across his chest, looked at their group, and thought, "This woman?" The next second, he threw his weapon forward. Yahello stopped in fear. He pointed a finger at them and shouted, "Of course he was right. It's the girl who was with Zhang Yi at the auction. Where are the others?" She replied that she didn't know what he was talking about, and she didn't know him either. The rest of the Bloodgate Guild members surrounded them, and she shouted, "Ow, how stubborn. She may not know him, but he knows her. He didn't have time to go to Dawn City to settle the score with them, and they came to him here." Dunshi smiled awkwardly and said that it was some kind of misunderstanding. This girl is with them. If they want the bloodflower spirit, they won't bother them. Since they are busy, they will leave. At this moment, Shui Wuhan kicked him in the side and shouted, "Get out!" He wants to just leave after meeting him. Liu Su crouched next to Dunshi and shouted, "Hey, they are going to the dungeon and don't want any trouble. He shouldn't pick on them." He grabbed his weapon and shouted, "What idiots! Since they are together, he will send them all straight to hell." With these words, he kicked off the ground and flew to attack. Yahello pointed her hand forward and shouted, "Weapon forward." She shouted, "Divine level talent, Spirit Summoner." Several spirits appeared and stopped his weapon, and the rest of the players shouted, "Damn, this guy from Bloodgate is a villain. That girl didn't touch him." That's right, they even gave him that elite monster without a fight. If their guild members are as cruel and reckless as they are, they should leave here. Then Shui Wuhan cut down the spirits, and one of the fleeing players shouted, "He's not a vile person, but alone against Bloodgate, we must forget. They must flee." Then Yahello shouted, "Her move." She directed an attack forward, but in response, he used lethal judgment, swung his weapon. He jumped up and shouted, "If she doesn't want it nicely, then she will do it badly." She can't blame him for his gratitude. Meanwhile, at the gate of the villa, Ba Huang, noticing the approaching frightened players, thought, "What happened? Why are all these people running?" MC approached one of them and asked, "What's going on inside? What are they running from?" He replied, "These are the beastmen from Bloodgate. They're killing players to capture an elite monster." He heard they captured a beautiful girl. The protagonist thought, Is that so? The player shouted that he advised them to go back. It's dangerous there. But he and the others ran forward and shouted that they must quickly go. Meanwhile, Shui Wuhan grabbed Yaru by the neck and shouted that he would give her a chance to survive. She must quickly call Zhang Yi. She replied that she was not going to call him. The other Bloodgate guild members were saying, such a beautiful girl would give her life for a guy. Zhang Yi is a coward. He must be hiding somewhere and trembling with fear. Seeing how many people from their Bloodgate are here, he laughed loudly, but the next second, an axe flew at them in one jerk. The protagonist punched Shui Wuhen and shouted, he dared to touch her. He sees that he wants to die. Then he picked up Yaro, and the frightened guild members shouted, boss. At this moment, Yaru looked at the protagonist and said that she was sorry she made him worry. He replied, it's okay. She should rest while he gets rid of these guys from Bloodgate. After this, Shui Wuhen wiped his face and shouted, Zhang Yi, he doesn't seem to have grasped the situation. He understands that this is his guild's territory. He fell forward and shouted for the others to grab this idiot. He would try to get him long and hard. The rest of his guild surrounded the protagonist, but a battle broke out behind them. Ba Huang, pushing forward, shouted, how dare they bully his sister? He'll kill them all. They made their way to the protagonist. He said everything was fine, but Yaru was seriously injured. They should take care of her first. The people from Bloodgate had always been treacherous. They shouldn't succumb to their provocations. Qinglong shouted, he shouldn't worry, leader. They will protect Miss. Ba Huang added, he'll always be here if anything goes wrong. Then Yaru said, he must wait. He must take it. This might be useful to him now. He must be careful. He was surprised. She handed him the item, a death ring, legendary quality, level 40, type ring. Attributes. Increase in all attributes plus 10 additional. Skills, death powers. Each time he kills a player, the ring's attribute increases by 50%. He put the ring on his finger and thought, this ring has already waited too long. He will sacrifice them all to it. Then he suddenly ran to the attack, scattering all enemies in his path. He shouted, absorption. He thought, Bloodgate is just a bunch of mobs. He wants to see how long they can hold out. The system reported, the death ring of player Zhang Yi absorbed the power of the killed players. An attribute increase plus 100. He looked at the shining ring on his finger and thought, the attribute increase from this ring is amazing. With this, not only is Shu Wuhen unafraid, but even a second-tier berserker is no match for him. Then, Shu Wuhen shouted, why are they standing there doing nothing? They must shoot at him, quickly. The next second, the archers fired their arrows, and MC turned slightly and said he was grateful. This was enough to activate the skill. The arrows hit his back. Passive skill, Helldragon's Roar. Exclusive skill, Dragon Roar, level 2. Now, every time you take damage, there's a 1% chance to summon a Helldragon, which deals damage equal to 400% of its attack power to all enemies within its range, and its attack power is true damage. The protagonist shouted for them to feel the dragon's wrath. The next second, the dragon unleashed a powerful dark fire on all enemies. They screamed, it's burning. Boss, he must save us. And Shui Wuhen, grabbing his weapon, used bloodthirstiness and said that he couldn't believe that he had become so strong in just a few days. He lost to him by accident. He must be bluffing again. He will avenge his brothers from Bloodgate. The next second, his weapon broke. He turned around in surprise and said, he shouldn't do this. Bloodgate is the #1 guild in Extreme Ice City. If he attacks him, the people of Bloodgate will not let him go. MC, pointing his weapon at him, said that he had already killed him once. He thinks he'll be afraid to do a second time? They, the members of Bloodgate, are all cruel and evil. So what favor would he be doing this world if he killed him? They want revenge on him. They should come and try. He answered, no. The next second, the protagonist beheaded him and told him to become a good person in his next life. The system reported that player Shui Wuhen was killed by player Zhang Yi. There is no chance of resurrection. The player is dead. Meanwhile, Qinglong walked forward and said, Headmaster, they've dealt with the people from Bloodgate. What should they do with the elite monster? He heard that killing it yields many rewards. He told him to wait and not kill it yet. Yaru, she got 1 Iros from the prayer quest, right? She should try giving it to the monster. She replied, okay. Then she handed over the crystal. She said, the warriors who recovered the Dreamstone should follow her. Qinglong shouted, the headmaster has clearly read some secret guide to the apocalypse, right? He knows a lot. Then his comrade asked, where is she taking them? The protagonist told them to simply follow her. She will lead them to the source of the dream. After a while, she stopped and concentrated a huge water sphere, saying, sleeping soul, it must awaken. The water began to bubble, and the dream goddess appeared. She waved her hand and said, the chosen one is finally here, one of the 10 gods of the apocalypse, corresponding to one of the 10 divine talent cards. After that, the goddess said, I've waited so long. It was a long time ago. Many years have passed. As the first player to find her, she will grant her a special reward. With these words, she directed it to Yaru, who extended her hand forward and said, this is the dream flower she's been looking for. The system announced, congratulating Yaru on obtaining the dream flower. She ran up to the protagonist and, hugging him, said, hooray, Xiaoi will be saved. He patted her head and said, yes, thanks to her, they now have the dream flower. Then Qinglong turned slightly and said, young master, maybe they should go and check the surroundings in case there's a Bloodgate ambush somewhere? Ba Huang agreed. And then the protagonist said, next, we need to learn how to make a revival potion. He pulled out the diary and thought, If he remembered correctly how Leia synthesized it, then it was definitely earlier. Then the system announced, congratulating player Zhang Yi on completing the potion-making quest and receiving 1 revival potion. He reached for the vial and said, "It worked." Then he directed his hand, creating magical symbols, and said, "Xiaoi, he suffered recently. He shouldn't have worried. Here, he should drink this potion. It will heal his wounds." He then poured the potion's contents into the dragon's mouth, and the next second, it revived. Yaru stroked the creature and said, "Finally, he's back." She missed him so much. At that moment, the goddess was watching them. She pointed her hand forward, and the system announced, "The villa's hidden command mission has been launched." Ba Huang asked what happened. "They must be careful." The goddess said that 1,000 years ago, ghosts invaded the Apocalypse continent, and the villa remained the only local settlement free from the invasion, protected by a formation. Seal cast. 10 gods rallied to fight back and sealed the king of the ghost clan. He then said that they were only delaying the inevitable. She added that, after the Great War, the whereabouts of the other 9 gods were lost, and she fell into a long slumber. What they saw now was an illusion left to her before she fell asleep. She had to wait for the chosen warrior to find her and awaken her. Yaru looked at her and said, "Dream Goddess, she has disappeared." The system reported, "The Lost Dream Goddess, a legendary hidden quest." After the sealing of the Ghost King, the whereabouts of the 10 gods of the Apocalypse remained unknown. They must follow the clues and find the Lost Dream Goddess. The main characters walked forward and said they'd been teleported to the quest location and should be ready. The next second, ghosts attacked, and he shouted, "Careful." He jumped aside and shouted for them to be careful. Yuru then pointed her staff forward and shouted that she'd stop them. MC said he'd take those 2. She unleashed an icy wind attack. Yuru then said, "Ready," and Ba Huang shouted, "Damn, they're not being controlled." The ghosts freed themselves from the fire, and he charged, shouting, "Looks like we need to fight head-on." He delivered a powerful blow, knocking weapons from the opponent's hands, and then he swirled his weapon, attacking another enemy and decapitating several more. The others also went into battle, and the main character said, "They're ready too." Yaru said, "So, does that mean they can only leave this space after awakening the goddess of dreams and completing the quest?" She spotted several magical butterflies, and MC activated his treasure hunter ability. He said he thought they'd find out soon. The next second, he spotted a chest hidden beneath the water and said, "There really is something under this lake." Qinglong folded his arms and asked, "Where did the monsters come from?" They just checked, and everything was quiet. The protagonist crouched down and said they looked like ghosts in the dream goddess's illusion. Yaru asked, "But the ghost clan was suppressed, so how could they appear here?" The protagonist thought those butterflies had also appeared out of nowhere. He pointed his hand forward and said there was a chance they weren't in the villa at all. They had ended up in the dream goddess's dream. Yaru was surprised. Were they in a dream? He said that dreams don't follow the game's basic rules, so suppressed ghost warriors appear out of nowhere, butterflies flying around. Only the dream goddess can store and move the data of several players at once. That's why she asked them to find and wake her. After that, he abruptly jumped into the water and invited the others to come and take a look. They had used water avoidance. Water avoidance is a mage-exclusive skill, a group buff that grants free movement underwater. After activating the skill, the player enters a state of water avoidance. Duration, 3 minutes. After a while, the protagonist pointed forward and told them to look. The butterflies were flying toward the stone gates of the palace. There was a passage further on. They should go and see. At that moment, Yaru turned around in surprise and told him to wait. There was something at the bottom of the lake. The next second, several tentacles reached straight for her. The tentacles wrapped around her body, and MC swam up to her and shouted, "Yaru." She closed her eyes. Then he cut several tentacles and shouted, "Yaru, she must follow him." The system reported 30 seconds of water avoidance remaining. He thought this monster's regeneration was too strong. Qinglong fired several arrows, and Ba Huang shouted, "The water avoidance spell is almost over. They can't waste time and energy here. They need to run." The protagonist turned around and shouted that he would hold him here, and they, the guys, should go and open the door. The system reported 20 seconds of water avoidance remaining. Ba Huang swam up to the door and said, "Qinglong, he must come here and help open the palace gates." The system reported 10 seconds of water avoidance remaining. He thought, "There's not enough time. It should open." The system reported 5 seconds of water avoidance remaining. Ba Huang shouted, "One last push, and it will open. 1, 2, 3. The system reported water avoidance ended. The boys managed to open the doors, but they encountered blocking spells on their way. The protagonist cut a few more tentacles and, reaching out to Yaru, thought she should grab his hand. After that, they swam up to the ceiling barrier. A tentacle moved after them, and Ba Huang, attacking it, shouted for them to close the doors. Then the doors closed. They stopped near the door, and Yaru, crouching on the ground, said that it was dangerous. She was almost dragged away by a monster. The protagonist said it was fine. An octopus wouldn't get in here. He suggested they take a look. Then they walked forward, and Qinglong looked around and said, "The shape of these symbols is so strange." It gave him goosebumps. The system reported that these are words, and most importantly, he said, These are the words of the ghost clan. As Oniroya, the goddess of dreams, mentioned, this place has been invaded by ghosts. God, what happened here in the past? Yes, but they can only see a small part. Bahuang looked around. Did the ghost invasion have anything to do with the impending apocalypse? Then one of them said, this catastrophe will soon occur in the apocalypse world, and no one will escape alive. After that, Yuru pointed her finger forward and shouted, guys, they have to look ahead. MC said, there. On the high platform, in chains, isn't that the goddess of dreams? She's here. It seems her dream is no coincidence, and there's some kind of conspiracy behind it. The next second, the chains rattled, and Celine said, well, hello, 4 little bugs? Do they even know whose territory they're trespassing on? She stepped forward and added that she didn't expect them to come such a long way here. She'd waited a long, long time. Then she stopped next to the goddess and said, oh, she still refuses to accept her fate? She's the one who brought them here, right? With that, she grabbed a butterfly and leaning toward her ear said, but does she know? She's even enjoying this little distraction. She'll kill these bugs right before her eyes. The next second, several warriors surrounded the boys, but were scattered by a powerful explosion. Then Yaru pointed forward and shouted, hey, who is she? She must let the goddess of dreams go. Celine asked, let her go? If they were strong enough, they must force her. Those who enter her domain do not leave alive. At that moment, the chains closed the doors. She sent another target forward, aiming a huge stone at them, shouting for them to die. Bugs. The guys screamed. There are a lot of ghost corpses here. They must use a summoning. At that moment, Yuru extended her hand to the goddess, asking, her name is Yuro, right? She was lucky. There was more power in her body than she thought. She must remember she must always remain true to her convictions. At that moment, Celine looked at what was happening in surprise, and several spirits headed straight for her. She aimed a huge stone at them, destroying the undead, and shouted, even the goddess of dreams couldn't defeat her with this trick. Why did they think they could handle it? Then Bahuang charged and shouted, should we add him? Qinglong added, he can't be discounted either. He sent the golden aria. Celine continued to direct her magic chains at them and shouted, they're corpses. She used soul-locking chains. Magic chains bound the boys' hands, and Bahuang shouted in surprise. What the hell? Celine shouted, come on, they're her puppets now. This soul-locking chain will turn them into her servants. They screamed, how is this possible? Their eyes changed color, and Celine then directed them at the rest of the members. She added, what she enjoys most is watching close teammates kill each other. What a wonderful show. At that moment, Bahuang leaped to attack, and Yaru shouted in surprise, brother, what's wrong with him? It's her, his Yaru. But at that moment, the protagonist stopped his attack with his sword, shouting, Bahuang, he must have woken up. He dealt a few blows, and Celine, extending her hand forward, told him not to bother. He's now her most obedient puppet. Bahuang shouted for them to run, and MC skidded to a halt on the ground nearby. Then Bahuang charged at Yarrow, and the protagonist shouted, he has to stop. She's his sister. Yarrow said in fear, brother. Qinglong shouted, no mercy. He must shoot this girl's heart. The protagonist shouted, Yarrow, be careful, behind you. Several arrows flew straight at her, but at that moment, one of the undead covered her with his body, and MC thought, Yarrow's spirit summoner has improved. Now the tenderness she summoned can move on its own, protecting the summoner in such a situation. Celine concentrated energy in her hands and ordered them to kill them for her. They mustn't resist. Their end is certain. The protagonist and Yarrow stood back to back, and he thought, if they continue to fight, they will only lose strength and injure Bahuang and Qinglong. He needs to deal with this somehow. Then he created a magic symbol, and they mounted the summoned dragon. Celine said she thought he barged in because he had immense power, and his trump card was just a dragon. He was completely helpless in front of her. She sent forward the chain arrow of fate. She would let him watch his comrades betray him one by one. Then there was a small explosion, and the dragon fell to the ground as MC asked, Yaru, is she okay? She replied, yes, everything is fine, a couple of bruises. Celine walked up to the protagonist and sitting on him, said, his companions and beasts will become the servants of the Ghost King. He should stop this futile resistance. He smirked and asked, yes? At that moment, the dragon devoured Celine's body. The protagonist smiled and said, it worked, he thought, but Bahuang and Qinglong are still under the control of her chains. We can't let that arrow touch the dragon. He shouted, Xiaoi, he must strengthen his left wing. The dragon carried out his orders, and Yarrow asked if they hadn't already defeated the guardian ghost. Why hadn't her brother and Qinglong woken up yet? The protagonist replied, perhaps the spell's dispel time hadn't ended yet, or maybe she was still alive. At that moment, a flower sprouted from one of the skulls lying on the ground, and Celine said she didn't expect to be fooled by his little trick, but that wasn't enough to win. He shouldn't underestimate her. The MC wondered in surprise, soul transfer to a flower? Or did she use a dream flower to switch places with them? But that's a dream spirit's ability, isn't it? She's a dream spirit too. Then she said she confessed. They were more stubborn than she expected. But this time, she wouldn't leave them a single chance. The protagonist took up arms and asked, hey, was she a dream spirit in the past? That's why she, like other dream spirits, is afraid of the light and hides deep underground. Why did she betray Oniroya? She screamed at him to shut up. That name, that person, she never wanted to hear it again. Only she could lead the ghost clan to prosperity. They, the goddess's minions, should go to hell. At that moment, the protagonist summoned the elf Apocalypse and asked what time it was in Apocalypse. She replied, it's 6:45 a.m., master. Yuro shouted, he wants it. He said that she too was once a dream spirit, and that's why she's hiding down here, away from the sun, from daylight. He thought, right now. Then he threw a sword at her, and she said such a weak attack won't harm her. But then she looked away in surprise and shouted, no. The sword pierced the wall, creating cracks and letting in rays of sunlight that pierced her body. MC said, it's a pity. But all her dreams have been shattered. Celine, having changed, looked at her hand and said in surprise, it really is sunlight. Bahuang, returning to his normal state, put his hand to his head and said, damn, my head hurts so much. Celine looked at the others and asked, who are they? Yaru asked, what's going on? She didn't look like the one who had controlled her brother and Qinglong with chains to attack them just now. Bahuang said that now she was no different at all from the ordinary dream spirits they had encountered before. The protagonist said that while she had likely been controlled by the ghost clan before, her essence was still that of a dream spirit, capable of directly resisting light and losing all spirit power when exposed to sunlight. The next second, the goddess broke free from her shackles, and Yaru cried out, Lady Goddess, she said, they must awaken her dreams. Sunlight filled the space, and countless dream spirits knelt before the goddess, who sat on the throne and said, my child, how she suffered. She was possessed by the power of the Ghost King, but in gratitude for saving her. 100 years ago, after the Ghost King was sealed, the remaining evil spirits bewitched her people, and she too was forced into a deep sleep, wasting her spiritual powers. In her dreams, she saw a clash of many forces. She's unsure whether it's a dream or a warning, but she can't bear to watch the world of Apocalypse face disaster again. To wake up, she could only create an illusion that summons worthy challengers to the villa. Only after their appearance can the villa reveal its true form. The system announced that they congratulated player Zhang Yi's team on completing the Lost Dream Goddess mission and obtaining the Honoria Blessing artifact, as well as a legendary treasure chest filled with equipment. She declared, this is their reward for completing the quest. Please, they must accept it. The MC looked at the chest and said, there are so many items. Even Duanfeng and Yaru have a share. They should see which one suits them best. They must choose. Qinglong said he wanted this dream bracelet, and Bahuang thought for a moment and said, the dream spirit armor looks good. At that moment, the goddess said, Yaru, she should approach her. She thought, dream goddess? Then the goddess handed her an item, Honoroya's Blessing. Artifact, level 50, type staff, attributes, all character stats plus 20%. Additional skills, blessing power, all team members can receive a 20% stat bonus. Unique skills, unknown. She reached out for the staff and thought in surprise, is this for her? The goddess said, rather, it chose her. Her talent card was originally transformed due to her strength. It is a partial dream power. She is like a different her. It seems like the most suitable weapon for her, right? The protagonist thought, no wonder Yaru's spirit summoner talent is so similar to the goddess's ability to summon dream spirits. It turns out that divine talent cards carry the powers of various apocalypse gods. Then the goddess said, well, they've already wasted too much time here. Now she'll send them back, and she has a rather rude request of them. Please, they must find and awaken the remaining 9 apocalypse gods as soon as possible. If disaster is truly looming in the apocalypse, only together can they withstand it. They must be prepared. Sometime later, at the villa, Qinglong was surprised. Has everything changed here? It used to be so gloomy. MC said, this is the natural view. Previously, this suffered from the invasion of the Ghost Clan. At this moment, Liu Su, clutching her heart, walked forward, and Yaru, noticing her, cried out in surprise. What happened to her? She shouted for them to run faster. At that moment, members of the Bloodgate Guild came straight towards them. One of them pointed a finger at the protagonist's group and shouted, Great Elder, the master died at their hands. These people clearly don't take their Bloodgate seriously. The old man clenched his fist and shouted for them to drag them to him. The protagonist said, it looks like the people from Bloodgate have come to avenge their comrade. Yaru, holding Lu Su, said, he attacked them first. It's not their fault. She raised her staff and shouted, Dream Blessing. The others were surprised by what she held in her hands. Is this the dream goddess's blessing? They found her? Then Shui Zhenyun pointed a finger at them and laughing loudly, shouted, she's just a little brat. They searched for her for so long but couldn't find her, and they think she succeeded? They mustn't be fooled by fakes. They must leave the petty minions to him. At this moment, Ba Huang rushed into battle. The protagonist, not lagging behind, striking with his sword, shouted, fakes. He must open his blind eyes and take a closer look. The power of blessing. All team members receive a 20% stat bonus. The old man thought, did she really receive an artifact from the goddess of dreams? It seems their lives are beyond saving. The protagonist shouted, they still won't admit defeat? A guild member shouted, Great Elder, their men are almost all slaughtered. His comrade added, Great Elder, it's best to retreat now and come back later. Before he could finish speaking, Shui Zhenyun plunged his hands into their necks and, concentrating his energy, shouted, Bloodgate raised them, 2 ungrateful cowards, so why shouldn't they become his sacrifice? They must come out warriors. Then his creatures emerged from the ground, and the MC shouted, watch out, there's an ambush. The old man shouted, they've killed so many people from his Bloodgate, if he doesn't take revenge, he'll lose all his reputation. His other subordinates added, it's either them or him that will die today. They then cut their palms and pressed them against the tombstone, commanding him to die. The blood sacrifice formation was activated. The protagonist shouted in surprise, "What kind of skill is that?" Liu Su said it looked like a formation skill, activated by several people at once. They should be more careful. Then the protagonist noticed a bright light and told the others to stay here while he went and checked to see if there was a way out. Ba Huang said, "Okay, then he'll look from the other side." Yaru told them to be careful and to come back if it doesn't work. After that, the protagonist stopped near the tombstones and thought, this must be a boundary, a formation. He then swung his weapon and shouted, "We need to break it." At this moment, Shui Zhenyun shouted, "They can't escape. None of the participants can leave the blood sacrifice formation." Yaru asked, "What's the result?" The protagonist placed his hand on his forehead and said, "Damn. It looks like this formation can't be broken by brute force." Ba Huang added, he tried several times and failed. Outside the blood sacrifice formation, the old man extended his hand and shouted for them to strengthen the formation. His subordinates shed even more blood, and several creatures emerged from the ground in front of the protagonist's team. Yaru shouted for them to look. These creatures are advancing. Everyone began to repel the attack, and the MC shouted for them not to waste time, or the number of ghosts in the formation will only increase. They can't be killed at all. Then he paused and thought, it seems the power of this formation is to absorb the enemy's spirit and time through a constant stream of ghosts. After all, they will slowly be defeated by sheer numbers. At that moment, a ghost appeared behind him, and the other shouted, "Zhang Yi, be careful." The ghost wounded the protagonist's neck and said, "Little handsome, he can't escape from her. Why doesn't he just stay with her in this formation? She's so lonely." He replied that he didn't want anything to do with her, a ghost. He grabbed her hand and thought, damn, these spirits are really hard to deal with. Then Ba Huang, still defending himself, said, "What should we do? The number of ghosts is only increasing. This can't go on. They must find a way to destroy the formation." He frowned and thought, those 4 stels must be the key to the formation. Only by destroying the stone tablet outside can they escape. He then took up his weapon and thought that their attack on the formation just now was too scattered. He swung his sword and thought, if they concentrate all their forces in one spot, they can punch a hole in the formation. He shouted that he would save Zhang Yi first. He and Yaru should try to break the stone tablet. He said yes. Meanwhile, at the villa, Diwu walked forward and said, "Oh, this is so boring." She thought she could get the reward for the Blood Flower Dream Elite monster. She didn't know which lucky guy had snatched it up first, and she'd only rushed here for nothing. Then she noticed a powerful explosion ahead and wondered, what was going on? Hasn't the elite monster quest ended? Why is there still such a fuss? Then she jumped aside and wondered, why are there so many Bloodgate corpses here? Is that a guild elder? What are they doing? Blood sacrifice formation, she uttered. The last time Bloodgate used it was when they attacked Ice City and killed the Beastman clan leader. Could it be the villa's turn this time? She thought in surprise. Zhang Yi? How did he catch Bloodgate's eye? No, wait. How did he manage to break through the blood sacrifice formation? If she cooperated with him, wouldn't they be able to destroy Bloodgate in one fell swoop? The Great Formation is maintained by the blood of these Shuizhenyans. If one of them falls, it will definitely affect the Great Formation, and then the Great Formation will be destroyed. Zhang Yi and his comrades will definitely take revenge. Then she leaped forward and shouted, "Right now! Hit Shui Zhenyun, he must fall." She flew forward and turning slightly thought that she had helped him break through the formation. The rest is up to him. Inside the formation, the ghost suddenly began to burn with fire, and the protagonist thought, has the ghost's power suddenly weakened? Then he threw her aside and she shouted, "No, her body." Ba Huang ran up to the protagonist and shouted, "Are you okay?" He replied, "Yes, everything is fine. Now the formation is destroyed. It's time to fight back." At this moment, Ba Huang gritted his teeth and said, "No. This great formation is about to collapse." The protagonist told them to run quickly, otherwise they will be stuck inside forever. He shouted, "Yaro, she must come here quickly. Everything here is about to be destroyed." Yaro and Qinglong grabbed Lu Su and shouted that they had to go. The protagonist extended his hand and shouted, "Come on." They must hold his hand quickly. The next second, they flew to the other side, but Qinglong shouted, "Have they forgotten him?" The MC grabbed Yaru and asked, "Oh, which one of them was the athlete? This distance is one jump for her. They believe in her." Meanwhile, Shui Zhenyun declared, "None of them will leave the formation alive today." He aimed a huge magical hand at the formation. Even if he dies, he will make them die with him. The smoke began to clear, and he, noticing the protagonist's team, shouted in surprise, "Are they still alive?" The protagonist gritted his teeth and said that they won't die so quickly. His Bloodgate is running out of power. At that moment, Diwu extended a rope toward him and shouted, "Grab this." She used a magical flying thread. He grabbed it, holding on to the rest of his comrades as they rose up. He shouted, "My Bloodgate has done too much evil. Today is the day of death." He grabbed his weapon and leaped straight at the elder. He thought his body was unable to move due to excessive blood loss. The protagonist plunged the weapon into his body and shouted for him to go to hell. He replied, "No." The system reported that player Zhang Yi had killed player Shui Zhenyun, the great elder of Bloodgate. The protagonist then thanked Diwu for her help. Thanks to her, they had dealt with Bloodgate. She replied, "Nonsense. They are enemies with Bloodgate." Besides, she simply wanted to repay him for the favor he had done her in Dawn City last time. By the way, he should take this. This is the best health potion in all of Extreme Ice City. All the human players are rushing rushing to buy it. He should get his sister drunk early, and she apologizes for that time with the ring. Yato took the potion and, smiling, said that it's all over. Then the others began to take the potion. MC asked why she suddenly returned to the city. Isn't Bloodgate pursuing her anymore? She pointed a finger at herself and said that the most dangerous place is the safest. Those idiots from Bloodgate would never have thought that she lives under their noses. However, she advises him to worry about himself. He's been a thorn in Carlo's side since then. Does he know what kind of bounty the Assassins Association is now offering for his head? He shouted in surprise. 1 million? He thought, damn. This guy is willing to fork out some serious cash to get him. Then Diwu stepped forward and said that now that Bloodgate had been destroyed, Extreme Ice City was safe for her. She would continue to replenish the association's orders. However, the city was currently leaderless. Carlo would never pass up such a chance to seize power, so he had to be careful. Afterwards, Yahello approached him and said that although Bloodgate had done many bad things, the rest of the Beastmen players were innocent, and the villa had only just reappeared. It would be bad if Carlo messed things up. He told her not to worry. He wouldn't let Carlo leave. He suggested they go to Extreme Ice City right away. After a while, Liu Su reached out and said, so this is what the Beastman capital looks like. They usually live here when they're not on missions. Those present in front of them began to mutter among themselves. Did they hear? Several human players destroyed Bloodgate. How could this be? Bloodgate is the largest guild in the city. It's impossible for such a small team to kill them all. He heard they'd completed the goddess quest and obtained an artifact from the goddess of dreams. Yaru stepped forward and whispered to the protagonist. Those beastmen had been staring at them ever since they'd entered the city. But why? No one except Bloodgate was supposed to know about their quest and artifact. He replied that Qinglong had told them. Before leaving, he'd asked Qinglong to enter Extreme Ice City before them and spread the news that they'd destroyed Bloodgate and obtained the goddess's artifact. This was to prepare them for an unimpeded entry into the city, meaning stabilizing the people's relationships with other guilds and the association to prevent any unexpected problems. She exclaimed, he's so smart. Then he looked around and thought, everyone here is judged only by strength. If they want to occupy Extreme Ice City, they need to strengthen and expand the guild and become number one. They then approached the Guild Management Association, and Lu Su smiled and pointed forward. She said, we've arrived, and here comes their Guild Management Association. After a while, a worker announced that it was a guest from afar. She grabbed the protagonist's hand and said, if he needs anything, just say so. She has all sorts of services for him. He felt anger. Yoro thought she sensed a strong killing intent. He then handed the bag to the worker and said, they're here to raise the guild's ranking. They don't need any strange favors. She replied, fine, as he wishes. Then the system announced, God Hunting Guild. Guild level raised from 1 to 5. Maximum guild members increased to 30. The worker raised her index finger and said, based on his current contribution to the guild level has been raised to 5. He thought the next step would be to recruit the strongest players in Extreme Ice City to the guild, so that its strength would become number 1. The worker said that when the contribution value reached the next level, she would be happy to welcome them back. Guild contribution. All guild members receive the corresponding contribution value for completing quests for clearing dungeons. After some time, the protagonist came out to the residents and said, ladies and gentlemen, he believes they heard the news that Bloodgate was destroyed. They constantly oppressed ordinary players and behaved disgustingly, giving no one peace. This end is their deserved punishment. Now he asks for their help. They must join this guild. He proposed that together they build a better place in Extreme Ice City without threats and intimidation. Dunchi raised his hand and shouted, they can count on him. When Bloodgate members attacked them at the villa, they stepped forward and protected them. Their guild is different from Bloodgate. The most important thing is philosophy and the guild. Love and peace. People shouted. They must add him, accept him too. At this moment, the mysterious figure thought, Zhang Yi, he underestimated him. Sometime later, in the Lion King's Pride Tavern in Extreme Ice City, Katya, sitting at the table, noted that the combined strength of the God Hunting Guild had surpassed that of the Xiao Xiao Pavilion Guild and taken first place in Extreme Ice City. They needed to support the leader together. All the members joyfully grabbed mugs of alcohol and shouted, long live the leader. The MC watched all this with a smile when he suddenly noticed Chink Long and approached him. He reported that something strange had happened in the city. The protagonist inquired about what had happened. The young man explained that, following his instructions, he had gone to buy health potions and equipment, but none of the stores had them in stock. He thoughtfully remarked that it meant their Extreme Ice City had become a place where it was impossible to replenish supplies. It seemed someone didn't want them to live comfortably. And this man has enough financial resources to empty all the shelves in one night. They must find out who is behind this before panic breaks out in the city. Sometime later, in the Extreme Ice City, The MC told the others that all the stores would be updating their inventory tonight. If anyone was up to no good, they would definitely come tonight. Everyone was to stand guard at their shops, and when they saw people acting strangely, they were to pay attention to their behavior and clothing, and they were to remember not to confront them, lest they scare off the enemy. In response, they replied that they understood. Suddenly, Diwoo chased after the masked man and shouted for him to leave something for her too. The MC heard this and said that they should proceed with the original plan first, and he would go and see what was going on. Suddenly, the masked man threw bombs and asked, "Do you want gifts? Then let her catch these." In an instant, a powerful explosion was heard. Someone shouted that everyone would be fined for throwing bombs indiscriminately. Don't they know that using fireworks in the main city is prohibited? The masked man laughed and replied that he would blow them all to pieces. At that moment, the protagonist caught her and asked if she was okay. Who was she chasing? He dared to bomb the main city. Diwoo replied that the two had been walking together since they entered the city. She was simply looking for a store and accidentally noticed them buying everything in sight, leaving her without a single potion. The protagonist asked, "Is it them?" No wonder, since they snuck in from outside, they would deal with them together. He grabbed her hand and ran after the villains. The masked girl called out to her ally and pointed out that now they were being pursued by another person. He should not forget that their task in Extreme Ice City is not to fight them. The guy replied that he thought they were keeping up. Since they couldn't get rid of them, he suggested blowing them up. They scattered bombs and shouted, "Let the fire flowers bloom." At that moment, Dunshi arrived, instantly creating a giant reinforced shield. The bombs bounced off the shield and flew straight at the bandits, followed by a powerful explosion. Yarrow approached the protagonist and asked if he was okay. Many innocent players were injured in the city. Chinklong and Liu Su went to treat them. "Are these the fences they're looking for?" He agreed, adding that they were trying to buy up all the goods and devastate the city. Huang approached the corpse and inquired about how these two people were bombing everything indiscriminately. Not like ordinary players, but like members of a divine guild from a lunar city. MC agreed, and taking the token, asked if he saw this symbol. He had seen it on members of a divine guild before. Carlo is behind it all? He thanks them. He wants them to stay in the Extreme Ice City in case of emergencies. Yarrow agreed and told him to be careful when he gets to the Moon City, because it's Carlo's territory. Diwoo said with a smile that she would go too. He shouldn't forget that that guy is her enemy. He dared to cause mischief in the Ice City. She must repay him. After some time in the Moon Castle, they both dressed in dark robes and put on masks. A guard asked what they were doing there. The protagonist showed his badge and asked if they were blind. They had returned from a mission arranged by the president. The girl noticed that he was delaying their report to the president. Isn't he afraid of losing his head? The guards apologized and let them pass. After that, Diwoo whispered that she hadn't noticed before that he had a talent for deception. The MC chuckled and replied that his skills were nothing compared to hers, especially when she'd gotten him into that bloody gate situation. After a while, they came to the other fences who were handing over their goods. Suddenly, the captain called out to them and said, "Come here. What's wrong with the two of them? Why are they late?" The protagonist replied that they were a little late on their way back. The captain said, "Get back in line quickly and don't hold up the team, or they'll be punished." After that, they joined the back of the line. He called out to the girl and noted that the potions and equipment they were carrying weren't the same as those in the Ice City. They were purchases from other major cities. He also noticed that they had a lot of different human equipment. They needed to keep a close eye on them. The captain shouted, "Everyone enter one at a time, leave your things and leave. If they make a mistake, no one will be held responsible for their lives." One of the fences entered the room and then began loudly begging for help. The leader remarked that it was just an accident and that they should continue. Diwoo clung to the protagonist and said she was scared. He noticed a silhouette in the darkness and wondered what was there. 3 enormous monsters appeared before them and began feeding on the resources they had brought. MC exclaimed, "Carlo, that lunatic is taming such monsters? They shouldn't panic or run. They can't show fear, lest they attract the attention of these monsters. As soon as they sense their fear, they will immediately attack them." It seems Carlo deliberately sent these people to buy up resources in all the cities to convert all these things into experience and feed these creatures. He really is crazy, because monsters raised this way will not become obedient and might even attack their master. Suddenly, the guy himself entered the room. The leader of the buyers asked why he was there. He replied with a smile that he wanted to see the progress of the monster breeding. "How are things going now?" The leader reported that at the current rate, they will need about 2 weeks to complete. He removed the cloth from the enormous cage and revealed a huge fire-breathing dragon. Suddenly, the protagonist ran up behind him with lightning speed and copied the talent. Carlo heard a strange sound and turned around, but he quickly turned away. A system window appeared, stating that the divine talent, Monopoly, had been successfully copied, getting gold and rewards x100. MC thought, no wonder this guy has a ton of gold coins and monsters. He gets 100 times more rewards. This talent was worth the risk. Carlo took out the legendary item, Silver Dragon Flute, and began playing music on it, causing the monsters to obey him. The protagonist exclaimed, "This is a silver dragon flute. They say even the ancient dragon clan can control it, but the chance of this item dropping in a dungeon is extremely low. This guy's talent obviously helped him get this thing." Carlo said that all the knights are waiting for their tamed monsters. Let them speed up the cultivation process. If his siege plan is delayed, he'll feed him to those creatures. The head fence agreed and added, let him be sure. MC approached the girl and asked if she was okay. Now that they knew what was going on, it was time to get out of here. She clung to him and replied that she would never set foot in such a terrible place again. Suddenly, Carlo called out to them and told them to stop. The protagonist nervously wondered. He hadn't suspected them. Had he? He wondered if he had any orders for them. The guy asked, can't he see the others are busy? Let him go and deal with those corpses on the ground. They were just a pile of lazy trash. All the fences bowed their heads and began to clear away the corpses. After a while, they emerged outside. Diawu said that when she returned, she would go straight to bed. She hoped she wouldn't dream of those horrible monsters. Afterwards, they arrived at the extreme ice city. The protagonist sat on the roof of the tavern and began to think about his own affairs. Yaro approached him and noted that he had been constantly pensive since returning from the moon castle. What was going on? He replied that he had received a lot of important information this time. Carlo was secretly breeding terrifying monsters, and he had even allegedly founded a troop of knights to fight these creatures. As they were leaving, he heard him mention a siege plan. If he guessed correctly, Carlo should soon attack the main cities. The girl asked if they would be able to withstand his attack. The MC replied that they would not. The city's current defense level was only basic. If a massive number of monsters attack, the defenses will collapse almost instantly. But they still have some options. In the apocalypse world, there is elemental spar with special powers that can not only resist the high-temperature breath of a dragon, but also strengthen the city's core structures, which, once upgraded, can be used for a counterattack. This precious ore can only be mined by goblins who have lived underground for a long time. If they can extract enough ore before Carlo attacks, they will have hope. He has a request for her. He will go in search of the elemental ore himself, and she will remain and protect the Ice City. He will call Duanfeng and Xiaoyao from the City of Dawn to help her. Yaro replied that he need not worry. With them, the Ice City is well protected. Sometime later, the protagonist arrived in a withering forest. He thought that goblins usually live far from the city, and if he was attentive, he could find them in this forest. He noticed a huge footprint on the ground and wondered if it belonged to a giant. But giants don't live here. Something must have made them enter the forest. Giants and goblins are constantly at war with each other. Giants win through strength and goblins through agility and their inventions. So the unexpected appearance of the giants could be connected to the goblins. Suddenly, from behind him, a giant pinned Sylph, the goblin princess, against a tree and shouted that she was caught. Let her show him where she'll hide now. MC immediately used the chain lightning skill and attacked him from behind. The giant fell to the ground from such a powerful blow. He stood up furiously and shouted, "How dare you sneak up behind him and attack me?" The protagonist replied with a smile that he simply didn't want to see him bully others. The giant grabbed a tree and said that since he'd interfered, he should get what he deserved. He uprooted the tree and threw it at him. The protagonist dodged and reflected that while giant superiority lay in their physical strength and enormous size, their weakness was also obvious. They are clumsy fools. He appeared behind him in a flash and finished him off with a swing of his sword. A system window then appeared, stating that the player's level had been increased to 60. MC exclaimed that this divine talent, copied from Carlo, was pure cheating. With this, not only did the leveling speed increase, but the rewards for regular mobs were also much greater. After that, he approached the goblin girl and said that it was now safe here. Let her come out. The girl burst into tears and thanked him for saving her. The protagonist looked at her crown and asked if she was wearing elemental crystals. He was looking for this ore. Could they sell it to him? She exclaimed, "No, this pendant is very important." She couldn't hand it over, but if he escorted her back to the goblin camp, she could talk to her comrades to sell some of her supplies. A system window appeared, stating that a side quest was available: escort a goblin. Description: have him escort a goblin attacked by giants back to the goblin camp. Reward: 1 elemental crystal, 200 goblin camp reputation. The protagonist smiled and said, "Don't you worry, he'll definitely see her home safe and sound." Another system window appeared, stating that the player had accepted the escort a goblin quest. After that, they set off. He wondered if the goblins all worked together. Why was she here alone? It's dangerous outside. Aren't she afraid of being caught and eaten by giants? The goblin replied that she simply went out to look for clues about the main god. As long as the main god is with them, they don't need to hide or fear giants. MC wondered if the goblin race's main god had also disappeared. Was this also connected to the ghost invasion? After some time, they came to a forest clearing. The girl said they had arrived. She took out a crystal, waved it, and magical butterflies flew out, scanned her face, and created a portal. A moment later, they were transported to a cave filled with ore. Sylph explained that they usually mine ore here and then take it to big cities to sell. MC wondered if selling ore doesn't bring in much money, right? She agreed and added that ordinary ore was cheap, but the elemental crystals he needed were different. This is very rare and there is very little of it, so the price was high. Suddenly, her stomach growled. He smiled and gave her a roasted chicken leg and told her to help herself. The princess began eating and thanked him. After that, they went to the goblin city, but when they arrived, they saw a terrible scene. The entire city was ablaze. She asked in horror how this could have happened. The protagonist, with a serious face, said that it looked like giants had broken into their camp. There were traces of fierce fighting everywhere. The goblin noted that their camp was heavily guarded. How could giants have entered? MC approached a huge hole and said that they must have passed through this hole and then attacked her comrades. He thought that these residual energies were very similar to elemental crystals. Sylph exclaimed that she was going to avenge her people. A system window appeared, stating that a side quest, Goblin Rescue, was available. Description: the goblin camp was attacked by giants. Please let him rescue the goblins captured by the giant Kaiser. Reward: 4 elemental crystals, 500x goblin camp reputation. MC said he would accompany her to meet those hated giants. After some time, they arrived in a rocky area where enormous tents had been pitched. He noted that the giants were enormous, and their movements in the forest were restricted by the branches of the bushes. Only the endless, uninhabited wasteland could allow them to run and fight freely. The giant tribe was here. It was time for them to see this. Afterwards, they hid behind one of the tents. One of the giants sitting inside exclaimed that in such bad weather, it was better to stay home and not freeze. It was thanks to the captain that they had found the goblin camp. When they returned them and the crystals to headquarters, they would be rich. Another agreed and added that it was all their captain. It was right to follow him. Sylph exclaimed that this was too much. How dare they mock her comrades like this? She would beat those bad guys. The protagonist grabbed her and asked her to look at herself to see who would beat whom. This was giant territory. She shouldn't make noise here. Otherwise, unnecessary problems might arise. Better to leave this matter to him. He opened the tent and shouted, "Aren't you ashamed to make money selling living creatures?" The giant asked in confusion. Where could a human have come from? They needed to catch and devour him. The protagonist replied, "Let him eat delicious food in his dreams." He knocked him out in an instant and, approaching the goblin cage, told them not to be afraid. He was not a bad man and had come to save them. They saw Sylph and exclaimed, "Why is the little princess here? It's dangerous here. Let her go." The girl approached the cage and replied, "Don't be afraid. This man is very strong. He saved her, and he will definitely help save them all." Suddenly, Kaiser, a level 70 goblin captain, entered the tent with his guards and shouted, "Are these two, instead of standing guard, sneaking into the tent and being lazy? Let them drag them out of here and beat them up." At that moment, the goblin princess hid in the cage. He looked at the goblin's cage and shouted that he was warning them to behave honestly. Otherwise, he would throw them into the hardest and most tedious work when they reached the giant's kingdom. His assistants grabbed the giants the protagonist had knocked out and shouted for them to wake up and stomp on their own. They were sleeping like dead pigs. They couldn't even wake them. MC, hiding, thought it was fortunate he had escaped, relying on the invisibility potion. There were a lot of guards outside now. Saving all the goblins wouldn't be that easy. He approached the cage and noted that the giants would definitely increase their vigilance. If they jumped around thoughtlessly, they would only ruin everything. But she shouldn't be afraid. He would definitely find a way to save them all. The girl replied that she trusted him. She handed over the item and said it was their goblin clan's communicator. With it, they would always be able to stay in touch and fight together. The other goblins exclaimed that they would support the princess's decision. The giants had destroyed their camp. They would fight them to the end. After some time, the protagonist climbed a rock and, observing, reflected on the giants who had wandered around the valley for 2 hours and now had been standing still for an hour. Kaiser seemed suspicious. If he didn't dismiss his guards, it would be difficult for him to discover the location of the giant's kingdom. He descended toward them and, hiding behind a rock, threw a small boulder. Kaiser, hearing this, shouted that someone was hiding there and told them to come out. Believe it or not, he would kill them with that rock. MC peeked out from behind the boulder and replied that he was just passing by. One of the giants shouted that he had knocked them out with a hallucinogenic potion. The captain noted that he had been following them the whole way. What did he want with them? He replied with a smile that he thought he was strong but stupid, and that he wouldn't be able to find him anyway. Kaiser furiously leaped at him and shouted that he was finished. He hated those who called them stupid. He exclaimed, "Let him show what true strength is." The captain used his giant fist skill and began to smash everything around him. MC rose into the air and, using his communicator, told the princess to find a way to attach a tracking device to this big guy. Kaiser destroyed the ground and shouted at him to look under his feet. That's where he fell into his trap. He leaped over the gap, thinking that with his acting skills, it would have been easier to write "trap" here on his forehead. The giant grabbed the princess and noticed that there was a strange goblin there. Did he really think he hadn't noticed her? He grabbed her and asked, "Did she find this man?" She thought she could defeat the giants with this frail man. The girl screamed for him to let her go. In an instant, seizing the opportunity, she threw the tracking device onto his head. Kaiser said that they, the goblins, should have disappeared long ago. He threw her into the hole and said that if she were obedient, he could keep her as a pet. But she was too unintelligent, so let her die. MC tried to make a lightning-fast dash, but the captain noticed and pushed him away with his fist. The princess grabbed the stone with her last strength and hung there. He approached her and told her that she truly was a naive and persistent little goblin. However, she should not forget killing her was as easy as crushing an ant. After this, Kaiser pushed her straight into the lava. The protagonist quickly pushed off the wall of the crevice and shouted that she should not be afraid. He was here to save her. He said that no one could resist the fire at the center of the earth. A painful death awaited them. It was time for them to return to the kingdom of the giants. After this, the giants began to pack up and leave. At this moment, the protagonist grabbed her and noted that they were beginning the second step of their plan. In an instant, Xiaoi caught them and flew away. He noted that she had just acted very riskily. This giant named Kaiser was cruel. The princess replied that she was not afraid and would definitely save her comrades and then drive the giant race away from their land. The MC, looking around, noticed that it was a deep underground fire that would inflict continuous burning damage on all creatures within. Was it still burning? The dragon silently soared upward. Suddenly, the girl began to pray and thought, "May her beloved God please protect his children and innocent people, preserve their fragile lives." In an instant, a protective barrier appeared around them. The protagonist asked in surprise, how could this pendant have such a powerful effect? Where did she get it? She replied that it was an item left to them by their god. After the main god left them, the tribe believed he had abandoned them and fell into despair, destroying all the things he had left behind. She managed to secretly save an ancient book and a pendant. She believes that the god continues to bless them. Suddenly, a lava scorpion attacked them, and the barrier cracked. The protagonist shouted, "It's a lava scorpion. The high temperature here has spawned a large number of lava creatures, and their attacks are more deadly than those of ordinary land creatures. She should hold on tight, they're accelerating." Xiaoi sped up and after a while flew out of the hellish ravine. MC said that without his help, they would have had a hard time getting out of this fissure in the ground. By the way, does the tracking device she attached to Kaiser work? Sylph agreed with a smile and added that it was the most advanced tracking device of their goblin race. She hid one in his hair. "Can you see it? It looks like they've left the valley and are heading into the desert. They changed direction very quickly and are moving non-stop. Their walking speed has also increased." It seems Kaiser decided that they were burned in the fissure and is now heading straight for the kingdom of the giants. After some time, they arrived in the desert, in the kingdom of the giants. The protagonist, looking around, noticed that this seemed to be the giants' secret place. At that moment, the giants began to chase away the exhausted goblins. He, seeing the princess's anger, said that the two of them couldn't rush into a crowd of hundreds of giants. It would be like jumping into a fire. Give her time. He would definitely think of a way to save everyone. Meanwhile, in the main building, the lord commanding all the giants asked if he had heard that they had been attacked along the way. Kaiser agreed and replied that he shouldn't worry. He had killed the man and goblin who were causing trouble. They wouldn't interfere with their plans. He hoped so. The captain showed him the crystals and joyfully declared that they were elemental crystals found among the goblin tribe. Please let him accept them. The lord silently activated a crystal and, aiming it at one of the giants, shouted that the opportunity to dedicate his life to their race of giants was the highest honor he could bestow upon him. In an instant, he mutated into a colossal minotaur. The lord laughed and exclaimed that the time was approaching when their race of giants would rise to prominence. Sometime later, in the kingdom of the giants, outside the desert, the captain took several warriors with him and asked those in the back, why were they dragging their feet so slowly? Make them move faster. MC, watching them, told her to hide here for now, while he took care of Kaiser. The giant himself shouted that the changing of the guard was about to begin. Those who were late would be deprived of lunch. He noted with a smile that, judging by the time, they should arrive too. The princess asked who. The protagonist jumped down and replied that she would find out later. One of the giants noticed him and shouted that it was the same man again. He landed with a smile and, greeting them, said that they met again. Kaiser said with a smile that he didn't expect him to emerge from the underground fire. And where was that little goblin? Did she really burn? But he didn't think he'd be so brave as to come straight to their giant kingdom, and he'd even be looking for a fight. MC said with a smile, "Don't get too excited. He only came to thank him personally. If he hadn't shown him the way, he would never have found this place." The captain swung his sword furiously and shouted that he'd asked for it, so let him die. He tried to strike when suddenly the protagonist summoned a flock of crows and, directing them to attack, replied, "Let him try." The giant tried to attack them, but the sand's magic enveloped his fist. He smiled and remarked, "Don't be afraid. The soft sand will absorb some of his strength." At that moment, a sand explosion sounded, and Kaiser was thrown back. The other giants were also hit and fell to the ground, then began to complain that they couldn't get up. He furiously shouted at the trash to shut up. The protagonist said he was too lazy to waste time with him. If he told him where the goblins were imprisoned and the crystals were kept, he would let him go. Kaiser picked up the horn and replied that he was being too proud. He shouldn't forget that this is the land of giants. While he was blowing the horn, all the giants were around. Suddenly, a dagger flew in and knocked the horn out of his hands. At that moment, the protagonist's friends approached them. Duanfeng smiled and said that they were finally getting involved, otherwise he was almost moldy from boredom in the city. Yaru remarked that now that they were here, the giants would be dealt with. MC said with a smile that they were just in time. He had contacted the girl a little earlier and told her that he had encountered a large number of giants in the desert area and needed her support. He was sending her his coordinates. Also, have Chinklong change into his suit and stay in the city with Diwu to take care of business. They needed to prevent unrest in Extreme Ice City. Yahello replied that she would do everything right away and he should pay more attention to his own safety. Kaiser furiously shouted that they had angered him. Trash is trash. Even if you pile it up, it will still be trash. Now he will beat them all up. He began to furiously attack him, smashing everything in sight. The protagonist, dodging in surprise, noted that this really is a race with a developed body and a dumb brain. Let him try this combo. He combined two elements in his sword and delivered a powerful blow straight to the giant's body, then noted with a smile that the fight was over. He had lost. The captain fell to the ground and replied, "Don't let them rejoice too soon. Lord Anku will surely take revenge." MC grabbed his head and said he would wait for it, but his memory was his now. He used the soul search skill and began to suck information out of the giant. Suddenly, the ground began to shake violently. In an instant, a huge minotaur burst from the ground, holding a weapon. Seeing the girl's pendant, it swung furiously and shouted that it was its food. MC noted that this monster seemed to want to devour her pendant. Let her protect it. He swung his sword in response and parried the attack. Yahello approached the princess and said, "Don't be afraid. As long as they're here, no one will touch her." The protagonist shouted that he was his opponent. At this point, the giant lord controlling him said, "Let him destroy these intruders." The minotaur launched a powerful attack towards him, which cut through the stone. The protagonist dodged and thought that this monster looked stronger than Kaiser. At this moment, Duanfeng and Yahello arrived and began to assist him. He tried to attack the enemy with the soul cleave skill, but the monster created a powerful barrier, sending the sword flying away. MC, in wild shock, wondered if this was the power of an elemental crystal. He shouted that this minotaur had been transformed by an elemental crystal and had high defense. To defeat him, they needed to exert more strength. He needed 5 minutes. Could they distract him? Yahello charged and replied, "Let him rely on them, they can handle it." The protagonist used the skill Dragon God Stance Level 1, which allows him to copy a monster's attributes for a short time. Charging the skill gives him a 100% attack bonus. The charging time is 5 minutes, and the player cannot act during this period. He said, "Let them hold out for 5 minutes, and they will definitely win." Bahuang also attacked and exclaimed that everyone must endure these 5 minutes. They began to try to break through him, but they were unable to penetrate his armor. In response, the minotaur also charged. Yahello shouted, "This is bad. The monster's defense is too high." The monster summoned magical sand and trapped them all, rendering them unable to move. With 3 minutes and 40 seconds remaining, it approached the protagonist and said it was their turn. The princess stood between them and shouted, "Don't let him come any closer. He wants the pendant on her body, so let him come to her." The monster analyzed that Zhang Yi's threat level was 80% and rising, but the goblin princess's threat level was 0.1%. He pushed her aside and shouted that he was in danger. The girl flew back and pitifully asked why she was so weak. Not only had she failed to protect the clan members, but she was constantly interfering with Zhang Yi and his friends. She also wanted to become stronger. Suddenly, her crown glowed a bright blue and she transformed her body into a more combat-ready one. The minotaur analyzed her and saw that her threat level had risen to 90%. The princess had said she had told him not to dare approach him and to accept her challenge. Sylph launched a lightning-fast attack and instantly cut off his arm. The minotaur reattached the limb and began to attack her as well. He dropped her and approached. At that moment, the giant lord ordered him to devour her. The monster attempted to finish off the girl, but suddenly the protagonist appeared, having assumed a dragon stance. He easily stopped the attack and said that he dare not touch her. The minotaur, frightened, said that the threat level was incalculable. He couldn't calculate it. How did this happen? He delivered a powerful blow with his dragon tail and exclaimed that it seemed that this was all his shield could do. The minotaur fell to the ground and said that it was impossible. Physical damage could not be repaired. Critical damage had been sustained, and the body was disintegrating. At that moment, the giant lord furiously shouted for everyone to obey his command. Everyone except the goblin overseers must immediately go to the battlefield and attack. When the minotaur died, everyone else emerged from the magical sand. After the battle, Sylph returned to her small body. MC stroked her head and mused that she apparently didn't remember what happened. He said with a smile that they had already dealt with him. Yahello noted that her comrades would soon be free. She had already sent their shield to find the place where the goblins were being held. The protagonist said that was good. Then it was time for them to get out of this desert. Suddenly, he noticed an elemental crystal at the site of the minotaur's death and took it. A system window appeared, stating that a legendary hidden mission, The Secret of the God, was available. Task type, Team Task. Task description. The energy of a giant bull-headed mechanism seems to be connected to the missing goblin god. Let him please follow the clues to find the missing god. The reward for the task is 50 elemental crystals and the elemental heart artifact. The protagonist, surprised, said that the disappearance of the goblin god really had something to do with these giants. At that moment, the remaining giants rolled in a huge cannon and began bombarding them with fiery projectiles. The protagonist started running and shouted that the giants were attacking. They needed to hide quickly and retreat. Suddenly, Ba Huang called out to him and remarked that he thought he heard someone approaching. Suddenly, a huge flying ship filled with goblins appeared in front of them, shouting for the princess to run here quickly. After that, they all began to climb aboard. The crew worriedly asked if she was injured. Sylph replied that she was fine. What about them? Had they managed to save everyone? One of the goblins replied that, yes, everyone was here. MC asked, where's Dunshi? He explained that he was still fighting the giants. He also asked them to take the goblins to support him. The protagonist replied that he was glad to hear it. But where did they get this warship that could sail through the desert? The princess joyfully exclaimed that it was their latest goblin invention, the desert ship. This was taken by the ugly, nasty giants when they attacked their camp for the last time. Suddenly, one of the crew reported that the giants' artillery was targeting the ship and they would attack in 5 seconds. The ship's captain pressed a button, created a protective barrier, and shouted that they were sailing on. At that moment, the giant reported to the lord that the goblins seemed to be targeting the palace. He replied, let the goblins flee. Let them activate the quicksand trap. Let them find out who really rules this desert. After that, the giants began to prepare to defend the castle. In an instant, a vortex of quicksand appeared in front of the huge ship. The pilot shouted that they needed to turn quickly. There was quicksand ahead. He reacted quickly, and veering right, saved the ship. Sylph noted that this was dangerous. Any more, and they would have fallen. The protagonist said he felt like someone was trying to stop them from moving forward, meaning they must have what they were looking for ahead. He summoned the crows and said they would point out the quicksand. MC then gave the pilot commands, and they deftly avoided all the traps. After some time, they arrived at a huge pyramid. They approached the entrance, and he said Kaiser's memory showed he had been here for a long time, and this must be their largest lair. But such a large palace was guarded by only 2 giants. There was definitely a trap hidden here. He would enter and take a look first, and Yahello should wait for news. If the giants attacked, she should take the goblins and flee as quickly as possible. They didn't need to wait for him. The girl agreed, adding that he should leave this matter to them. She clung to him and tearfully told him to be careful. She didn't want to see him suffer again. Suddenly, huge giants approached him. One of them said he wasn't allowed in. The MC replied that he wanted in, and they wouldn't stop him. Suddenly, Ba Huang and Duan Feng arrived, saying he'd already attracted everyone's attention. Now it was their turn. He should leave the 2 giants to them. He didn't need to waste his time. The protagonist replied that he was counting on them. Ba Huang activated his berserker form and shouted with a smile that they would fight with all their might. Duan Feng, in turn, used the skill Hail of Invincible Blades and said let him try his recently learned Tier 2 skill. The protagonist, running inside the pyramid, thought that he would definitely finish everything quickly and not let them down. He looked at the ceiling and saw a destroyed cube. Suddenly, the giant lord said that this magic cube was in Kaiser's memory. He welcomed his uninvited guest. He threw Dunshi on the floor and asked, is this man his subordinate? He shouldn't worry, he'll soon be just like him. MC lifted the boy up and told him not to worry. He needed to rest first. He'd leave everything else to him. He'd make that giant kneel and beg for mercy. Anku asked, did he want him to kneel? He'd invaded his territory and killed his subordinates. He'd even let all those goblins go. Why did he think he'd let him do that? Anyone who stood in the way of the giant race's rise, be it goblins or them, humans who didn't know the heights of the sky or the depths of the earth, would be mercilessly destroyed. He swung his sword and delivered a powerful blow. The protagonist dodged and, in a cloud of dust, said that he only had strength but no precision. He should be more careful next time. He made a sharp dash toward his opponent and thought about how the giant's legs supported his enormous weight. One blow would be enough to limit his mobility. The protagonist attempted to strike, but Anku sharply raised his leg and shouted, don't let him compare him to the other giants. He is the king of all giants. He delivered a powerful kick, sending him flying into the wall. In response, MC used the technique of replacing his body with a toy, and flying into the air, delivered a powerful blow with his sword to the giant's head. The blow cracked the giant's helmet. Anku shouted, let all the giants lend him their power. Let this foolish man know what it means to anger the king of the giants. In an instant, all the giants began to fall to the ground, exhausted. Yahello, standing outside and watching all this, asked in confusion, what is this? It looks creepy. She doesn't know, but she has a bad feeling about this. She thought that Zhang Yi should be careful. At that moment, the giant lord shouted, let him feel the power of their race. This time he won't escape. The protagonist was stunned by such a powerful aura. He furiously struck and shouted, let him die along with these goblins. The protagonist, using the immortal body skill, asked, is that all? Anku began to hit him and shouted, how dare he mock his words? Let him get more. He wanted to see how long he could withstand his blows. He thought that the immortal body's lifespan was limited. He had to find a way to fight back. Was there another way to win? The conditions for leveling up the dragon race were very strict. He needed to earn the prestige of the human race, the beast race, and the locals. But as long as he successfully leveled up, he could obtain a powerful dragon race skill. Due to his previous actions, he had already earned the prestige of the human race and the beast race, leaving only the locals, a total of 200 points. If Ba Huang and Duanfen could kill the two giants at the entrance, that would be enough. What he needed to do right now was stall for time. The protagonist began to punch his fist in response. Meanwhile, Ba Huang, fighting the giants, was perplexed. What had happened? Ever since the yellow light flashed, their power had weakened and their movements had become slow. He shouted that their strength had dropped, so they needed to finish them off quickly. Duanfeng agreed with a smile, and the two of them finished off all the giants. A system window appeared, indicating that their team had successfully killed 2 elite monsters. Goblin clan reputation was plus 200. MC thought. Finally, Ba Huang and the others had succeeded. Another system window appeared, indicating that player Zhang Yi had successfully met the dragon race leveling requirements. Does he want to level up now? He rose slightly into the air and shouted that he wanted to level up. His body began to transform and a magical aura appeared around him. In an instant, a huge golden dragon appeared above him. A system window appeared, stating that you had been successfully promoted to Dragon Soul Master. Your level was divine, and your reputation points were 0 out of 5,000. Upon reaching these conditions, your soul mastery level will increase. Upon reaching mastery level 5, you will be promoted to Super Divine Dragon Soul Master. Dragon Soul Mastery has been achieved, unlocking the skill Divine Grade Forbidden Curse of the Dragon Soul. Unavailable skills were Divine Grade Dragon Soul Slaying, Divine Grade Guardian Dragon Soul, Divine Grade Ice Dragon Soul, and Divine Grade Blood Devouring Dragon Soul. Anku screamed in shock. How did he do that? MC replied that he should thank his race for that. His comrades had just defeated his subordinates, and he had earned the last necessary reputation points. Now it was his turn to attack. He used the skill Divine Grade Forbidden Curse of the Dragon Soul and shouted, "Let him taste the power of Dragon Soul Mastery." A system window appeared stating that the skill Forbidden Curse of the Divine Grade Dragon Soul reduced enemy HP recovery by 100% and cleared all enemy buffs. Each use consumed 10 Dragon Soul points, which were automatically awarded daily. The higher the dragon's race level, the more Dragon Soul points were awarded. Level 1 dragons received 10 points per day. Under the influence of such a powerful skill, the giant lord fell to the ground and was no longer able to move. The protagonist declared that he had now been stripped of his giant power and was no longer an opponent. Horrified, Anku said, "Let the other giants give him strength. He needed more power. He should wait and he would kill him." With a calm face, he finished him off with his sword and declared that this was all the giant's power he had been so proud of. After this, MC looked again at the elemental cube on the ceiling and asked, "What is it?" Anku was still thinking about it before he died. Could this be the reason why the giants invaded the Goblin lands? He lunged toward the cube and realized it was an elemental crystal. When the protagonist tried to touch it, a powerful magical wave appeared, pushing him back. Meanwhile, outside, the crystal at the very top of the pyramid began emitting similar magical waves. Yoru worriedly asked if Zhang Yi had encountered danger inside. Xiaoi replied that they needed to go inside and find out for themselves. As they entered, the girl asked if he was okay. MC shouted at them to stay back for now. The giant king was dead, but there might be hidden traps here. Yaru agreed, adding that they would then watch from here and warn him if anything happened. Sylph looked at the cube and said she thought she'd seen this mechanism in that ancient book. Suddenly, her pendant literally came to life and reached for the cube, pulling her along with it. The girl screamed in fear, asking her to save her. The protagonist exclaimed that he would save her, and that they should be careful. At the last moment, he grabbed her, but the pendant flew off and landed right in the cube. Then the hand of the main goblin god stuck out, and the old man himself appeared. He tried to climb out and shouted, "Why are they standing there like statues? Let them help him. He's stuck." The princess, seeing him, said, "That's a god." Everyone, in wild shock, asked, "Is this their main god?" The protagonist inquired, "Is this the main goblin god they're looking for?" Sylph agreed, and taking out a book, added that she'd seen his image in ancient tomes. She showed the photograph and pointed. He asked in confusion, "Is it really him? How could he have gotten out of this strange Rubik's Cube?" The old man himself, Peter, furiously shouted, "What did he call this object? These youngsters have no understanding of treasures and don't see the good things in them. This is the sacred elemental heart of their goblin race. It can draw energy from crystals and ore, then release it with increased power." MC excitedly began to reassure him. After that, he joyfully thought that the task was finally completed and they could receive rewards. The protagonist looked at the task in the system window and was perplexed that it was not completed. Strange, they had found the main god. Why was the task still unfinished? He smiled, patted the princess on the head and said that the giant king was dead and her people had gained freedom. He must take his comrades to heal their wounds, so he would go first. Now everything should be fine with them. They shouldn't be sad. They would definitely come visit them when they were free. Sylph agreed and sadly added that it was time for them to say goodbye. She extended her finger and said with a smile, that they should seal this with a pinky promise. After a while, they emerged from the pyramid. MC approached Yahello and said that she should return to the Ice City with Dunshi and the others to recuperate. He needed to stay and finish some work. She worriedly asked what had happened. He wondered if she remembered the god-finding quest they had started earlier. Logically, they should have already completed it as soon as the goblin god appeared. But no matter how he touched it, or how close he got to the elemental heart, the quest remained unfinished. Something was clearly wrong with this goblin god. When it was already dark, the old man said that the giants and goblins had been fighting for years and there were always winners and losers. Since the giant leader was dead, they would now obey him. The giants, chained up, exclaimed that he was a goblin. So what right does he have to command them? Giants will never become slaves. One of them started to charge at him, but the goblin god attacked him with his elemental heart and shouted that he knew they didn't want to, but now they had no choice. If they wanted to blame someone, they could blame their lord Anku, who had ordered the attack on the goblins. Suddenly, Sylph stood between the giants and the old man and shouted for him to let them go. Confused, he asked her what she meant. The girl replied that she respected him greatly, and in the past, he had always told them to be kind. She didn't know why he had changed, but she wanted him to answer one question. What was the difference between what they were doing now and what the giants had done to them? The goblin god grinned wickedly and asked what was wrong with her. He wanted her to go and ask her clan members how they'd been tortured by the giants before. He thought she'd gotten too close to those humans and forgotten she was a goblin princess. Sylph fearfully retorted that he'd saved her and their people from the giants, even killing their ruler. The old man furiously shouted at her to shut up, telling her humans were just like giants. All he wanted were their elemental crystals. The girl protested that he wasn't like that. He began to alter her thinking, claiming that the man had brainwashed her. In an instant, under such intense magical pressure, all memories of the protagonist and his friends began to fade from her mind. Suddenly, the protagonist himself arrived and attempted to attack him. The goblin god, desperate, stopped clearing the princess's mind and dodged. He exclaimed that this was unexpected. The respected goblin god was mocking his own people. The old man replied that it was their business and he had no right to interfere. MC instantly grabbed Sylph in his arms and said that she had once protected him while he was in danger and he would take care of her now. He looked at her forehead and, noticing the mark, thought that this mark had appeared before in the battle between Sylph and the Minotaur. What did this mean? The goblin god had subjugated the giants and shouted for them to obey his command. They needed to catch this man. In an instant, a horde of giants began chasing him. The protagonist, perplexed, wondered how he had managed to control all the giants so quickly. He drew his sword and, creating a wall of ice, shouted for them to stay away from him. The old man pointed an ice cube at him and exclaimed that it seemed he would have to do everything himself. In an instant, the cube expanded in size and trapped them in an elemental blockade. The goblin god shouted that the elemental heart would absorb his memory and energy, and he would die in a torment of endless pain. MC began to try to break through the walls and replied that he wouldn't let him. At that moment, Sylph woke up, clutching her head and saying that it hurt. She was in the dark and scared, and he shouldn't come near her. He hugged her and told her not to be afraid. He was here. The protagonist wondered why this god had attacked her. He said the elemental heart could dissolve memories. Did Sylph know something dangerous for him? The girl exclaimed in horror that she didn't know. He thought that the elemental heart must be working. It had already begun to absorb her memories. He needed to deal with this quickly before things went too far. The protagonist used the soul search skill and began to examine her memories. He saw Sylph witness Peter, the goblin god's brother, kill the real one and say he's taking his place. They share the same parents and have the same powers. But why was he chosen as the main god when he can only live in his shadow? He's simply taking what's rightfully his. He approached the girl and asked if she saw this. Sylph, horrified, asked if he really killed their god. Peter took the elemental heart and told her to forget all of this, for from now on, he would become the true main god. After that, the elemental barrier collapsed. The princess, with a serious face, said she remembered everything. He couldn't pretend to be the main god anymore. Peter, terrified, replied that it was impossible. He'd trained in captivity for hundreds of years until he mastered the method of controlling the elemental heart. How could she use it without any knowledge? The girl exclaimed, "Shut up." He didn't expect that before his death, the god would write all the methods for controlling the artifact in this pendant. After this, the old man tried to run away in horror. Sylph pounced on him and screamed that this blow was for betraying the god. She began to beat him and exclaimed that this is what he owed them. The goblins. After this, the girl jumped away from him and told him to take a good look at his fellow tribesmen. As a goblin, he cared only about his own power, killed a god, stole an elemental heart, and unleashed a war with the giants for hundreds of years. Suddenly, Peter became enraged and shouted that they were just a bunch of ignorant bastards. At first, he wanted to keep them alive so they would serve him forever, but they themselves were asking for death. In an instant, a powerful magical aura formed around him. MC noted in surprise that this power was just like that of a guardian ghost. Could he really be collaborating with ghosts? He picked up the tired princess and told her to leave this to him. Sylph said to please let him avenge their god and save the goblins. Peter furiously shouted that if he didn't die today, he would the moment the Ghost King returned. So why couldn't he just die right now? The protagonist replied that he had a different opinion. He took the princess's pendant and summoned the spirit of the real goblin god, who said that he would help him. MC remarked that he had finally confessed. No more excuses. Today would be his end. Peter exclaimed in wild shock. How could he be alive? He had killed him with his own hands. In an instant, he made a lightning-fast dash and, using the Soul Cleave skill, destroyed the old man. The goblins, watching what was happening, began to mutter among themselves that this really was their god. He had never left them and had always been with them. Sylph, seeing him, burst into tears. The goblin god thanked him and added that his time was running out and he wanted to say a few words to his tribe. A system window appeared, notifying him that he had an unread message from Chink Long. He opened the message menu and saw that he had 4 missed messages from him. 10 minutes ago, in Extreme Ice City, they were attacked by gargoyles. Chink Long inquired about the current situation. One of the defenders replied that they had only found 6 bat-winged monsters and 1 dragon. 2 had already been killed by them. Diwu remarked that she had seen these monsters in the secret room of Carlo Castle. This was that guy plotting again. Chink Long said that the number of monsters sent was small so far. It was only a trial attack, but it was unclear whether they would increase their pressure. First, they needed to tell everyone to hold their ground. He would report this to the leader. After some time, Carlo, having learned about what was happening from his spy, contacted him and asked if Jiang Yi was not in the city. Were his subordinates pretending to be him? He replied that the one wielding the bow and arrow in Extreme Ice City was not Jiang Yi, but his henchman. Now, when he was out of town, was the best time to attack. Carlo replied that it wasn't that simple. If he had gone somewhere and left behind a fake Anku, there had to be a good reason. Suddenly, he began coughing violently. A subordinate worriedly asked if he was okay. This wasn't the first time he'd coughed like that. Carlo wondered how his divine talent card could have reacted at this time. Could Zhang Yi's disappearance have anything to do with it? He rose from his throne and said he needed to leave. Another subordinate asked, what about the attack on Extreme Ice City? The young man replied that they would discuss all the steps when he returned. Until then, let them do nothing. Afterwards, he mounted the dragon and, setting off, exclaimed that the divine talent card's reaction indicated a desert. Something must be wrong there. At this point, the goblin god turned to the princess and said he had something very important for her. Over the past few years, they had earned the approval of all the goblins with their kindness and perseverance. Was she ready to continue protecting the followers behind her, never giving up, even if the future became bumpy and thorny? The girl shed tears and replied that she would like to. He smiled, wiped away her tears, and told her not to cry. Sylph burst into tears and remarked that she had found him with such difficulty. He should not leave. The goblin god replied that death did not frighten him. As long as the goblins lived happily and peacefully, he could leave with peace, and he believed that she could achieve anything in this world. He began to cast a spell on her, and thought that in the name of the main god, he was passing this title on to her. As Carlo flew past this place, a system window appeared, stating that a legendary hidden mission, God's Secret, was available. Task type, Team Task. Mission description, the main god's power supports the apocalypse. He entered the mission zone. Please follow the clues to find the main god. The mission reward is the Elemental Heart artifact. At this point, Sylph became the new god. All the goblins joyfully congratulated her. She noted that for now, she only had the title of god, but she would work hard to become worthy of their hopes. At this point, a system window appeared, stating that he had completed the God's Secret quest and received the Elemental Heart artifact. Sylph gave him the item and said that she thanked him for everything he had done for them, the goblins. Now that the war with the giants was over, this artifact belonged to him. He picked it up and a system window appeared, saying that the item was an Elemental Heart level 50 type talisman. The additional skill, Elemental Power, absorbs the power of elemental crystals, unleashing a powerful elemental force, dealing 300% magic damage to the enemy, and absorbs 1 elemental stone with each use. MC thought that his chances of defeating Carlo had now increased by 10%. At that moment, the guy himself received a notification that, since the artifact received as a mission reward was unique, someone else had already completed it and received the reward, and his mission had failed. He furiously thought that this was all his fault. He just had to wait, he'd get to it. At that moment, the protagonist received a letter. A system window appeared, stating that a letter had arrived from Chink Long, containing the following text: their ice city has been attacked. If he received the message, then please let him come back quickly. Let him read the news. After reading all the messages, he replied that he would be back soon. MC realized he'd been too focused on the task at hand and had forgotten to follow the news. He apologized to Sylph and added that his comrade was looking for him. He needed to get back to Extreme Ice City urgently, and she should take care of herself. She agreed and replied that she could handle the rest herself. Carlo, watching them from behind a rock, thought furiously, give him 2 days. They'd see how he'd sing when he reached Extreme Ice City with his powers. The protagonist mounted Xiaoi and shouted that if they had any problems, they should come to him in Ice City. The goblins bid him farewell, and he flew away. Meanwhile, in Ice City, Chink Long, aiming his bow, shouted that the boss was already rushing back, and they needed to step up their game. Diwu said that if he didn't return right now, they'd all turn into barbecue. Suddenly, a huge fireball flew at her. At that moment, Yahello appeared, wielding a magic staff and destroying the monster. She said that her brother and Xiaoi had taken Dunshi to the city to recover, so she returned first to support them. Are they okay? Duel replied fearfully that she was fine. At that moment, monsters began to attack them. She shouted that everything was bad. His shout had attracted other creatures here. Let Diwu find shelter and hide. She needed to protect herself. Suddenly, a huge dragon began to use a skill. Yaru created a fireball and shouted for it to cover her. Chinklong began to shoot his bow and support her. Suddenly, the monster quickly reflected all the fireballs and counterattacked. After that, they sat on the ground and began to gather strength. Diwu ran up to them and asked if they were okay. Suddenly, the huge dragon began to use another powerful fire skill. She asked fearfully, what should they do? This monster was definitely going to kill them all. At this time, the main character, seeing this dragon, thought, isn't this Carlo's monster? The walls of Extreme Ice City weren't yet reinforced with elemental crystals. If the dragon's breath touched this, the defenses would be breached. He motioned to Xiaohei to speed up and, locking on to the target with the artifact, thought to himself, he was the one who attacked their city while he was gone, right? The protagonist began attacking the dragon and wondered if he should try the artifact's power. With such a powerful attack, the monster immediately collapsed. Chinklong, seeing this, happily remarked that it was the boss. He'd returned. He landed with a smile, apologized for being late, and thanked them. Diwu replied that if it weren't for the city's defense, she wouldn't have gotten involved. MC approached Yaru and told her to forgive him. He was late and made her suffer. Well, now let them see what he brought. He pulled out a bag containing an elemental crystal and remarked that with this crystal, their city walls would be able to withstand the dragon breath of Carlo's beasts. Afterward, the protagonist opened the upgrade menu and reflected that he had just used one crystal to shoot down a dragon, leaving him with 54 crystals left. But that was enough to upgrade the city to level 4. He upgraded the city walls and happily declared that the problem with aerial attacks was now solved. All that remained was to set traps in this clearing. They couldn't let Carlo's troops get close to their walls. After some time, they set all the necessary traps. Chinklong, looking tired, fell to the ground and declared that they were finally finished. He was extremely exhausted. MC approached Diwu and said he wanted to ask her something. A battle was sure to break out between them and Carlo, and the fate of the Ice City depended on its outcome. They had to defeat him, so he needed her help. The girl replied that she had been living in Extreme Ice City ever since she entered the apocalypse and had long considered it her home. As long as she could protect it, she would do anything. The protagonist asked if she remembered the golden card the Bloodgate coveted. She pulled out the item and asked if he meant it. The MC agreed and added that he hadn't told her before because he wasn't sure of their relationship. This card in her hand was one of the most valuable divine talent cards in the apocalypse. If she gave up her original talent, she could inherit this card's skill. Sometime later, Carlo returned to the Moon Castle. His subordinates noticed that he had finally returned. He inquired about the progress of monster breeding. One of them reported that all the monsters had been tamed and were ready to fight at any moment. Carlo, with a serious expression, said, "Then let the monsters immediately move out and destroy Extreme Ice City."